These curious students were all gathered to watch a couple fight. Chu Qingli, the prettiest redhead in school, was saying she wanted to break up. She is rich and talented, while their relationship makes no sense anymore because Fang Yi is poor and has shown no talent. The girl waited for everyone to be watching before saying all this out loud. She wanted Fang Yi to beg to keep the relationship with everyone as witnesses, but that is not what happened. Fang Yi just said, "Okay." The girl was in shock. This had to be some kind of trick, so she screamed that it was useless for Fang Yi to do anything because she wouldn't change her mind if he feigned indifference. That was when the MC looked at her and said he was tired, so the campus beauty shouldn't be so full of herself. This left everyone shocked. The boy was unshaken and left, farming aura points. But what neither Chu Qingli nor the others know is that Fang Yi is not the same as before. He is the only one who knows that soon, the rules of society will be worth nothing. Soon, the world will turn into chaos, and Chu Qingli is just an unknown girl from another life to Fang Yi. It all started last night when the MC woke up and some strange cracks showed him the future. Colossal, catastrophic events. A message said that the revival of his spiritual energy was detected. Total activation will happen in 361 days. Fang Yi was confused by so much pessimistic information. Several people appeared before him, and the system revealed that society's rules would be rewritten. The era of cultivators was about to arrive, and power would become the new standard. Our protagonist was overcome by curiosity, reached out his hand and asked who they were, and then a strange light began to appear before him. A system window popped up, explaining that it came from the edge of the universe and used advanced algorithms integrated with cosmic secrets. Its function was to automatically generate cultivation techniques based on spiritual materials touched by the host, showing that current techniques were zero. Fang Yi reached out, and his hand passed through the system window, and then a powerful monster emerged and began to roar. Fang Yi was paralyzed by what was inside its mouth. It was a corpse, and the system revealed that this would be his end as an ordinary person, as well as the fate of billions on Blue Star. Fang Yi gulped, unable to stop feeling fear. He placed his hand over his chest, his mind full of worry. Fang Yi began to reflect and remembered his past life. He had been just an ordinary person, swept away by the tide of events, fighting just to survive with the hope of overcoming the disaster. However, he witnessed the fall of a nation and the suffering of the people, and in the end, he couldn't escape the mutant beasts. He remembered dying in despair, full of rage and with a deep desire for revenge. His eyes began to shine with determination, thinking that maybe that was why the system had chosen him and brought him back 1 year before the energy recovery. Now I am sure I need to use all my knowledge to evolve to the max, thought Fang Yi. He reached out and touched the fragments of the system, deciding he would use every anomaly caused by the aura to his advantage. The system began to initialize a new evaluation. Fang Yi's eyes shone like two suns as the system informed him that the binding was a success. A new path had been unlocked, and now everything that existed could be used as material. His mission was to collect powerful techniques and skills to become a strong cultivator and save the world. In the city, people were informed that humanity now faced an unprecedented crisis. The answers could not be found in the past. The only option was to adapt with one's own strength. Everyone was surprised, except Fang Yi. When he turned on his phone, he saw several notifications. He understood that the government neither confirmed nor denied the strange phenomena, simply telling people to prepare. The sadness of remembering the past was immense. He knew that this direct and silent approach by the Xia nation helped citizens remain calm and trust their country. Then he remembered the system said he could use anything, which meant he should go where the anomalies were happening. A piece of news on his phone caught his attention. The UV index at Shenzhen University had reached a historic record for the century. Because of this, a heat alert had been issued asking new students to take safety precautions and use sunscreen. Fang Yi looked up at the cloudy sky, activated his UV meter, and saw it was at 0. He was a bit confused. He couldn't understand how the weather could be so different, since the university was only a 15-minute drive away. Images of a blazing sun over the university were posted online. Students were told that registration for new students would continue, but they had to avoid the north gate due to the high UV index. While all other entrances remained open, Fang Yi couldn't help but smile. He knew that when anomalies occur for the first time, most people just think it's a publicity stunt. Only he knew the truth. He was happy because his first opportunity had arrived. Fang Yi changed clothes and headed to Shenzhen University. Everyone was carrying umbrellas, and it was so hot that the leaves had fallen off the trees. Our protagonist went straight to the north gate, the least crowded spot of all. He knew something was definitely wrong there. Hundreds of glowing ashes began to fall from the sky, while students fled to avoid being burned to death. Fang Yi's attention was fixed on it. He decided to touch it. As soon as his finger made contact, an intense glow emerged. The system reported detecting an intense fluctuation in the yang attribute, unlocking his data model. The energy began to rush into Fang Yi's body, causing him terrible pain. A blinding light began to burst from our protagonist's body. People covered their eyes to avoid going blind. They didn't know what was happening and thought they were hallucinating. The energy began to burn Fang Yi's clothes. He clutched his head, going crazy, not knowing if the system had finished compiling yet. He felt like he was about to die. The compilation was completed, and Fang Yi acquired a Yang attribute technique, the Golden Sun breathing technique. Later, it was registration day for new students at Shengxiang University. Our protagonist's ex-girlfriend arrived at the registration area. A guy offered to carry her suitcase. Soon, more guys appeared trying to get her attention, but she rejected them all, saying she didn't need their help. She looked at a couple nearby and remembered she is now single. Suddenly, Chu Qingli nearly wet herself when a gigantic explosion occurred. A voice on the loudspeaker asked everyone to stay away from the north gate. Curious and serious, the girl decided to go investigate. A huge explosion of golden energy lit up the area. A powerful, imposing figure emerged from the smoke. He took a deep breath, and his eyes gleamed with an intense golden glow. A screen appeared, informing him that he had created a new technique and gained 50 points. Feng Yi pondered the use of the points, deciding that while it wasn't a priority now, they would be useful later. At night, under a strange moon in the sky, Feng Yi began to practice his new technique. The next day, under the bright sun, a new energy spread through the university. As they ran towards the north gate, some students noticed the sky darken and cool for a second. A large crowd was already gathering at the site. The dean, annoyed, questioned why the warning to stay away had been ignored. The group made their way through the crowd, which parted to let them reach the center. A hooded figure with a serious look ordered the dean to completely block the north gate. At that instant, the system informed Feng Yi that he had cleared a polluted area. Feng Yi knew the government was already aware and wondered if there were others like him. An alert about restricted access to the area confirmed the seriousness of the situation for Feng Yi. From a rooftop, students saw people in uniform and wondered if they were from the army. Feng Yi saw that the commotion was drawing a lot of attention. With his red eyes glowing, he decided it was time to leave, leaping from the building. Below, the mysterious hooded figure walked over the ground, cracked by the energy. The hooded figure knelt, touching the ground to feel the lingering energy. They picked up a piece of the cracked ground to examine what had happened. After studying the site, the figure deduced that a single person had released that energy. While officers evacuated the students, she watched from afar. In the crowd, the young man's ex-girlfriend was shocked to learn that one individual had caused such destruction. At that instant, the ex-boyfriend saw a figure leap away and for a moment thought of Feng Yi, but he quickly dismissed the idea, convinced that, with his grades, he would never get into the university. Far from there, at Feng Yi's house, the sun was setting and night was falling. Lying in his bed, Feng Yi grumbled. His body still burned even after a cold shower. The heat prevented him from sleeping. And worse, today's commotion made him fear he had been noticed. Feng Yi picked up his phone, noticing a popular news story about a cultivation association. He remembered, before, everyone considered it just an internet joke. At that moment, he recalled the hooded figures at the university, deducing they must be from the association. Curious, he opened the news story to read the article. The article explained the different levels of cultivation, from ghost acts to total transcendence. In the comments, everyone laughed, but Feng Yi wondered if the announcement was real. Sitting on his bed, he pondered how, in his past life, he had never known about something like this. Reflecting on the cultivation association, he decided to try his technique again. Feng Yi closed his eyes, focusing on his training. Soon, sweat beaded on his skin, and a powerful golden energy began to flow, enveloping him. He floated, immersed in an intense golden glow that filled the room. The first step, strengthen the body to withstand the power of heaven and earth. Successfully, he controlled the energy, molding it into a fine axe. His eyes shone brightly, and Feng Yi smiled, feeling full of power. The system announced he had reached the Duxi level and rewarded him with 50 points. Feng Yi recalled the points as he read the screen. A new path was opening. The system explained that points could be used to infuse compiled data into any object. The idea of imbuing items with power fascinated him. Feng Yi looked at the mug on the table and extended his hand, enveloped in a powerful golden glow. The system asked if he wished to use some points to infuse the Yang attribute into the mug. He understood. It was like enchanting an item, granting it special power. Feng Yi imagined that, on a weapon, the effect would transform it into a powerful artifact for combat. Determined to have a powered-up weapon for what was to come, Feng Yi took a small sword from the shelf to test the power on it. If it worked, he would buy a real weapon, preparing for the monsters. Suddenly, a strange noise coming from outside the building caught his attention in the middle of the night. Outside, a dark creature with enormous claws and glowing red eyes watched Feng Yi's apartment, baring its sharp teeth in the darkness. The creature, resembling a giant demonic rabbit, prepared to attack. Meanwhile, inside the apartment, Feng Yi remained oblivious to the imminent danger. Lying in bed, he felt uncomfortable, a consequence of his new cultivation technique. With red eyes, he wondered about the source of the sound. sound, which seemed like a mouse. It wasn't coming from inside, nor from the pipes. Perhaps it was a neighbor's pet. With his enhanced hearing, it would be normal to hear the neighbors. Feng Yi focused his hearing on the strange sound, but soon realized something was wrong and became alert. Opening the door, he came face to face with the strange creature in the dark hallway. In the hallway, the red-eyed creature stared at him, ready to attack. Startled, Feng Yi recognized the mutant beast. A memory from his past life struck him. Simultaneously, a drone flew over the nocturnal city, indicating that others were aware of the danger. On top of a building, a girl complained about the delay in capturing the rabbit that had eaten a rare fruit. With a lollipop in her mouth, she seemed very calm and confident about the mission. She ordered her team to continue sending updates on the target. The mysterious girl jumped from the top of the building, starting the pursuit with a dizzying drop, moving with ease among the city's enormous buildings. Suddenly, the young woman felt the mutant beast's power, realizing its proximity. Her eyes gleaming, she finally spotted the creature, preparing for the fight. The mysterious huntress landed forcefully on the rooftop, moving with incredible ease as she ran down the side of the building. Having received orders to pursue her target, no matter what, she continued her chase, leaping from building to building. She knew the creature had eaten a special fruit and could evolve at any moment. A man, working late, saw something swift flash past his window and was confused. He wondered if he was seeing things, but his boss yelled at him for standing idle. Meanwhile, the huntress remained like a shadow against the moon on the 65th floor. Back in the apartment, Feng Yi faced the strange creature screaming at him. With his golden eyes, he knew his body had changed and that he could face it as an equal. The creature attacked with its claws, but Feng Yi dodged with surprising speed. Feng Yi already senses the change in his body, seeing the attacks in slow motion with solar energy in his hand. He wonders why a mutant beast appeared so soon, while memories of his past life flood back as he faces the monster. Knowing the creature hasn't fully evolved yet and that each attack made it stronger and more furious, he prepares for a swift attack. He needs to stop it or everyone in the building will die. With a handful of energy, Feng Yi grabs it. With surprising strength, he bites the creature without fear. Holding it firmly, his golden eyes gleam with cold focus. He spins it in the air, realizing its tail is the weak point. Seizing the chance, he grabs the beast's tail with all his might. He hurls the monster against the window, which shatters on impact. With his fist glowing golden, he prepares to unleash a powerful blow. He fires a beam of energy, hitting the creature mid-air. The monster is engulfed by the golden beam, but it grabs the energy with its claws, trying to steal his power. Feng Yi realizes the theft of his yang power and reacts. He knows the sun's power is too strong. The rabbit is self-destructing. Soon, a golden explosion engulfs the monster, unable to withstand so much energy. In the building next door, a couple wakes up to a noise, the man wondering if it was thunder. He goes to the window to check, but sees nothing strange. Feng Yi lands on the ground, surrounded by what remained of his golden energy. The creature, he thinks, was like a ghost hungry for his power. After the fight, the monster's eye falls to the ground, releasing strange black smoke. With a serious expression, Feng Yi stares at what remained of the creature. He kicks the eye, crushing what was left of the beast. He understands. The creature of the night was desperate for his yang power, the opposite. If it had been normal, the monster would have easily devoured everyone in the building, he thinks. Thus, Feng Yi knows he needs to learn more techniques for the dangers to come. Meanwhile, a mysterious girl leaps through the air under the moonlight. Upon reaching the location, her eyes snap open in surprise, frozen there in the night. She wonders if someone else defeated her target. Kneeling, she observes the destroyed target, ready to retrieve the night attribute. However, upon touching the monster's remains, she is surprised by a lingering golden energy. She feels intense heat and a burning power, which makes her resonate immediately. She remembers the energy from the university gate, realizing it's no coincidence. After the discovery, she activates her communicator with a serious, determined look. She reports to base. The target was defeated by a new, powerful outsider with a special ability. On the communicator, a voice asks if it's the same one who cleared the gate and killed the rabbit. A man confirms the lack of information and suggests recruitment. The silver-haired girl agrees. She stores the small flame of energy in a receptacle and receives a new order from her chief. Abandon other missions to focus on finding the outsider. The mysterious huntress unwraps and savors her lollipop. She understands the new order, but declares, "Before the mission, I need some milk tea to relax." On the communicator, the voice questions the mysterious individual's power. The young woman agrees that the president was right. She needs to meet this master. Far from there, Feng Yi's day begins with the sunrise. He stretches, ready to train. His early awakening enhances his power, and he begins his session, absorbing the golden energy of the morning with his breathing method. As the energy fills him, his eyes glow golden. He delves into the realm of Phantom Axe, feeling the technique emerge. A sudden burst of energy surprises him. He realizes he's stronger. Power surges through his body, and he focuses on controlling it. As he clenches his fist, he feels the pulsing energy. Feng Feng Yi invokes his key acts. Noticing the weapon feels much lighter, he grips the handle firmly, ready to test his new strength. The golden axe rises above his head. He prepares a powerful strike, reaching the realm of 2-star phantom acts. His eyes burn with golden flames, revealing his newly awakened strength. Feng Yi's body, now much stronger and more resilient, was the result of the extra magic from his last upgrade. He decided, from now on, he would level up slowly, with caution. His growing power, however, attracted too much attention. He needed a more private location. Meanwhile, at the association office, a man felt a strange shift in solar energy. Is it the new guy again? He wondered. Feng Yi found a quiet spot by a river for his plans. A system screen popped up. He confirmed adding a special quality to his weapon. He recalled attempting this with another item, which couldn't withstand such power. This time, the blade connected to his energy, and the system confirmed the encoding. Excited, Feng Yi prepared to test its power. The test revealed shocking power. The sword unleashed an enormous golden beam into the sky. Feng Yi landed the sword ablaze, feeling the power flow. The strike almost caused a fire, revealing his immense strength. The enormous smoke plume gave away his presence, forcing him to leave. A girl ran towards the smoke, lamenting that she'd lost everything by stepping away for a moment. She stopped, seeing the river boil. The agent flew over the damaged area, shocked by the destruction. She already anticipated a reprimand, as everything had gone wrong since his arrival. A golden flash in the distance caught her attention, and the hunter was shocked by what she saw. This shouldn't be possible. His power level jumped from 1 to 2 stars. He even created a spirit weapon. The association only possessed 2 such weapons, whose manufacturing method was almost unknown. Suspicious, she questioned how he obtained such power on his own. But, pushing aside her doubt, she decided to clean up the mess Feng Yi left behind. Far away, Feng Yi pondered. His weapon had the Yang attribute, but he wanted more. The system encoded everything, so he planned to add more qualities to the blade. Suddenly, his phone vibrated. It was a message from an unknown sender. Feng Yi had forgotten about privacy. A stranger invited him to a pioneer group. Shocked, he discovered that the official members were at least Ghost Axe level. The stranger mentioned a new pollution zone, inviting him on a group hunt. Feng Yi asked for the location. The stranger sent a file about the Shadow River Lava Dragon. The zone was lava-based, possessing the same Yang attribute he did. Feng Yi accepted the invitation. Far away in Binmu district, a group awaited old Li's friend. A member commented that the girl's map was so good, their arrival was easy. The blonde thanked everyone for coming, emphasizing the need for teamwork. From the Cultivation Association, she was disappointed by the pioneer's weakness. Many, however, didn't know the Cultivation Association was in fact a governmental group. Joining the group had been difficult for her, requiring family favors, which was why she hated failing. At that instant, an explorer spotted the newcomer calling out, "Feng!" Feng Yi made his entrance, sword in hand, and introduced himself. The blonde manager was startled by his power, but noticed an aura that wasn't frightening, but warm. With everyone gathered, the leader gave the signal and the group headed for the cave entrance. Feng Yi moved ahead, asking the blonde manager to take care of the light. As they advanced, one of them warned Feng Yi about loose rocks. Strangely, the place wasn't very hot. Feng Yi reflected on the team's quick acceptance, feeling a genuine camaraderie in those difficult times. As Feng Yi advanced, the ground beneath his feet began to change color, a clear sign of imminent danger. Suddenly, they reached a large opening, marveling at a bubbling lava river ahead. Without hesitation, Feng Yi moved towards the danger, and the blonde manager screamed, warning him against recklessness. To everyone's surprise, Feng Yi plunged his sword directly into the lava. The explorers panicked, shouting for help. A flaming explosion threw the team backward. Feng Yi's system detected a world problem, initiating analysis. As he plunged his sword into the lava, the system analyzed the anomaly, revealing a new power, the internal flame, with extremely high internal temperature and explosive properties, and the Scarlet Flame sword technique, which unleashed this power. As he pulled out the blade, now wreathed in fire, and with the lightning resolved, Feng Yi held his sword, eyes and blade glowing with flaming power, a perfect technique for his Tang sword. Below, the explorers, still stunned by the explosion, watched him in awe. Unharmed in a vortex of fire, Feng Yi realized his weapon was absorbing the lava's power. Then, Feng Yi used his script points to permanently incorporate the Scarlet Flame attribute into his sword, which now burned with pure energy. With the flames dissipated, his companions concluded that Feng Yi had had a minor cultivation accident and recovered. The group was euphoric, noticing the stabilization of the cave's spiritual energy. One of them cheered for the smooth energy absorption, while another, about to begin his cultivation, excitedly shouted Xiaoya's name. Xiaoya, the blonde manager, encouraged them to train while watching over them, and the team thanked her for the opportunity. The scene was interrupted. Xiaoya detected figures approaching the entrance, warning of other pioneers' arrival. 3 muscular men entered, led by one with an eye patch and glowing red eyes, who arrogantly declared, "This resource-rich land is ours now." Xiaoya worried. The newcomers were, were 1-star Ghost Axe, level A. Her team couldn't challenge them. Despite the danger, Xiaoya tried to negotiate politely, reminding them they'd arrived first and even offering an alliance, but her diplomacy was met with disdain. The eye patch-wearing leader scoffed at her low level and ordered them to leave or face the consequences. Xiaoya's expression hardened. She reflected on the harsh reality of survival of the fittest in the new era, but as a member of the Xia Nation Association, she decided she couldn't allow such injustice. The instant the confrontation threatened to escalate, Feng Yi stepped between Xiaoya and the hostile leader, his sword blazing. He firmly asked the big guy if he had nothing better to do than bully a young woman. The eye patch-wearing leader was stunned, speechless. Without hesitation, Feng Yi unleashed a single devastating blow, creating a flaming explosion that sent all three attackers flying with the force of the strike. His own companions shuddered, their actions halted. Feng Yi knew that only overwhelming force would work against those who lived by the law of the strong. He planted his blade in the ground, directly in front of the leader. Shrouded in an immense golden aura, Feng Yi ordered them to back off. Terrified by the second display of power, the leader called him a monster and ordered a retreat. Feng Yi watched them disappear. His companions approached, still awestruck. Feng Yi smiled, downplaying the situation and suggesting it was time to leave. As they walked away, Xiaoya pondered Feng Yi's power. Realizing he had held back, she concluded he was a higher-level pioneer. She knew she needed to report the discovery to her organization. In the office of the Spiritual Energy Cultivation Association, a woman on the phone with Xiaoya repeated, surprised, the news of another high-attribute pioneer. The employee grew nervous, realizing she'd spoken too much, especially with an imposing man standing behind her. She hung up the phone, uncomfortable. After confirming the report, the young woman cheerfully asked her gray-haired senior if they were lucky to have two high-attribute pioneers consecutively. He, somber, corrected her. Luck had nothing to do with it. Every high-attribute individual was destined to be a new center of power, a responsibility that stressed him immensely. Under the sunny sky, Feng Yi returned to the city, attempting to disguise himself as a cosplay player. But his powerful presence and authentic sword only attracted more gazes. His walk stopped when he saw on his phone that news of the cave incident was already viral. He chided himself for his recklessness. The eruption of his inner flame had been too visible, but he dismissed the idea of betrayal from his companions. He then focused on a more urgent matter. The immense absorbed yang energy propelled him toward a new breakthrough. He needed an isolated place and headed for a remote mountain. 5 minutes later, there, Su Qingying, a silver-haired young woman and garden restoration specialist, felt a powerful presence. Su Qingying saw an immense explosion of light, like a miniature sun, and recognized the signs of a cultivator breaking through the realm of 3-star Ghost Axe. The monstrous scale of the energy astonished her. She had never imagined such an advancement. Driven by duty and a flash of recognition, she ran towards the disturbance, vowing to catch the mysterious individual this time. High up on the mountain, Feng Yi was immersed in his breakthrough. He drew immense amounts of golden energy, which swirled around him, forming a glowing, sun-like orb above his head. As he meditated mid-air, the power behind him formed a complex, divine star. Golden energy crackled beneath his skin, and his eyes glowed with intense power, controlling the wild energy. Finally, the power gathered, taking the form of a massive divine axe, forged from pure golden energy and clear blue light. As the divine axe crackled with power, Su Qingying arrived, stopping abruptly at the sight. She watched, incredulous, the mysterious individual about to swing the weapon he had created. His level of control was incredible. How could someone command so much spiritual energy with such skill and steadiness? Had he trained secretly for centuries? The sight brought forth a painful memory. Su Qingying remembered her own attempt to advance to 2-star Ghost Axe. The pressure of her divine acts forced her to retreat, spitting blood and leaving her bedridden for a week. Even naturally strong, she had failed miserably. She couldn't understand how Feng Yi handled such a powerful breakthrough. The closer she got, the more impressed she became. The vast spiritual energy, the impeccable control in every swing of the axe, the way every bit of power seemed to have been purified thousands of times. It was all beyond anything she had ever seen. He wasn't just an incredible monster, he was like a god. She noticed his calm and steadiness. Most pioneers rushed their advancements. Feng Yi, however, moved with the experience and strong mind of a master. Her thoughts were interrupted when the massive, flaming divine axe began to move. She watched him, marveling, as he swung it purposefully to the east at the peak of its power. Feng Yi's eyes burned with pure golden light, while cracks of raw energy appeared on his face. He floated in a blinding storm of golden power, successfully controlling the immense amount of energy he had gathered to evolve. Then, a system window appeared, confirming he had reached the realm of 2-star Ghost Axe. The new divine axe descended, unleashing its power in a shockwave that tore through the mountain. Su Qingying was caught by the powerful blast and had to brace herself against the golden energy wave. The remaining force carved a massive path through the forest before disappearing, But when she looked up, Feng Yi had completely vanished, breathing heavily from the strain of the effort and her frustration. Su Ying couldn't believe she had lost him again, especially since she had arrived in merely 30 seconds. A worrying thought surfaced in her mind. He must have known she was following him. She worried. If he continued to be so difficult to find, her recruitment mission would be impossible. Just as she was about to give up, she paused. A sudden idea struck her. She diverted her gaze from the path of destruction to a massive old tree that now glowed with a soft, lingering golden light. With a newfound sense of certainty, she called out to the seemingly empty forest. "Senior, are you still there?" From the forest's shadows, Feng Yi appeared, his hooded form radiating cold confidence. His red eyes glowed at Su Ying. He knew immediately that she was the person who had been investigating him for the past few days and what she had found. Su Ying held her ground and introduced herself. She was the captain of the Firefly Squad, part of the Qiang Nation's Spiritual Practitioner Association, and one of the nation's first pioneers. On behalf of the association, she sincerely invited him to join them. She admitted to having followed him for 2 days, hoping her methods hadn't made a bad impression. As she spoke, Feng Yi remained silent, his face unreadable. While Feng Yi remained hooded, Su Ying explained that, though the public didn't know, the association already had all the documentation ready. Extremely nervous, she chose her words carefully, wary of angering the powerful man. She knew she needed to sound gentle and respectful, but her carefully planned speech was abruptly cut short by Feng Yi's direct question. "Why should I join?" This completely caught her off guard. She stammered for a moment, panicked. She quickly realized that empty words would be useless against someone so intelligent. The truth was her only option. Recovering herself, she explained the association's purpose. The Xia Nation sought to gather and guide all first pioneers, offering them organization and protection. She knew that current growth was chaotic, and that an association might sound like a cage to a free spirit like him. But she asked him to look at the bigger picture. A great wave of spiritual energy was approaching, and everyone would need to unite to face unknown future enemies. After the impassioned speech, Feng Yi casually leaned against a tree, looking tired and uninterested. He was clear. He was unwilling to join. He explained that, for now, he didn't feel comfortable trusting her or the association. Su Ying was stunned and speechless. With the direct answer, her eyes widened in shock. Su Ying was desperate. Quickly, she pulled her ID card from her jacket, holding it up. She introduced herself again as Su Ying, mentioning she had been a well-known athlete before the return of spiritual energy. She pleaded for him to believe her, hoping her public identity would give him a reason to trust her. Feng Yi paused, thoughtful. He touched his chin, saying he now vaguely remembered her. His mind recalled a framed photo of her, celebrating her victory as runner-up in the Xia Nation's long-distance championship. He realized that her natural athletic ability had made her a fast and effective pioneer. However, his face turned serious. A dark memory from his previous life resurfaced, a vision of a ruined society. He knew that in his original timeline, the efforts of Xia Nation, including the association, failed, culminating in the end of humanity. Having returned with his system, he knew he should be part of the solution, but joining the association at that moment wasn't the right choice. Adopting a more thoughtful expression, he looked again at a hopeful Su Ying and confirmed that he remembered her. He said he'd think about the offer, and before she could reply, he leaped into the air, darting away. Suddenly, he appeared right behind a surprised Su Ying. He imposed a firm condition. She should keep his location a secret for now. In his mind, he studied her respectful demeanor, concluding that the association was careful not to provoke pioneers who weren't allied with them. Feng Yi saw a weakness to exploit in this. Su Ying proposed a deal. The association had detected his advancement energy, requiring a report. She suggested a report with truths and lies to protect him and satisfy her superiors. Feng Yi, after brief reflection, agreed. Su Ying tried to call out to him, but he had already vanished in a blink of an eye. Su Ying descended the slope in vain. Tired and irritated, she walked, grumbling about her failed attempts to catch him and the energy trail she needed to erase. Her thoughts were cut short by a voice on her earpiece. "Stop worrying about the pioneer and remember your mission. The strange creatures have reappeared." Su Ying froze, shocked. They really came back? A memory flooded her. Her, surrounded by wolf-like creatures with bloody mouths and red eyes. She would never forget those bloodthirsty beasts. They were merciless monsters, born from the pollution zones created by the return of spiritual energies. Within them, they gained power, transforming into human devourers. Some disguised themselves as natural disasters, killing and expanding the pollution zones. If not stopped, their hunger would destroy the human world. A A fierce storm hit the city, not with streetlights, but with incessant lightning. Rain poured down, and red alerts on cell phones warned of severe risk and the need to stay indoors. Another alert announced the closure of Yang Mountain due to flooding. People commented on the unprecedented intensity, joking that a powerful being was facing a divine trial. In a rainy alley, Fenrir watched the storm somberly, his red eye glowing. Feeling the immense lightning energy in the air, Fenrir recognized its wild power. It wasn't an ordinary storm, but an anomaly with focused energy. His eyes swept across the city and fixed on a distant mountain peak, repeatedly struck by lightning. He had found the center. Without hesitation, Fenrir shot into the downpour, leaping from rooftop to rooftop toward the mountain. Upon reaching the base of Yang Mountain, his system confirmed. Pollution zone detected. Instead of its usual beauty, the peak displayed a grim scene of skeletal remains and twisted trees. A new notification alarmed him, unknown pollution level. Still, Fenrir advanced without hesitation. He traversed the dark and stormy forest with a determined gaze. As he approached, an immense blue lightning bolt struck the mountaintop, illuminating the entire area. He had found his target. At the command center of the Association of Spiritual Practitioners, officials gathered in tension. A large screen displayed a vortex of blue energy over a mountain peak. An official reported the rapid increase in danger on Yanga Mountain, demanding its closure and reclassification as a contamination zone. The association leader, with a grave expression, declared the situation so critical it would require Su Qing to be pulled from her other mission to report the events. Su Bing reported that it was impossible to ascend the mountain as the unstable lightning energy was about to explode. Therefore, the area was officially classified as a Level A contamination zone. She continued with more troubling news. The mountain would soon reach Level S, triggering the maximum emergency plan. Su Ging, however, pointed out a crucial problem. None of their explorers, not even she, would be able to approach the area safely. A wave of shock ran through the room. Calculations predicted certain death, even for advanced explorers. A security official ordered the complete isolation of Yang Mountain's base, with 24/7 patrols to prevent any ascent. The association leader agreed, stating the threat could only be contained by isolating the mountain, preventing approaches until the energy concentration decreased. While the association deemed Yang Mountain too dangerous, Feng Yi was already well within the zone. Immense blue lightning bolts crashed around him. As the storm raged, Feng Yi stood firm, protected by a golden aura from his breathing technique. He knew, however, that merely surviving the storm wouldn't be enough. To obtain the purest lightning energy, he had to reach the storm's center, at the mountain's peak. His decision was driven by dark memories. He knew the current monsters were just the beginning of future threats. His fire-based powers were insufficient for the imminent challenges. Surrounded by lightning, Feng Yi needed to strengthen himself, not just rely on his weapon. He saw a rare and perfect opportunity to use the lightning energy to fortify his body. Feng Yi knew that without seizing the chance to strengthen himself, he would face certain death in the imminent disasters. His eyes glowed golden. He pulled out his flaming sword, and with a defiant roar, thrust it directly into an enormous blue lightning bolt. The wild energy coursed through him, causing terrible pain, but his face remained resolute. His body trembled violently as the electricity surged through him. He felt the lightning's power like a divine punishment, actively fighting against it. The storm, furious at his intrusion, seemed to demand his surrender as he stared up at the chaotic sky. How could he make this brute force obey him? He had an idea, calming himself and recalling his system's rule for obtaining power: touch the source of energy. A golden aura erupted from him as he unleashed his golden salt breathing technique, determined to break through the storm with a loud roar. Feng Yi pressed forward, using his flaming sword to carve a path through the blue lightning. The clash of his golden energy and the wild storm generated a chaotic explosion. Blood trickled from his mouth, but his eyes blazed with determination. It was a desperate gamble, a confrontation with death. After an arduous struggle, Feng Yi reached the peak. He plunged his sword into the ground, cracking the rock as he arrived at the storm's center, where the power was even more terrifying. The violent lightning energy made breathing difficult. Feng Yi felt the storm's tension, realizing it wasn't just pushing him, but now sought to kill him, as if wanting to prove its fury. The storm gathered all its power and unleashed a colossal beam of white lightning directly at him, an attack destined to destroy him. As Feng Yi faced the final blow, his system activated, detecting a powerful lightning attribute and beginning to process it in the city below. From a tall building, people watched, marveling. A man photographed, astonished by the lightning's grandeur. Another, thinking he'd glimpsed a person on the mountaintop, questioned if a god was being judged. The fight culminated in a brilliant explosion. Feng Yi had won. The system confirmed. He had obtained the refined power of divine thunder, capable of summoning celestial lightning and making his body divine. Rewarded with 5 writing points, Feng Yi floated in the air, surrounded by blue lightning and his golden aura. comprehending his new power. The thunder attribute, a high-level force for offense and defense, differed from the power of the sun, which focused on defense. Thunder could refine his body, transforming it into intense energy. It would be his spear and his shield. He also realized that the power of thunder was not just destruction, but purification and rebirth, feeling the energy strengthen his bones and muscles without pain. As he landed softly, the system offered him an upgrade to punish evil, doubled critical damage, asking if he wanted to use the writing points to obtain it. Feng Yi pondered the next step. His first idea was to infuse the power of thunder into his Tang sword. He considered carefully. While the blade would become stronger, he feared compromising the purity of the sun's power already within it. Mixing too many powers into a single item could damage or destroy it. Suddenly, a different idea emerged. Looking at his own hand, Feng Yi decided he would implant the thunder attribute directly into his right hand. The system immediately responded, asking if that was the choice for the attribute. A confident smile appeared on his face as he gave the command. Wild blue lightning in the air rushed towards his right hand, absorbing the storm's power. The next day, on the storm-damaged peak of Yuan Mountain, the immediate danger had vanished. Below, on a cliff, Su Qing and Major Heine stood over figures in body bags. Su Qing reported that the contamination zone's energy had strangely dropped from the most dangerous level to a mild one in just 3 hours. Although there was still electricity in the air, Major Heine listened and quickly deduced what had happened. Someone had been there, a seeker. Su Qing was shocked, asking if another seeker could have survived the event. She crouched, searching for clues, but felt nothing, assuming the heavy rain had washed them away. She concluded that the seeker must have left the mountain safely around 8 o'clock the previous night. Major Heine agreed with her timeline. The strange event began around 6, and the army sealed off the mountain by 7. Therefore, the seeker must have climbed the mountain before the lockdown. Their instruments predicted the danger had reached significant proportions, but after 8, the energy suddenly dropped, being strongest where the lightning was most intense. The major theorized that the seeker had not only survived the lightning, but likely possessed some thunder-related power. He concluded this person was the direct cause of the sudden shift, a major opportunity. The major expressed his greatest concern. Such individuals were the most dangerous, as it was unknown whose side they were on. Su Qing agreed, warning that such a powerful threat would cause immense disaster. They needed to find him quickly, miles away. Sitting on his couch, oblivious to the military operation now focused on him, Feng Yi let out a sudden, loud sigh. Back in the dungeon, Major Han Li decided, giving his troops a firm order. Find this person immediately, at all costs. With the order, he assigned the mysterious target the temporary codename, Tyrant. The investigation on Manhua Yu began immediately. The army hoped the Spiritual Practitioners Association would soon recruit the Tyrant. Meanwhile, they would keep information about the event secret and initiate their own investigation. On the rainy peak, the association leader told Major Han Li that a high-level pioneer was already attempting contact. Then, he turned to Su Qinying and ordered her to present her report to the major. Su Qinying was caught off guard by the order and gasped in panic. Forced to think fast, she began her report, half true, connecting the current incident to the pioneer who recently cleared the pollution zone at a local university. Terrified, Su Qinying feared revealing her agreement with Feng Yi. She explained the difficulty in contacting him, mentioning having found and correctly identified the body of a mutant rabbit with a Yang flame attribute. She promised to approach Feng Yi to find out how he had cleared the university gate, praying her mix of truths and lies would be convincing. Major Han Li listened, pondering a pioneer with a Yang attribute. Satisfied, he thanked her, calling her a talented young pioneer. Su Qinying saluted firmly, stating it was her duty. As the meeting concluded, Major Han Li announced they would release false natural disaster reports to cover up the event, and that he disagreed with publishing information about spiritual energy online due to the risk of misuse. As the officers conversed, Su Qinying sighed, relieved the interrogation was over. Back home, Feng Yi used his golden sun breathing technique to dry his hoodie, put it on, and immediately checked for changes in his body. Even with the thunder attribute, he felt a clear difference. His right hand, now releasing blue sparks, had become his strongest part, with an enormous power boost. Flexing his fingers and forming spheres of electricity, he felt a new breakthrough approaching. The surprising thing was how the anti-wild thunder had become docile in his body, allowing free control. Unlike the terrible pain he felt when unlocking the Yang attribute, he questioned if energies weakened during incorporation. The system had promised this power would deal double damage to strange and evil creatures. He could barely wait to test it. A sudden alert on his phone interrupted his thoughts. He picked it up, curious. He had set up special alerts after the last incident, aware that for a pioneer, every crisis was a chance to grow stronger, even at the risk of his life. Looking at the alert, Feng Yi saw news of a massive explosion at a chemical factory, causing pollution in the city. The official version reported 0 casualties and called for calm, but he was suspicious of such a large event. On online forums, witnesses reported a more terrifying story. Residents described a strange, chilling sensation they couldn't explain. Someone asked if it was a cold, evil aura, and others agreed, despite their doubts. The dread and fear were palpable. The words cold, evil aura sounded familiar to Feng Yi, bringing forth a terrifying memory from his past life. A bloody hand, a horrifying face, the memory of hiding, terrified, from a red demonic beast that destroyed everything around it, resurfaced. The creature, a disgusting, multi-eyed, rat-like monster, was a threat Feng Yi knew all too well. Back in the present, he grew serious. He recalled the nature of these creatures, plants or animals that upon gaining consciousness had their powers spiral out of control, becoming terrifying hunters and killers. They loved to appear in the darkness of night. Realizing this new threat was 100 times more dangerous than the mutant rabbit he had faced, Feng Yi knew he would need to act. On a dark and stormy night, rain lashed the city's empty streets as the traffic light cycled through its colors. A blur shot across the wet street. It was the Destroyer Squad, hooded figures moving with impressive speed in full pursuit. One of the members reported to base. Anomaly. File 7, Candle Night, had been tracked, but the target was lost. Its ability to blend into darkness made it almost impossible to follow. The member added terrifying details to the file. The anomaly faintly hissed when near and devoured humans. As lightning illuminated the sky, the squad landed atop a building to observe the city. The leader, a determined man with light hair and a scar on his face, knew the stormy weather was ideal for the creature. He stated firmly they couldn't allow this to happen. Miles away, in a bustling command center, an operator received the updated information. He confirmed the dispatch of data on File 7 Candle Night. The situation was serious. An extermination request, classified as high priority, needed to be resolved within 12 hours. Headquarters ordered the Destroyer Squad was to pursue the target, but team safety was the priority. The team immediately resumed the pursuit, leaping between the buildings of the rainy city. The leader paused, observing a luminous hologram of the city with red markers indicating active anomalies. He knew 12 hours was a slow response time, but the best headquarters could offer. The country was vast. Anomalies sprang up everywhere, overwhelming even the most advanced resources. As the Destroyer Squad approached the target's last known location, an alert arrived from headquarters. The operator informed the area was occupied by agents from the Spiritual Energy Cultivation Association. A photo of Su King appeared on screen as he explained that her team monitored pioneers in the area and could be called in to assist. The squad leader confirmed the message, requesting they call her and praising her reputation. Feng Yi was surprised by her own fame, while the Destroyer Squad waited seriously in the rain. Shortly after, Feng Yi and her hooded team arrived, positioning themselves on a higher rooftop. With a hand on her hip, she looked down at the squad below and casually asked if they were the reason for her overtime. The Destroyer Squad leader didn't appreciate the relaxed tone. He stated firmly that the Candle Night anomaly devoured people. It was far more serious than a mere request for overtime. A member of Feng Yi's team retorted. Feng Yi then turned to leave, remarking with irony that since the squad seemed so competent, they wouldn't need her help. She announced her team's withdrawal, the Ying Squad. As they left, her subordinates murmured. One worried about their boss's fierce attitude. Another defended her, saying their missions were equally dangerous. The squad leader panicked and called out to her. He apologized for his harsh tone, begging for help and explaining the danger of the Candle Night. Without Wen Feng Yi's main renowned tracking abilities, they would be at a disadvantage. He emphasized that the team's failure would condemn the citizens to death. After agreeing to work together, the two teams took position on a rainy rooftop, ready for the hunt. Feng Yi concentrated. A glowing blue sphere of energy materialized in her hand. She announced the creature was located. The sphere's energy expanded, revealing the monster hidden within the damp, dark ruins of a chemical factory. The Candle Night, a monstrous, multi-eyed, rat-like creature, was feeding. Its record warned it liked darkness, humidity, and humans. With the target located, Feng Yi gave the command to initiate the joint operation. The creature's sharp senses made it look up immediately, sensing their presence. It leaped away, an instant before an attack struck the ground where it had been. A member of the Destroyer Squad warned the target had seen them. He ordered the team to form position. The members moved with impressive speed, their cloaks blurring. They pursued the monster, surrounding it from all sides. With their prey cornered, they shouted together, ready to strike. One charged forward, giving the command. He struck the creature with force, slamming it against debris. But instead of weakening, the monster's body began to change. Red wounds and black thorns emerged on its back. With a furious shriek, the Candle Night counterattacked, creating a vortex of dark energy. Feng Yi desperately shouted for the teams to dodge the sound wave. Her warning came too late. A powerful sonic blast erupted from the creature, throwing the squad members far away. The leader of the Destroyer Squad was flung from the rooftop, plummeting to the street below. A comrade ran to him. The leader, injured but alive, said that if he hadn't pulled back at the last second, he would have fractured his bones. He knew the danger was immense. If the creature remained in the city, it would cause an even greater disaster. The battle took another turn. The Candle Knight transformed. Its throat glowed with green energy, expelling a dark, corrosive substance that filled the air with toxic smoke. It aimed the attack at the ground, melting the street to dig and escape. A member of Su King's team warned about the monster's corrosive dark power. Everything it touched would be destroyed. Su King explained that her team lacked the power to fight it, but she remained calm, ordering them to stay alert without getting in the destroyer squad's way. Their function was to collect information and assist with strategy. Meanwhile, a destroyer, armed with a dagger, prepared to attack the fleeing creature. Suddenly, a pair of menacing red eyes gleamed in the darkness. The Candle Knight, the Lada, charged forward, narrowly dodging an attack from a destroyer. Furious, the leader of the destroyer squad roared, "Don't let the monster escape!" The Lada flew through the city streets, pursued by the hooded members of the Ying squad. From a high rooftop, Su King and two of her subordinates watched. Suddenly, she felt a sharp surge of spiritual energy emanating from the creature. Sensing something important was imminent, Su King ordered her team to stay outside while she followed alone. The chase led them to a large, abandoned factory, dark inside. Su King announced she would scan the area's spiritual energy. The destroyer squad leader noticed the watch on her wrist. She confirmed it was a new association device, indicating a squad could safely handle up to 50 energy. Candle Knight's reading was only 48. Suddenly, the device flickered wildly. The reading shot up to over 80. Su King yelled that the energy levels were going crazy. At that moment, a massive shadowy form with glowing red eyes appeared on the rafters. They had fallen into a trap. Sun Jing realized, horrified, that there was more than one creature in the factory. The monstrous, shadowy face of a new creature emerged right behind them. The destroyer squad leader panicked, shouting, "We need to retreat immediately!" Taking command, Su King suggested a quick retreat through the main door to force the hidden enemy to reveal itself. She fired a blast of energy to clear a path, shouting for the team to follow her. But before they could escape, she cried out in pain and collapsed. Her senses were overwhelmed by an invisible poisonous gas. Suddenly, Su King found herself alone in the vast, greenish darkness of the factory. She called out for her team, but no one answered. She knew they were nearby, but the poison had rendered them unable to perceive her. Connecting the dots, she realized the full extent of the trap. Candle Knight had lured them to this factory, the territory of a far more powerful creature, a giant serpent she had only vaguely sensed. As if summoned by her thoughts, the massive armored head of a shadowy serpent with glowing green eyes appeared before her. Now she understood. Unlike Candle Knight's simple, shadowy power, this creature's black mist was a potent poison. They had been breathing it since they arrived. The gas acted silently, paralyzing victims and draining their spiritual energy. Su King felt hers almost depleted, knowing she would soon be another victim. Collapsing powerlessly, she despaired at the terrifying intelligence of the creature, which was merely toying with them. She closed her eyes, resigned to the end. Lying on the factory floor, she saw a beam of light cut through the green darkness above. A spark of hope flared. The factory roof exploded, and a blinding light filled the area. Her eyes widened as a figure descended from the opening. It was Feng Yi. He landed gracefully amidst the debris, his hooded figure silhouetted against the light from the roof. He stopped before the serpent, immediately identifying it as a creature of dark attribute. Without warning, the serpent lunged with its enormous fangs. Feng Yi dodged the serpent, coming face to face with the snarling, rat-like creature. As the two creatures closed in, he finally understood the trap. In a surprising move, Feng Yi allowed the Candle Knight to bite his shoulder, blood splattering. He realized their tactical intelligence. One drew him in, the other killed. He taunted the beast on his shoulder, asking if it liked biting so much. In response, he unleashed his new power. Bright blue lightning exploded from his body as he dared the monster to taste his lightning attribute. Simultaneously, he fired an enormous beam of golden solar energy from his free hand, striking the advancing serpent. Covered in crackling electricity, Feng Yi shrugged off the stunned creature and focused on the serpent, unleashing a torrent of golden flames and daring it to handle the fire. The serpent charged with a furious roar, mouth agape. With incredible agility, Feng Yi dodged, spinning in the air and brandishing his golden sword. As he landed, he said coldly to the monster, "Look at my blade." The serpent, aware of the challenge and wary of the glowing weapon, recoiled. Seeing his chance, Feng Yi counterattacked. Leaping through the air, he struck a powerful blow to the serpent's face, his sword covered in crackling blue lightning energy. The impact was immense, but the result unexpected. Instead of crushing its skull, the creature's head split open down the middle, revealing a second identical head, like a shedding skin. Feng Yi landed on the ground, surprised. the divided head separated completely, shedding the outer layer and revealing its true, already regenerated form. Green energy pulsed at its neck. Feng Yi knew the fight was far from over. It roared in fury, the intensified electricity overloading its dark power. As the creature writhed, Feng Yi smiled confidently. He had the advantage, noting that the serpent's dark aura was stronger than the Candle Knight's. His plan was revealed. By attacking, Feng Yi had held back the fire, using the blade to channel lightning directly into the serpent's body. This one, he realized, was far more dangerous and evolved than the Candle Knight. Suddenly, he felt a sharp pain in his shoulder, where the rat-like creature had bitten him. Strange purple serpent scales sprouted from the wound. He understood. It was, as he suspected, an intelligent mutant species. The venom injected by its partner's bite had a paralyzing effect capable of killing silently. He felt the intense pain, but his golden sun breathing technique was already at work, fighting the venom. With a determined gaze, Feng Yi knew the counter effect. The energy of his powers pulsed. This blend of yang flame and thunder acted as an early warning against the poison, signaling the pain and allowing him to react quickly. He knew how lucky he was. For others, the serpent's stealthy poison would be incurable. It must have grown so powerful purely through ambush and surprise, he thought, imagining the monster's lair filled with the skulls of its victims. With the Candle Knight as a perfect bait, the two creatures formed a deadly trap even for high-level pioneers, explaining so many disappearances. But in the end, it didn't matter. Watching the enormous skeleton burn to ashes, Feng Yi knew its reign of terror was over. Before the flames, Feng Yi felt satisfied. His inner flame was powerful, but the triple critical strike of his new thunder power sealed the victory. His combat skills, he trusted, rivaled those of high-ranking pioneers. He stood in silence, watching the flames consume the monster. About to leave, he paused and reached out a hand, feeling something. His eyes narrowed. He wasn't alone. Someone was still there. He turned just as a figure stumbled out of the smoke, coughing soot. It was Su King, covered in soot, exhausted but alive. As the smoke cleared, Feng Yi saw the unconscious members of the other squad, with Su King sitting among them. He recognized her as an association agent and said coldly that she didn't need to pretend, as her dead act needed more practice, which surprised her. Embarrassed, Su King covered her face, realizing this was the powerful pioneer she had been tracking. She tried to make up an excuse, claiming she woke up because of the smell, but Feng Yi wasn't fooled. He pointed out that while her comrades were out of energy, she still maintained a small reserve to protect herself. If she had truly been unconscious, she wouldn't have been able to smell anything. Not knowing how to react, Su King merely thanked him awkwardly. Inside, she was impressed. He had noticed everything, including her hidden spiritual energy. She had no idea how he had single-handedly defeated the Candle Knight and the giant serpent. Noticing her embarrassment, Feng Yi softened his tone, telling her she didn't need to cover her eyes. He only wanted honesty and secrecy about his identity. Seeing that she and her team were safe, he said it was late and he was leaving. Su King tried to call out to him, but it was too late. With a "explaining would spoil the surprise," he leaped through the hole in the factory ceiling and vanished into the night. As he moved across the rooftops, Feng Yi thought about the battle. He was relieved that Su King hadn't tried to absorb the monster's dark power. He wondered why he himself couldn't absorb that dark and repulsive power. He supposed the dark energy had already vanished, or that his body had instinctively rejected it, deciding to think about it later. Alone in the enormous abandoned factory, Su King looked at the moonlit hole in the ceiling where Feng Yi had vanished. She sighed, disappointed not to have gotten a good look at his face, and realizing a lack of confidence in herself and the association. Her moment of silence was brief. She quickly reverted to her squad leader persona, walking over to the unconscious destroyer squad captain and shaking him, ordering him to wake up. The man groaned and slowly opened his eyes, bruised and confused. His first thought was panic. He shot up, yelling they'd been ambushed. Su King merely watched with a calm gaze. The leader and the other squad members then saw the reason for her calm: an enormous steaming skeleton of the giant serpent. Stunned and confused, the leader demanded to know what had happened and where that powerful yang energy had come from. Su King calmly replied that the powerful pioneer had rescued them. She continued her carefully crafted report, explaining that the powerful pioneer was likely the target of their original mission, a high-level individual with a yang attribute. She left it hanging that his appearance had been a happy coincidence. The squad members were impressed. A single person had defeated both monsters. Su King added that not only had he not been recruited by them, but he had also tracked her down, making him even more mysterious. Back to work, the destroyer squad leader asked about the Candle Knight's body. He began using green energy to clear the area, remembering they needed to collect the remains for the association. As the teams cleared the area, the leader, using an orb of green energy, gathered the dark remains. Moving forward, he accidentally stepped on a piece of debris that exploded in an intense blue electrical flash. He leapt back, screaming in pain. Su King watched, surprised. The discovery deepened the mystery. The Candle Knight's remains still pulsed with residual electricity. The squad leader turned to Su King, questioning her report. He reminded her she'd said Feng Yi had a yang attribute, but that intense electrical power indicated otherwise. The two leaders knelt to examine the electrified body. Su King was surprised by the sheer force of the residual thunder, confirming it to be a high-level ability. This led the leader to suggest a new possibility. Perhaps two high-level pioneers had appeared, one for each monster, departing together afterward. Su King knew that wasn't it. She tried to find a way to explain the unbelievable truth, remembering Feng Yi wielding both cracking blue thunder and blazing golden fire. No one would believe a single person could possess two high-level powers. One was already a sign of genius. Two, unprecedented. But the impossible proof was right before them. The giant serpent's burning skeleton was the work of a Yang Flamewalker. Candle Knight's electrified body, a clear mark of a thunder tyrant. The teams, in complete astonishment, wondered what kind of monster Feng Yi was, as association reinforcements arrived. Su King was relieved she'd left her team members outside. Had she delayed, they would have reported her missing. She gravely realized the rescue team present had been sent to collect their bodies. Her two subordinates, knocked out by the serpent's venom, finally awoke. They rushed to her, crying with relief at seeing their captain alive. With the threat eliminated, the association team began its work. The function had shifted from rescue to forensic investigation. Using advanced scanning technology, they analyzed the spiritual energy and battle signs to reconstruct the events for the report to headquarters. Soon, an expert approached Su King and the leader of the destroyer squad with their conclusions. After comparing combat patterns and how the monsters were killed, there was a 99% probability that a single person had defeated them. The two leaders exchanged glances, shocked and concerned. The others murmured, incredulous. Saved by a pioneer with two different high-level powers, something unthinkable. Any monster would easily kill them, but that powerful individual had dispatched them in single blows. The power disparity was absurd. Realizing the discovery's importance, Su King contacted her superior. She reported the crucial update regarding the target. Looking at the hole in the ceiling, she confirmed the mysterious university pioneer and the tyrant were the same person. In the office, the association superior listened to the report. After pondering, he gave a new order. Su King was to pause the mission. He explained that the pioneer had saved the team, killed the monsters, and secured the area. These were not the actions of an enemy. He added that he and Major Han Li disagreed on the matter. For her safety, and to avoid making a bad impression on such a powerful ally, she should cease all contact with the tyrant for now. On the phone, Su King, even while agreeing to pause, added another piece of information. Her theory was based on tracking the tyrant to the back mountain, where he was advancing his power. The chief, intrigued, asked for an explanation. She recounted that during that encounter, she had felt an incredibly strong aura at the location. At the time, she suspected a spiritual weapon, but found it improbable. Now, with two high-level powers confirmed, the possibility was real. The association superior was surprised, but questioned if the pioneer truly possessed one. Soon, he expressed skepticism. It was highly unlikely. He argued that no matter how talented, a solo pioneer wouldn't possess such a rare item without external help. The team also hadn't found any traces of a third spiritual energy, typical of separately manufactured weapons. Su King quickly corrected him, clarifying, the aura of the spiritual weapon she'd felt during their first encounter was clearly of the Yang attribute. That new information changed everything. The superior's eyes widened in understanding. If the weapon's attribute came from the user's own Yang energy, he wasn't just using it, but creating it, an astonishing conclusion. If he could create his own spiritual weapons, he must be a spirit creation realm cultivator. Such an individual could do it alone, but this power was legendary. Su King was astonished. Cultivators at this level were extremely rare, barely more than 2 in the entire world. The superior considered an even more frightening possibility. A separate third attribute would shift the balance of power, shaking the pioneer community. He explained that, according to research, different attributes clash within the human body, making coexistence impossible. No pioneer with 3 spiritual attributes had been confirmed. If he truly possessed a spiritual weapon, the absence of a third energy signature was, in fact, a good sign. The call ended, leaving the superior with a single worrying thought. He could only hope such a powerful pioneer would never become an enemy of humanity. Back in his apartment, Feng Yi took a hot shower, washing away the grime and fatigue of battle. As he dried himself, he reflected on the current state of the world. Less than a year remained until the official revitalization of spiritual energy, but dangerous monsters and strange events were already becoming increasingly frequent. He used his Yang attribute to easily dry his clothes, his hand glowing with golden energy, and pondered how many pioneers like him were already cultivating on their own. He remembered the aggressive men from Lava River, realizing that with the connection between the body and the spiritual world open, people naturally became more sensitive to changes. Even without without official approval, many self-taught pioneers had already reached the one-star ghost actions realm. The government's contact via agents like Su Qing with wild pioneers like him indicated a relatively peaceful phase of mutual exploration. In his room, thinking about Major Han Li and Su Qing, Feng Yi concluded that, for now, monsters were under control, and there were no serious conflicts between pioneer groups. As he finished dressing, he knew this peace was fragile. The government had already created the Spiritual Energy Cultivation Association, but kept the public uninformed. He understood the strategy. While people commented on local problems and strange events, the government walked a thin line, seeking to protect humanity and give subtle early warnings without causing mass panic. Despite his recent victories, Feng Yi's analysis of the world situation was still bleak. He knew the problem lay in the government's distrust of officially initiating a large-scale cultivation era with the vast population. He understood that once the truth was revealed, society would likely collapse, plunging into chaos and death. Currently, not even official pioneers could prevent the inevitable chaos, and the combination of internal problems with external monster threats would only worsen the situation. He admitted that the government's careful and gradual approach wasn't wrong, aware that human fear and panic could be more destructive than any monster. What truly worried him, however, was the monster's evolution speed, far exceeding his expectations. He reviewed the information about the creatures he had just faced. They were a typical product of dark attribute contamination, specifically the shadow attribute, a sub-branch of dark energy that his system identified as a natural enemy of pioneers, and for now, unabsorbable for him. He realized these monsters were more intelligent than common beasts, working together to lure and kill pioneers whom they saw as a good food source. He knew, however, that they were still much weaker than the true dark-type monsters from his previous life, creatures capable of destroying entire countries alone. Even so, the danger he faced was a serious reminder of the growing risk. He was certain that, without his presence, Xu Xinying and her squad would have been eliminated. A glimmer of hope emerged as he recalled the system's words. The temporary unabsorbability of the dark attribute suggested that, under certain conditions, he could use this power, something fundamental for future victories. He reviewed his current abilities: the Golden Sun Breath technique, Yang attribute, Divine Thunder, Thunder attribute, and Crimson Flame Blade. With these perfectly compatible high-level techniques, and his current form as a 3-star Ghost Actions Realm pioneer, he knew few could match him. Still, even with his great power, he was fully certain it wasn't enough. His thoughts were suddenly interrupted by his cell phone ringing. Her aunt called. Feng Yi, surprised, heard her explain that his cousin would be coming to the city to study. Concerned for the girl's safety, she asked that his cousin stay at his place for a few days instead of a hotel. Feng Yi barely remembered his cousin, just a quiet, exemplary, study-obsessed student. He couldn't even recall her appearance. Despite this, he agreed, assuring his aunt that there was a spare room. When he asked when she'd arrive, his aunt only said she'd send the address and let her come alone. Elsewhere, in a dark room lit only by a computer screen, Lin Yi typed with long, quick fingers. Wearing a hoodie that revealed her ears, she was ending a call with her mother. Her mother, Feng Yi's aunt, instructed her to arrive at her cousin's apartment the following afternoon and promised to bring some special snacks. Lin Yi politely ended the call, claiming to have other things to do. On the screen, a chat window for the Spiritual Energy Renewal Group, a Vanguard martial arts team. There, user Lin Yi had just announced her arrival in the city and her plans to stay at her cousin's house. After the call, Lin Yi opened a new tab. A rumor alert: the internet-famous City of Death had 3 more disappearances linked to the Pork Beast Challenge. A bloody and disturbing image accompanied the article. Lin Yi identified the location as Hangzhou, her interest visibly piqued. Her mother entered, interrupting her browsing, asking if her bags were packed. She confirmed, but preferred a hotel so as not to bother her cousin. Her mother insisted on the safety of her cousin's house, gently nudging her out. Her mother's last advice: don't cause trouble and help with chores. Lin Yi assured her she understood. With the door closed, Lin Yi sighed, preparing for the visit. Another obstacle. She adjusted her glasses, a determined glint in her eyes. No matter what her cousin was like, he couldn't be harder to fight than a monster. The next day, under a blue sky, a young woman with dark hair and glasses pulled a suitcase towards a building. She confirmed the address on her phone. Looking at the building, she murmured that this must be the place, ready to finally meet the cousin she barely remembered. In front of the building, Lin Yi saw Feng Yi come out with a bag. She called out, "Are you my cousin?" He stopped, surprised, and asked, "Are you Lin Yi?" To himself, he admitted not recognizing her. An awkward silence. Later in the apartment, they sat on the sofa for a polite conversation. Feng Yi asked if she was in the city for a summer camp, which she confirmed. He offered help and handed her the key to her room, which was across from his, before retreating to his own room. Seeing him leave, she felt relieved, believing he wouldn't interfere. Feng Yi, however, wasn't naive. Ever since she sat down, he'd noticed a faint, strange spiritual aura emanating from her. He instantly suspected she was a pioneer. The aura, faint but clear, confirmed it. The summer camp was just an excuse for her real mission in the city. In her room, Lin Yi, confirming Feng Yi's suspicions, messaged the martial arts vanguard. Her cousin seemed calm and wouldn't interfere. The group commented on the powerful lava river pioneer. Lin Yi warned, "Be careful, many powerful ones are still hiding." After agreeing to wait for her signal, she ended the call. She decided to postpone her cultivation, fearing her cousin would discover her secret. 3 days passed. Feng Yi soon realized living with his cousin made his cultivation difficult. Meditations were interrupted at any moment, like when she came out of the bathroom in just a towel. He was also worried about the golden aura of his breathing technique, too obvious to hide. But the hardest part was her overwhelming kindness. One evening, she served a delicious dinner she had prepared. He tried to wash the dishes, but she refused, saying it was the least she could do. Feng Yi found her polite perfection and extreme cleanliness almost strange, but despite the discomfort, he decided to accept it. He thought that by letting her be overly helpful, she would lower her guard. It would be his only chance to discover what she was really up to. The peaceful dinner was interrupted by her phone vibrating on the table. Both looked at the message, surprised. Feng Yi seized the opportunity to excuse himself and retreated, giving her privacy. His cousin nodded silently as he left. Alone, she pondered for a moment before picking up her phone. Sitting on the bed, she answered the call with seriousness. She repeated the information. The great change of heaven and earth would occur again tomorrow at 3 in the afternoon. She promised to be there. Feng Yi overheard his cousin's conversation without difficulty. She agreed to meet at the entrance of Yanghu, an internet-famous suburban town about an hour away. With his suspicions confirmed, he watched her through the wall, his spiritual energy intensifying. He was certain his cousin was also a pioneer. He was confident, however, that with her current strength, she wouldn't perceive him lurking. He was impressed by her power. An elementary school student, yet already in the 2-star realm of high ghosts, close to another breakthrough. Feng Yi wondered if her high talent justified her peculiar personality. Now, he understood her true purpose in the city. The summer camp was just an excuse. She had discovered the impending great change of heaven and earth and was coming to its epicenter. Feng Yi knew such events were chances to acquire new techniques to increase one's strength. What kind of power would emerge now? It didn't matter. Determined, Feng Yi decided he would claim any power that emerged for himself. In the room, his cousin suddenly stopped, feeling watched. She looked around, but the moonlit mountains were the only view. She dismissed the feeling and continued her preparations. The next day, the city of Yanhu was bustling. At the entrance, with the mountains in the background, Lin Yi met a friend from her pioneer group. Her friend teased, asking if her cousin was handsome. Lin Yi replied that he was a good person but ordinary looking. Her friend sighed, disappointed. Just then, a redhead in a purple dress joined them, reminding them that Lin Yi always considered herself just an ordinary person. With the team complete, the redhead announced it was time for business. A man asked about an absent member. The redhead confirmed there would only be 6 of them, explaining that members' whereabouts were always a mystery. From a nearby cafe balcony, Feng Yi watched, his sword by his side. He noticed that his cousin's group, though discreet, emanated power. The weakest was a 2-star high ghost, the man who spoke, a 3-star. As he watched, Feng Yi overheard that the team was generally stronger, with a powerful member frequently absent. His attention then focused on the mountains surrounding the city. His eyes narrowed in anticipation, sensing that the real event was about to begin there. High in the mountains, the great shift of heaven and earth finally erupted. A colossal green vine descended from the clouds, like a legendary beanstalk. This random, non-destructive event was a key for pioneers to understand the world's transformations. Deep within the misty mountains, Lin Yi and her team came upon the incredible sight. The red-haired leader, full of awe, confirmed it was what they sought. The group stared in disbelief at the immense, pulsating vine. Awe, however, soon turned to fear. The adventurous friend paled and, trembling, desperately begged them to stop, explaining that the sight of the vine personally filled her with a terrible sensation. The leader asked about the rumors on the forums. Her friend's fear stemmed from a dark story. She knew pioneers, much stronger than their group, who had touched the vine during its last appearance and met a horrible end, their skeletons twisted among the roots of the plant's shadowy version. Overwhelmed by terror, she clutched her head, fearing the same fate for them all. For an instant, the surrounding reality shifted. They were no longer on the mountain, but trapped in a pulsating, red, flesh-like cave, with a floor of organic tentacles. The vision of their deaths was nothing more than a frightening premonition. Back on the misty trail, her friend still trembled with dread. Though initially willing to risk everything as a pioneer, seeing the vine brought an overwhelming fear. Her instincts screamed. It was a new, unknown, high-level monster, a mutation she could never hope to face. With tears in her eyes, she declared she wasn't ready to die there and wanted to give up. The red-haired leader and Lin Yin looked at their companion, understanding. They all felt the same oppressive weight from the vine. Lin Yin described it, an absolute void, as if all life had been swallowed by time, leaving behind only an empty husk. This was why the dread. The group concluded the vine was trying to devour their life force. Just as the frightened friend was about to panic, Lin Yin grasped her hand, her resolve fierce. She declared this was the path of the martial pioneer which demanded facing dangers head-on. Unseen by the group, Feng Yi observed from a cliff. He also felt the giant vine's suffocating death energy. Of all the monsters he had faced, save for those with dark attributes, this vine evoked the worst sensation. He admitted the small group had courage for even considering cultivating in such a perilous place. He analyzed the monster closely. Though it was a plant, a symbol of life, it appeared utterly dead, merely pretending to be alive, devoid of its own spiritual energy. He saw that it was stained with blood and the bodies of past victims. Back with the group, Lin Yin took charge. On the cliff's edge, she spoke to the team with a new purpose. They had no time to waste. Aware of the danger, Lin Yi proposed a new plan. Sense the monster's energy from a distance, safely examining the area. Lin Yi found a high point in a tree and meditated, enveloping herself in a protective bubble of blue spiritual energy. From a distant cliff, Feng Yi watched. Impressed by the group's caution, Feng Yi noted the safe and ideal distance for cultivating. He recognized his cousin's merit, the top student, for finding the perfect range, neither overly cautious nor cowardly. As Lin Yi's cultivation grew stronger, the spiritual energy around her intensified. Feng Yi watched, surprised, as she was about to achieve a breakthrough to the 3-star realm of phantom deeds. He was genuinely impressed. In a flash of blue light, Lin Yi successfully broke through. Her companions watched, astonished by the high level of power she already possessed, proving her exceptional talent. The enormous energy disturbance from the breakthrough did not go unnoticed. Deep within the forest, the dormant roots of the giant vine writhed and glowed with an eerie green light. The pioneers felt the ground tremble, and one of them looked back, alarmed. The group panicked. The monstrous vine moved towards them, its tentacles erupting from the ground in a swift and brutal attack. Vicious green tentacles emerged from the ground, ensnaring 2 pioneers. The rest of the team scattered in a panic, while the trapped friends screamed for them to run, warning that death would be certain if they didn't escape. The leader quickly realized the cause of the disaster. Lin Yi's breakthrough had generated too many disturbances, attracting the monster. Dark green tentacles began to coil around Lin Yi's protective bubble, which weakened after the breakthrough, still enveloped her. The leader knew that in this state, they could not be captured. If the vine enveloped them, its deadly aura would instantly devour them. Under immense pressure, Lin Yi's energy shield began to crack. Chaos ensued as the red-haired leader tried to pull her panicked friend to safety. The friend screamed not to leave Lin Yi behind, but the desperate leader questioned what they would do. Furious, she asked if she should use her own precious spiritual energy to protect Lin Yi, basically dying so her companion could level up. Amidst the chaos, the red-haired leader tried to calm one of the men who argued that they should leave Lin Yi to save themselves. He coldly stated that life and death were destiny, and that if they didn't leave immediately, everyone would die along with her. He reminded her that they were just people who met by chance, and that she was being overly emotional. This cold, practical view, however, only made the leader even more furious. She shoved him hard, yelling that she wouldn't abandon her companion, even if it meant going against the group's rescue. From atop the cliff, Feng Yi observed the scene. He knew that his cousin, still a student, barely comprehended the danger, kept weakened in meditation. The vine's power was overwhelming, and although uncertain if he could save her at full strength, he needed to act fast. With the tentacles crushing her barrier, he clenched his fist, a golden aura erupting around him. He had promised his aunt to look after her, and promises are meant to be kept. The red-haired leader sprang into action, leaping through the vines to reach her friend. She landed a powerful kick, severing a tentacle, but the victory was brief. Dozens of other vines emerged, completely ensnaring her. Just as they were about to crush her, her cousin's protective shield finally shattered. Before the monstrous plant could seize its new victims, Feng Yi intervened, leaping through the air. He unleashed 2 arcs of glowing golden energy from his sword. The rest of her cousin's team could only watch in horror, shouting her name as the shield shattered. An immense blast of energy, in the form of a flaming phoenix, descended from the sky, striking the massive vines with explosive force. Feng Yi landed gracefully in the now cleared area, a pillar of golden flames erupting from the ground. He had saved the cousin and the courageous leader just in time. Enveloped in a brilliant aura, Feng Yi's presence dominated the deadly vine. The surviving members of the pioneer squad watched in stunned silence. The monstrous plant that had almost killed them moments ago recoiled before the overwhelming yang energy. Its tentacles retracted from the intense light, hissing and dissolving. As Feng Yi descended, shrouded in radiant brilliance, the pioneers shielded their eyes, barely comprehending what was happening. The pragmatic pioneer who had suggested abandoning the cousin was shocked, questioning if this newcomer was also a pioneer. The redhead leader, equally stunned, recognized in this power the purest form of the yang attribute, knowing that only such a level could repel the life-sucking monster. The pioneer suffered a crisis of confidence. He had always considered himself talented, reaching the 3-star realm realm of phantom feats in record time, an achievement few in the country could match. He knew that even the talented Lin Yi could barely match his skills, and yet, this mysterious stranger was on a completely different level. He looked at his own hands and then at the radiant figure on the cliff, feeling insignificant. If pioneers like that existed, what were they? The newcomer surpassed them all with pure, overwhelming power. As Feng Yi remained enveloped in the golden light, his system activated. It detected the extreme attribute of the deadly vine and began automatic scripting for a new technique. The system window displayed Infinite Vitality, a technique capable of instantly absorbing surrounding life force to rapidly heal injuries. With the vine's power flowing into him, Feng Yi was enveloped by a wave of green, vitalizing energy. Marveling at the wood attribute technique, he realized that with life nearby, he would possess an inexhaustible source of absorption energy. As he absorbed the last remnant of anomalous power, his system extracted the vine's core attribute, Desolation. It was a terrifying power, capable of instantly creating an aura that would destroy all life around it. Feng Yi remained calm amidst the swirling green energy, absorbing the new power. When he opened his eyes, they gleamed with the same intense green as the desolating vine. He stood in the now lifeless clearing, a faint green aura surrounding him. He finally understood why the vine could only grow there. Anywhere else, it would drain life for miles around. The relentless nature of the desolation attribute stole the life force of others. His thoughts were interrupted by the grateful voice of the redhead leader. She approached, her clothes torn and body covered in bruises, and thanked him profusely, stating that without him, they would all be dead. She asked how they could repay him. Feng Yi simply waved, unconcerned, saying there was no need and that they would meet again. He turned his back and left. In his mind, he didn't see himself as a hero. He knew he had only found this opportunity thanks to their information. He was the one who had truly benefited. As for the conflict among the pioneers, he wasn't concerned. With one final leap, he launched himself into the air, leaving the stunned squad behind. He knew that true character was revealed in a crisis, and a disorganized team would have no security in the new dangerous era. In the empty clearing, the adventurous girl and the disheveled-haired man watched him depart. Still in shock, the girl asked what they would do now. The man replied with a bitter tone, asking if she regretted her hesitation in saving their companions. With the immediate threat removed, leader Li Yi was now at the third level. The red-haired leader knew that staying together was the best option. Sometime later, Yi's eyes opened, glowing with an intense blue. Coming out of her meditation, her companions rushed to her side, relieved to see her awake. The pioneer who had suggested abandoning her said that their fate now depended on the leader's wisdom. Another companion, however, insisted that the focus should be on the mysterious stranger who had saved them. Still confused, Yi asked what had happened, noticing the other companions lying unconscious on the ground. Upon standing up, she was immediately hit by the burning, powerful heat of a remnant of the yang attribute in a nearby tree. She felt the intensity of the heat even from a distance. The disheveled-haired man stepped forward, offering to explain what had happened while she had been unconscious. Later, back at her cousin's apartment, Yi was still trying to understand the unbelievable events. She couldn't believe someone so powerful truly existed. Her companion's words echoed in her mind. The companion had described the mysterious pioneer. The previously untouchable vines were easily repelled, and the gigantic beanstalk retreated into the sky. The presence of the man who had saved her was overwhelming. Yi realized that even after he left, the vine remained calm, a sign of the lingering power. Upon opening the door, she was surprised to see Feng Yi. He noticed she was pale, but she quickly composed herself, forcing a smile to ward off his concern, blaming the day's exhaustion. Feng Yi accepted the excuse, suggesting she rest and offering to order dinner. Yi agreed, and upon reaching her room, Yi knew that advancements were mentally draining. She felt exhausted, more so than from sleepless nights, but also relieved. She was no longer an ordinary person, immune to a death by mere insomnia. She accepted that the constant struggle against death was the destiny of a pioneer in this new world. She reflected on her cousin's peaceful life, something impossible for herself. Her thoughts were interrupted by a new message in the pioneer group. Jianlan, the mysterious and powerful member who rarely appeared, sent a direct message. If there are any more traces of that strong man, please inform me. Lan's first message in the group caught Yi's attention. Yi replied, agreeing, and then asked the group if the man who had saved her was the same one from the Black River Lava Dragon incident, and if so, why he would help them. The chat lit up with a post about the mysterious high-level master of the Yang attribute. The post detailed his sun-splitting strike, describing the witness being forced out of the cave by an explosion of white, incandescent light. The author claimed that no other pioneer in Xia could match such power, warning everyone to stay away if they encountered him. Meanwhile, that night, Feng Yi went out on his bike, certain that the day's events would make his cousin lower her guard, allowing him to come and go without suspicion. With this freedom, his mission was to find a suitable receptacle for his new desolation attribute. Knowing the power was most compatible with plants, he pedaled all night in his search. Under the moonlight, he pondered how to use his newly acquired attribute. Though powerful, it was essentially dangerous, based on destruction and decay. He feared that incorporating it could cause negative reactions, or that its malevolent nature would conflict with his purifying thunder attribute. The best solution would be to find a receptacle, like the strange vine. He imagined that the original vine monster emerged when an ordinary plant, sensing the return of spiritual energy, evolved, creating the desolation attribute to accumulate more power. With a clear plan and a confident smile, Feng Yi knew where to go. He followed a moonlit road to the forest park. He left his bike and entered the woods under the intense light of the full moon. He walked through a field of vibrant, luminous flowers, seeking the perfect plant, one capable of intensely connecting to his spiritual energy. He closed his eyes, concentrating. A bright green aura flowed from Feng Yi, spreading his spiritual energy through the forest and covering the plants. He felt a response from them, a wave of energy rising to meet him. Yet, the reaction, though large, was not strong enough. As Feng Yi continued to emit energy, he realized he needed a much more intense response. Suddenly, he stopped, his attention drawn to a specific spot in the forest. There, in the tall grass, a single white flower with a glowing center swayed gently, as if calling to him. Could it be her? He approached carefully, extending his finger. As his fingertip touched it, the flower's petals closed. He felt the plant absorb his spiritual energy. The flower bloomed again, looking sated, as if after a good meal. Feng Yi knelt down, smiling. He noted its strong spirituality. The plant, though simple, had reacted like a hungry pup, devouring his energy and nuzzling his fingers for more. Feng Yi knew he had found his receptacle. Throughout the entire forest, it was the one that had reacted most to his aura, the perfect vessel for the desolation attribute. He told the flower it was the chosen one and asked if it was ready. Without waiting for an answer, he released a vortex of green spiritual energy, concentrating it on the small white flower. A system window popped up, asking for confirmation. Do you wish to forcibly implant the desolation attribute into this plant? His eyes gleaming a vibrant green, he consented. An intense light erupted from his hand, and the flower began to transform, its petals unfurling into a larger, more complex, and powerful form. The implantation process concluded in a bright green flash. Feng Yi was surprised by the sudden burst of power. The small, simple white flower had been completely transformed. Its petals had opened into a beautiful lotus-like flower, and its leaves grew thick and radiant, everything emanating a powerful green aura. The newly energized flower immediately showed its influence. It released a massive wave of desolation energy, its roots penetrating the soil to absorb power. The effect was instantaneous and destructive. The lush forest surrounding Feng Yi was drained of life in seconds. The trees died and the ground turned to dust. Feng Yi was impressed by the malevolent power of the desolation attribute. In moments, the energy had already consumed part of the forest. Then, the flower's light weakened, and its form shrunk again. Feng Yi knew he had to leave. If he continued, the energy disturbance would attract the Spiritual Energy Association. He crouched down and pulled up the glowing flower, roots and all. He knew the park's risk, near the center, monitored by the association, which feared spiritual revitalization turning common plants into threats. He had already noticed the increase in cameras and the absence of people upon arriving. As he walked away, holding his prize, he noticed something incredible. The flower continued to absorb energy from the air, surviving and thriving, even without roots connected to the soil. Feng Yi observed, amazed. Its spirituality hadn't weakened since it was pulled up. It was magical, especially for being a common wildflower, just moments before it was chosen. This led him to a profound conclusion. By granting the plant the desolation attribute, he had unlocked its evolutionary potential, setting it on a path to become something far greater than it ever should have been. Just as Feng Yi was about to leave the park, a thunderous alarm echoed through the forest, with red lights flashing and a robotic voice sounding in a grave tone. Abnormal value exceeded. Feng Yi immediately realized that, even with his haste, he had activated the park's monitoring system. Without time to lose, he grabbed his newly acquired desolation flower and swiftly departed. Miles away, at the Spiritual Energy Revitalization Research Department, the same alarms blared in a high-tech control room. Technicians rushed around shouting about the anomalous value being out of control and demanding explanations. Quickly, an order was given. All personnel were to put on their protective bracelets, enter the park, and completely block off the area. A team with full protective gear entered the now lifeless section of the forest. One of the members checked their wrist device. The reading showed a dangerously high value of 30. Startled, he commented that the value was alarming. The incident at Xingxing University had ranged between 8 and 10. The mighty Black River lava dragon had peaked at 25. Another member added that the park's spiritual level had never exceeded 10. While one researcher collected soil samples, another reported strange findings. Humidity, temperature, and sunlight were normal. All plants in the area had been drained of life. The team leader decided to approach the center to discover the spiritual attribute behind the event. However, when a member advanced, a bespectacled senior researcher shouted for them to stop and not get any closer. He warned them seriously not to touch anything, identifying the residual energy as the desolation attribute. He then asked if they knew about the vine that had recently descended from the sky. The young researchers were stunned. One of them, with growing horror, realized the senior was referring to the infamous demonic vine, already an A-level mutation. The senior researcher confirmed, projecting a spectral image of the vine and the souls of its trapped victims. He explained the origin of its terrifying and lethal power, which had killed so many pioneers. It was the natural attribute of desolation, a powerful parasitic ability that drained the life force from creatures, making everything it touched its own. The young researcher, about to enter the dead area, clutched his chest, sweating and gasping in terror. He thanked the superior, realizing they had just been saved. The senior explained that the area around plants with the desolation attribute was a dead zone, where the life force of anyone entering would be devoured. He recalled data about a similar plant in Xia country, an ancient, decaying tree in a forbidden zone of Wan City that instantly destroyed any nearby life. He looked at the lifeless clearing, concerned about the plant mutations of this new era, which could not be ignored. Desolation was the most powerful attribute a plant could awaken, and now, in addition to the ancient tree and the celestial vine, a third had arisen. His explanation was interrupted by a hand on his shoulder. The team turned, surprised, to Major Han Li, who had arrived with his group of soldiers. The major was already aware of the situation. He ordered the researchers to switch into the advanced protective suits brought by his men and follow them into the contaminated area. With Major Han Li at the forefront, the newly equipped team, accompanied by Su Qinying, advanced steadily into the dead zone. With their scanners, they made confusing discoveries. They didn't find the source of the desolation energy, and the aura was rapidly weakening. The level had already dropped to 25 within minutes. This contradicted what they knew about the celestial vine, which was supposed to be mobile. Major Han Li turned to Su Qinying, suggesting a closer investigation. She agreed gravely. While the Major and Su Qinying began their investigation, two team members with brightly glowing blue auras tracked the flow of residual spiritual energy. The energy trails guided them from the edges of the dead zone back to a starting point. As they approached, they stopped, shocked. The Major and Su Qinying realized the terrible truth simultaneously. The source of the desolation energy had been unearthed and taken. A researcher in a protective suit, incredulous, questioned how such a thing was possible. Major Han Li knew. If someone had the power to enter the desolation dead zone and steal its source, that person's identity was crucial. Su Qinying, however, had another theory. She showed the Major a glowing tablet, explaining that a big data analysis had revealed someone whose movements coincided with this incident and another recent mutation. On the screen, the file displayed a photo of Feng Yi, with his name clearly visible. At that moment, the Major told Su Qinying he would send her all the information on Feng Yi, confirming it was highly probable he was the pioneer she had made contact with. He adjusted his hat and said the rest was up to her association. Alone amidst the desolate flowers, Su Qinying held the tablet, her expression heavy with somber understanding. 2 hours later, back at the apartment, Feng Yi smiled as he placed his desolation flower in a vase, naming it Obedient Little White Flower. He knew that with its new attribute, it would grow on its own and become a powerful ally. Its life-draining powers would be vital in battle. Its simple experience would serve as a perfect disguise for his cousin. Touching a petal, he mused. In this new world, brute force was insufficient. Victory would depend on secret weapons. Feng Yi's quiet night was interrupted by his cell phone. Surprised, he saw the caller ID, Old Wang. He immediately recognized his childhood friend, Wang Leng. They hadn't seen each other in 3 years, not since Wang Leng had left for the army. A brief flashback revealed their strong school friendship, broken by Wang Leng's sudden decision to enlist. Feng Yi answered. On the other end, Wang Leng's cheerful voice greeted him, asking if he was back in the city and inviting him for a drink at their old hangout. Feng Yi found the sudden call strange. Wang Leng laughed, saying he had a big secret and that Feng Yi shouldn't be shocked. However, what seemed like a friendly reunion was a trap. Once he hung up, it was revealed Wang Leng wasn't alone. In a dimly lit room, Wang Leng reported to a high-ranking officer, a tough woman with long red hair, a scarred body, and a military uniform. Su Qing was also at the table. Wang Leng confirmed he had carried out the instructions. Then, he requested that if Feng Yi wasn't the one they were looking for, his safety be guaranteed. The red-haired officer drummed her fingers impatiently on the table. Coldly, she dismissed his concern, ordering him to complete the mission without unnecessary action. actions. In a chilling tone, she added that if Feng Yi wasn't the right one, Wang Leng should consider it a punishment for his friend. At a bar, Feng Yi and Wang Leng clinked their beer mugs. They sat, drinking and catching up after 3 years. Feng Yi noticed his friend was more mature, imagining the army's rigor. Wang Leng spoke of his military experiences. Before he could ask about Feng Yi, the latter simply replied he was fine and in college. As he drank, Feng Yi recalled his past life, that chaotic time. He had never seen Wang Leng again. His friend, a soldier, had probably died in a forgotten battle. He wondered if, in this new life, he could change his friend's fate. Then, Wang Leng changed the subject, his tone serious. He asked Feng Yi if he had seen anything strange lately, like zombies or movie monsters. Feng Yi became alert. It wasn't surprising the army knew about spiritual energy, but the direct question seemed like a test. Feigning ignorance, he asked what Wang Leng meant. Wang Leng sighed, explaining he wasn't confronting him, but warning him. Soon, education, wealth, status, everything they valued would be useless. The world order was about to change. Feng Yi listened intently, expressionless, staring at his glass. He knew about the secrecy imposed on soldiers regarding the rebirth of spiritual energy. His suspicion was confirmed. The army had identified him. Wang Leng, his childhood friend, had been sent to test him. Seeing Feng Yi's silence, Wang Leng tried to reassure him. He told him not to worry, that as long as he revealed nothing, he would be safe. Feng Yi, however, understood the situation behind his feigned ignorance. Wang Leng was helping him, risking violating military rules. Wang Leng was subtly warning him about the impending changes. Suddenly, their conversation was interrupted. His cell phone vibrated urgently. He answered. A furious voice ordered his immediate return to the team, to the designated location. In less than 10 minutes, Wang Leng was already standing at attention, accepting the order. Feng Yi watched him rise quickly, apologizing. An urgent mission prevented him from accompanying him home. As his friend was about to leave, Feng Yi dropped the act. He asked if the mission was connected to the rebirth of spiritual energy and requested to come along. Wang Leng stopped, turning around, shocked and confused. Feng Yi stood up and grabbed his friend's collar. He ordered him to take him to his superiors, making it clear that he knew the true reason for the meeting. He stated he didn't know what the superiors knew, but he was sure Wang Leng would never harm him. He explained his interest in what the army was facing, as he knew it was connected to the great global changes. The Spiritual Energy Association already dealt with monsters. He wanted to personally see the army's role. Wang Leng agreed. The two headed to an enormous, heavily guarded military base in a mountain valley, Military Spiritual Forbidden Zone, number 19. As they approached, Feng Yi was impressed by the density of the spiritual energy. Its concentration level surpassed that of a standard pollution zone. Soon, a squad of soldiers received them. One of them ordered Wang Leng's return to his team. After a quick verification, the soldiers allowed Feng Yi entry, guiding him through a well-lit corridor. Inside the facility, Feng Yi and Wang Leng were led to an enormous underground training field. Soldiers battled desperately, using shimmering blue energy to contain a monstrous, spiky creature, entirely black with a single glowing red eye. The beast retaliated furiously, firing a devastating beam of red energy that tore through the ranks, provoking screams of pain and fear. From an elevated platform, a stern red-haired officer observed the scene critically. Led to her, Feng Yi quickly perceived the creature's dual power. The officer confirmed. The monster was a perfect fusion of darkness and fire attributes, which made it exceptionally fierce and cruel, having already severely wounded several soldiers. Identified as Ji Feng, a 3-star Ghost Realm officer, she spotted Wang Leng. She shouted his name and he promptly stood at attention. Furious, she asked why he had brought an unauthorized person into the restricted area, cutting him off before he could explain. Her expression softened. She told him to forget about it. The situation was urgent and they needed him in the formation. She turned to Feng Yi, seeing nothing special, just a lightly activated spiritual energy. For an instant, she considered if he might be the powerful pioneer they sought, but quickly dismissed the idea, focusing on the battle. She gave a stern warning. As Wang Yang's friend, she wouldn't say much, but being in a restricted area, his life would be his own responsibility. Furthermore, he had to swear secrecy about everything he saw. Feng Yi simply replied that he understood. Ji Feng took command, raised a massive energy cannon, and called 2 soldiers. The 2 acted immediately, their bodies enveloped in blue energy, confronting the monster up close. Ji Feng then aimed at the ground and fired a gigantic beam of pure energy at the creature. The attack hit the monster squarely, creating a massive explosion, but the creature was far from defeated. The creature let out a furious roar as its shadowy form pulsed with a terrifying red light. Its fanged mouth opened even wider, more menacingly. The attack had only irritated it, accelerating its mutation. Enraged, the monster struck with its massive claw. A soldier warned his companion, who blocked the attack but was thrown back by the force of the impact. Ji Feng took command, ordering the team to keep their distance and not be careless. She knew they needed to eliminate the creature before its evolution was complete. Watching, Feng Yi was impressed by the soldiers' performance. A well-trained team, united by trust, discipline, and coordination. coordination. He knew of the synergy between them, of the strength that came from unity. However, that thought was cut short when he noticed the monster's power growing at an alarming rate. He shouted for them to run, warning that they were no match for the creature in its current state. But his warning was lost in the chaos. The monster fired a massive blast of purple energy, sending the soldiers flying. Ji Feng, refusing to retreat, ordered the team to raise the alert level and update the restricted area's mutation grade. Its eyes gleamed with pure malice. As a terrified soldier screamed, the evil hound had completed its mutation, merging with the darkness. Its single eye, a flaming red orb, fixed on a target. It aimed at Wang Liang, who stared back, paralyzed. Ji Feng and Feng Yi reacted in horror, realizing Wang Liang's mortal danger as the monster prepared to attack. In an explosion of power, the creature surged forward, violently throwing a soldier backward with an energy wave. Ji Feng alerted the team. The C-level evil hound had mutated, becoming a B-level threat and requiring an immediate change in the combat plan. The thrown soldier coughed blood. Feng Yi rushed to him, supporting him and asking if he was okay. The injured man explained that he was trying to send energy to the containment collar, but the creature's evolution made it explode violently. Even as he coughed up thick black fluid, he tried to be brave, telling Feng Yi not to worry about the restricted area officers. Feng Yi glared, a dark and irritated expression on his face, realizing the futility of normal weapons. Ji Feng dropped her heavy energy cannon to the ground. Ji Feng stood before the remaining soldiers, her determination unwavering, and gave a desperate final order. No matter the cost, the B-level mutation could not escape the restricted zone. But just as she and her team prepared for their last stand, Feng Yi stepped forward, positioning himself in front of her and blocking her path. Ji Feng demanded to know what he was doing, but he ignored her. His eyes and hand glowed with intense blue light, pure arcs of lightning crackling around him, a clear sign of imminent battle. Enveloped in blue lightning, Feng Yi mocked the creature, his eyes gleaming with power as he questioned its resilience. Then, he charged at the mutant beast. His arm transformed into a brilliant blue lightning bolt pointed directly at its head. The impact was colossal. A massive explosion of divine thunder completely overwhelmed the monster. The force of the attack created such a powerful shockwave that it threw nearby soldiers backward. An astonished soldier could hardly believe it. That was the B-level monster that even Ji Feng couldn't defeat alone. Wang Liang, equally shocked, turned to Ji Feng and asked if their friend was truly who they imagined. With a serious look, she confirmed there was no mistake. She confirmed, without a doubt, he was the pioneer known as the Tyrant. Feng Yi remained calm before the creature, which still burned with residual flames but was clearly injured by the lightning. Seeing that it wasn't completely defeated, he concluded he needed to finish the job. Then, he told Ji Feng and Wang Liang to step back. Ji Feng watched, pondering how her team needed a complex formation for a B-level threat, while Feng Yi prepared to handle everything alone. She wondered what kind of power he possessed. Ji Feng had to admit, she had never seen such pure and extreme mastery of thunder. He was already an elite pioneer, and she could barely imagine his potential with the rebirth of spiritual energy. As she watched Feng Yi raise his hand, gathering even more electrical energy, astonishment spread across her face. She saw an enormous thunder energy storm form in the sky above Feng Yi. With a final step, he unleashed the full power of his attribute. An immense pillar of brilliant blue lightning erupted from the ground where the monster stood, a display that truly lived up to his codename, the Tyrant. His eyes still crackled with residual electricity, showing calm determination as the light from the attack dissipated. The surviving soldiers watched in shock. One of them commented that the scene made him tremble. If the monster's corrosive power of darkness was already tough, the purely destructive force of thunder was on another level entirely. When the dust settled, Feng Yi casually gave his friend a thumbs up, threat eliminated. Wang Liang rushed over to him, shouting in relief that Feng Yi had scared him half to death. Then, he playfully punched his friend's shoulder, laughing, "I never imagined my old buddy was so powerful." The mood shifted when Wang Liang apologized, admitting he suspected Feng Yi was a pioneer but had to follow orders. Feng Yi took it in stride. "Why so formal after 3 years? I understand our reunion was cut short." Ji Feng approached, formally thanking Feng Yi for his help, extending her hand with a slight smile. Feng Yi accepted the gesture, shaking her hand and responding that it was no problem. He acted mainly to save his friend. Ji Feng then formally introduced herself as the guardian responsible for Forbidden Area 019. She explained that since he had saved the base, they needed a proper report and asked if he could leave his contact information. Feng Yi agreed without hesitation, while Wang Liang watched in silence, surprised by the strict commander's consideration consideration for his childhood friend. With the formalities concluded, Jifeng made a direct and serious proposition. Feng Yi's strength surpassed that of many special army pioneers, and she formally invited him to join the armed forces. However, she admitted that an invitation coming from a base guardian like herself probably wouldn't convince him. Internally, she tried to grasp the immensity of his power, shocked to realize he was a 3-star Ghost Axe realm cultivator, just like her. Even so, his abilities had already reached a level far beyond the known limits of that realm, making him a true monster in terms of power. Feng Yi calmly asked Jifeng if she truly felt she didn't have the authority to invite him with the weight of higher command. She confirmed, having nothing to deny, explaining that the order to involve him came from higher command, and that they would certainly come personally to invite him in the future. Feng Yi gave a soft laugh, saying there was no need for such formality. He affirmed that he genuinely respected everyone there, acknowledging that not everyone had the courage to sacrifice themselves for others. He admitted he had never witnessed soldiers in combat, and what he had seen moved him. Touched by his sincerity, Jifeng merely thanked him in a low voice. Then Feng Yi made a proposition. If they faced problems in the future, they could call him for help, just as they always did to protect ordinary people like him. However, he added a crucial condition. They could not interfere with his personal cultivation, nor restrict his freedom. The unexpected proposition surprised Jifeng. With the matter settled, Feng Yi, noticing the late hour, bid them farewell. Jifeng agreed, while she and Wang Liang were still dealing with the creature's body, promising to arrange its transport. As he said goodbye to the soldiers, Feng Yi finally understood the true purpose of the army. In this new era, they used dangerous zones rich in spiritual energy for training, and, crucially, as a defense between the common world and the worlds that now threatened it. After Feng Yi's departure, Jifeng commented to Wang Liang that their friend surpassed the definition of impressive. She knew that what they had seen was only a fraction of his strength, and for a pioneer to achieve such power in such a short time revealed extraordinary perception. He was, she concluded, a rare combination of luck, courage, and raw skill, the elements of true greatness. Seeing the commander's respect, Wang Liang, animated, suggested that if she didn't feel she was the right person to recruit him, he, as a childhood friend, should take on the task. Jifeng, however, brought him back to reality with a light tap on the head, ordering him to stop talking and help with the cleanup. He merely agreed, being dragged off to work. Later that night, back at his apartment, Feng Yi meditated on the rooftop, enveloped in a bright golden aura. He reflected on the encounter with the army. He knew the visit had revealed his identity, but he had only exposed his thunder attribute, keeping other powers secret. Their respectful attitude confirmed that it was a positive development. He now understood that his rare thunder attribute, a perfect counterattack against the dark monsters the army fought, made him a valuable resource. Feng Yi knew they would try to recruit him, not threaten him, which would give him access to faster methods of self-improvement and advanced information. The day's events also clarified the roles of the nation's two leading pioneer forces. The army, through Jifeng, acted as night watchmen, hidden protectors, and the Spiritual Energy Cultivation Association, with agents like Su Qing, dealt with urban threats, safeguarding civilian lives. Feng Yi understood the government's dual strategy, using forbidden zones to contain the greatest dangers and gradually releasing information to the public about the approaching changes. This careful approach bought time, preventing social chaos. As he meditated, a golden sphere pulsed within his core. Despite absorbing the rich energy from the forbidden zone, he felt no immediate need to advance a level, but the sensation soon changed. Golden energy surged through his body, and cracks of power spread across his face. His time in the spiritually rich zone had completely filled him. He recognized the signs. He was about to achieve another breakthrough. Meanwhile, on the streets, his cousin Lin Yi walked home with shopping bags, wondering if Feng Yi had already returned. She thought about having him taste her food if he was home, but her thoughts were abruptly interrupted when, looking up, she saw an enormous pillar of golden light erupt from the night sky. Coming from the direction of their apartment building, her eyes widened in shock and alarm. A flaming divine axe reflected in her gaze. She recognized the powerful energy of a phantom axe realm breakthrough, quickly realizing her mistake. On the street, Lin Yi stopped, astonished. The colossal flaming divine axe in the sky emanated a terrifying power far beyond a common breakthrough. Although she recognized the strength of a phantom axe realm, this was something more, an energy capable of altering reality itself. When a gigantic golden divine hand formed among the clouds, she understood the terrible truth. It was the legendary spiritual creation realm. The realization of an unimaginably powerful pioneer so close by caused deep shock and fear. The gigantic energy surge did not not go unnoticed. Miles away, in a high-tech command center, deafening alarms blared and technicians monitored an urgent alert. Anomaly Index 99, catastrophic, located in the southeast of the city. An officer and Su Qing reacted with alarm. The officer demanded, "What's going on? All units, move out!" Su Qing questioned how something so powerful could have gone unnoticed, an energy capable of destroying the entire city. In a tense emergency meeting before the holographic map, military leaders debated, a new divine pioneer of the spiritual creation realm or an imminent catastrophe. It could be both, a grim officer suggested. The situation escalated. The senior officer, in a panic, called headquarters, demanding advanced equipment, but no weapons of mass destruction. His despair was cut short when a subordinate burst into the room, gasping, "Alert canceled! It's not a monster, but a pioneer undergoing a breakthrough!" Feng Yi let out a sigh of relief. The breakthrough was complete. He had reached the one-star spiritual creation realm. Although he felt his body lighter and more agile, Feng Yi casually noted no significant difference in his raw power. His moment of tranquility was broken by his phone. A message from Wang Liang alerted him. New anomaly at Qinsheng University's sports field. Internal military sources confirmed it was a pollution zone, and most worrying, it was the second time. Feng Yi replied that he already knew about the previous heat anomaly. "It's the same one back again," Wang Liang confirmed, jokingly telling him not to tell anyone. Feng Yi jokingly threatened to report him, but Wang Liang turned serious. "I'm worried about your safety. Be careful." Feng Yi put down his phone, pensive. His friend's warning only reinforced Feng Yi's strategy. Caution with the army and the association, avoiding becoming too well known to not attract unwanted trouble. That's why Feng Yi kept his powerful Yang Flame attribute and the Crimson Flame Blade technique a secret, his trump cards. He typed a final reply to his friend, assuring him that he would be careful and had hidden resources to use if needed. At that moment, Lin Yi returned to the apartment. Seeing Feng Yi on the sofa, she asked if he had already eaten and offered the bag of food she had brought. Distracted by his phone, Feng Yi just told her to leave it on the table. He would eat later. Watching him, Lin Yi felt a mix of concern and mild frustration. Her thoughts turned to her cousin. Feng Yi was kind-hearted, but he was lazy to a fault. He seemed content staying home all day, glued to his phone, skipping college. She found it ironic that while she and other pioneers were busy seeking opportunities and hiding their identities, her cousin lived such a carefree, aimless life. Exhausted, she went to her room and collapsed onto the bed. Lin Yi knew the news of an incredible spiritual creation, Realm Pioneer's emergence, would spread fast. Driven by a sense of duty, she resolved to protect her seemingly oblivious cousin when the time came in return. Meanwhile, Feng Yi wasn't just fiddling with his phone. He was analyzing the report Wang Liang sent, which showed a massive fire on the university campus. He noted that the first anomaly had been intense heat, and now it was fire. Feng Yi wondered if this was another form of the Yang attribute. The video showed the fire starting incredibly fast and burning with terrifying intensity. Online comments and witnesses expressed shock, some questioning if special forces would be called for a simple fire. The report mentioned that all surrounding trees and gardens had been burned, and the area was completely isolated. Feng Yi noticed the short video ending abruptly, making it clear the situation was far more serious than the previous university incident. He wondered what could be different about this new Yang attribute, concluding he needed to investigate it personally. He knew that to enter the isolated area, he'd have to contact Ji Feng, his new acquaintance from the army. The next day, a crowd of reporters swarmed in front of Qinsheng University's sealed gates, blocked by a line of soldiers. They shouted, seeking confirmation about rumors of an unquenchable fire, and demanded to know why an incident of such proportions wasn't being reported. As the reporters pressed for answers, Ji Feng and Feng Yi arrived. The curious crowd observed the two imposing figures. The soldiers immediately opened the gates, allowing their passage without question. The reporters remained outside, confused by the ease of their entry, having been completely barred themselves. Inside the isolated area, they surveyed the smoldering ruins of the university campus. Feng Yi commented on the immense destructive power, asking if this was the celestial fire he'd heard about. Ji Feng confirmed the official name. She explained its terrifying nature. It appeared without warning, was impossible to extinguish, and only died down after consuming everything it wished to reduce to ashes. She remarked that the name was quite fitting. After the inspection, Ji Feng asked Feng Yi to wait for her while she went to the director's office. He assured her he'd be fine alone. Feng Yi walked along the edge of the destroyed area, cordoned off by tape. He knelt and touched the charred ground, analyzing the scene. He noticed the ground was cold and, more importantly, devoid of any remnants of celestial fire spiritual energy. Disappointed, he realized he couldn't collect the attribute. His plan, he concluded, had been too simple. His thoughts were interrupted when a familiar voice called his name. He looked up and saw his ex-girlfriend, Shu-Ching Li, standing on the nearby steps, accompanied by a friend. Surprised, she asked what he was doing there. The friend in glasses immediately recognized him, asking if he was the ex-boyfriend Shu-Ching Li had mentioned, the one who only managed to get into a technical college. Shu-Ching Li simply confirmed. The friend, with a smug and condescending air, patted his shoulder. Looking at Feng Yi, she said she understood. He probably hadn't gotten over his ex, but with the difference in their lives, it was better to give up. Feng Yi stared at her, genuinely confused. Stuck in the past? The idea was absurd. From a distance, other students began to comment on the scene. They wondered who the guy with the campus beauty was, assuming he was yet another rejected suitor. They noticed he didn't look like a student and complained about security letting a stranger in. Shu-Ching Li's friend stepped forward, aggressively confronting Feng Yi. She said Shu-Ching Li was the campus star, and he should think carefully about his actions. She warned that countless guys better than him were courting her, and he didn't even qualify. She ordered him to leave. This wasn't his place. She threatened to report him to the administration if he didn't explain how he got in. Meanwhile, Shu-Ching Li watched with a complicated expression. Shu-Ching Li remembered him saying he wouldn't regret the breakup, but now she saw his indifference as a performance to keep up appearances. The tension was interrupted when Ji Feng returned, asking Feng Yi if the girl was his friend. Shu-Ching Li was surprised by the sudden appearance of the imposing red-haired woman. Feng Yi, coldly, clarified that they were just high school acquaintances, not friends. Ji Feng accepted, simply commenting that they were acquaintances. Then, she put on sunglasses, making her already intimidating presence even more striking. Shu-Ching Li and her friend became visibly nervous from the woman's powerful aura. While they wondered who she was and how she knew Feng Yi, Ji Feng turned to him with an update. She explained that, after talking with the director, the matter of the Skyfire was more complicated than they thought. Ji Feng informed him that the director was on his way, ready to take them to the source of the fire. As a special military consultant, Feng Yi's presence was crucial, and he agreed without objection. At that moment, a group of stern-faced authorities in suits arrived, ordering everyone to step back and announcing that the field remained cordoned off. Shu-Ching Li and the other students gaped as they recognized the university director. Rarely seen on campus, his personal presence to meet Feng Yi and the mysterious red-haired woman caused awe. Shu-Ching Li's friend, however, misinterpreted everything, smiling and thinking the director had come to deal with the two intruders. Shu-Ching Li, however, remained silent and uncertain. To their shock, the director did not treat them as trespassers. On the contrary, the elderly man walked directly to Feng Yi, greeting him with a warm and respectful handshake. As a consultant appointed by Yan, Feng Yi was greeted with the director's explicit concern for the anomalies and student safety, and his relief at their presence. In an even more impressive gesture, the director bowed slightly, formally entrusting Feng Yi with the responsibility of handling the entire problem on the field. From where she stood, Shu-Ching Li just watched, wide-eyed, as her image of her ex-boyfriend shattered. Afterward, the director's security reinforced the cordon, forming a human barrier and ushering away unauthorized individuals. Pushed by the confused student crowd, Shu-Ching Li could barely believe the respected director was bowing before a young man she thought she knew. She heard the students' opinions sharply shift. From her ex-boyfriend or suitor, Feng Yi was now seen as someone of extraordinary identity. They noticed the complete inversion of status, imagining that even if Shu-Ching Li tried, she might not even get his attention. The sharpest realization came when she noticed Feng Yi hadn't looked at her once, leaving the campus beauty completely alone and ignored. In Qingsheng University's northern district, the director led Feng Yi and Ji Feng to the anomaly site. He explained the sequence of events, starting from the Golden Sun incident, which he had hoped would be the end of their troubles. He recounted that a few nights ago, an uncontrollable fire had started in one of the fields. Since it was at night, the area was quickly isolated. The director continued, his face growing more serious. After the first, fires had sprung up in 2 more fields. He himself had witnessed a crimson flame descend from the sky and float in the air, a clear supernatural sign. While the other outbreaks were extinguished, one remained active. As they approached the last location, Feng Yi smelled a strong, suffocating, burning odor. They arrived at a basketball court, where a single hoop blazed like an eternal flame. The director confirmed that this was the initial point, the only fire that simply couldn't be extinguished. While observing the anomaly, Ji Feng checked a device on her wrist, which showed a reading of 11. She explained to Feng Yi that the spiritual anomaly detector considered any reading above 10 disastrous for ordinary people, requiring isolation. Suddenly, the the device flashed and beeped, the level rising to 60. Jifeng exclaimed, alarmed by the sudden increase. She warned the director, if the energy kept rising, it would affect not only the university, but the entire city. They needed to send an elite team to contain the threat, but before they could act, Feng Yi took the initiative. Without hesitation, he leaped over the wire fence, ignoring the prohibition, and advanced straight into the fire. Soon, he was engulfed by the intense flames, while Jifeng and the director watched, shocked. Then, the reading on Jifeng's device jumped to 110. She screamed, "Anomaly level S!" The panicked director asked what they would do now with Feng Yi inside. Jifeng stared at the flames, questioning his recklessness, muttering that not even the strongest soldier from a forbidden zone would dare enter alone. Inside the fire, Feng Yi remained unharmed, his silhouette calm amidst the furious flames. He knew that just as his Yang attribute had protected him from divine thunder, it would also protect him from this celestial fire. Quickly, however, he identified a problem. His protective aura, though keeping him safe, prevented him from touching the source flame and activating the system's ability for a new technique. Feng Yi realized he needed to reach the core, watching the fire coil around the hoop like a flaming dragon. Without hesitation, he prepared to face the flames head-on. The fire dragon charged with a fierce roar. In a risky move, Feng Yi deactivated his Golden Sun protective aura, becoming completely vulnerable. The celestial fire immediately engulfed him in a storm of raw energy. He gritted his teeth against the searing pain as the flames burned his skin. He forced his hand forward, determined to touch the anomaly's core. His gamble paid off. Upon touching the origin, the system activated, confirming the detection of the celestial fire attribute. Despite the pain, a determined smile appeared on his face. Impressed by the power of the celestial fire, whose will surpassed even that of the newly acquired desolation attribute, Feng Yi fiercely declared, "I will absorb all this power at any cost." The system calculated and compiled the data. A new system window popped up, announcing the reward. He had obtained the 9 Dragons Celestial Fire Sealing Art, a technique of the celestial fire attribute, a power to eliminate evil and seal demons. As he mastered the new ability, the wild flames became extensions of his will, coiling around his arm like a domesticated dragon. The system confirmed, technique compiled, unlocked, and ready for immediate use. Focusing his will, Feng Yi initiated the extraction of the celestial fire attribute itself, absorbing its essence. His eyes glowed with fiery red light as flaming marks emerged on his face. With hands forming a seal and crimson eyes, Feng Yi prepared to unleash his new ability, the 9 Dragons Celestial Fire Sealing Art. Bright red chains erupted from his back, lashing out at the flames. Outside the fence, Difeng and the director watched, utterly impressed. Difeng immediately recognized the sealing aura. She recalled seeing a high-level military pioneer seal a forbidden land. Though the methods differed, the powerful aura was unmistakable. With a command, Feng Yi ordered the chains to recoil. They pulled with immense force, compressing all the wild celestial fire into an orb of pure energy, firmly sealed and hovering in the air. Feng Yi held the chained sphere. Process complete, the fire orb gently descended into the basketball hoop. Feng Yi landed and explained the situation to the director. He had temporarily sealed the celestial fire and requested the court remain closed, with no repairs or approach, to prevent the fire from spreading. The director promptly agreed, assuring the location would remain isolated, which was no problem given the university's numerous courts. Difeng, however, watched Feng Yi with an intense, silent gaze. The director, impressed, humorously commented on Feng Yi, offering his help, but Difeng interrupted, asking to speak with Feng Yi alone. The director bid them a satisfied farewell, leaving them to themselves. Difeng, serious and direct, turned to Feng Yi. She stated he had hidden his true depth well. Feng Yi tried to deflect, casually commenting on the celestial fire's difficulty, but she saw through his act, fixing him with a penetrating gaze. She told him to stop pretending, making it clear she wasn't talking about the fire, but about his extraordinary talent and power. Difeng softened her tone, admitting that secrets were normal for pioneers, even more so for someone so powerful. Feng Yi listened in calm silence. Then, in an even more serious tone, she explained that while she had no right to ask for anything, she hoped to be heard attentively. She described a grim future of chaos, where Nation Z would desperately need top-tier talents like him. He put Feng Yi's potential into perspective. When spiritual energy fully awakened, his power would be as vital as a modern nuclear weapon. Therefore, he warned that all major powers, from restricted military zones to the Spiritual Energy Association, would rush to recruit him. He advised him to prepare for personal invitations from high-ranking officials with generously tempting offers. She admitted her reasons. If he joined her military unit, he would be a reinforcement and a powerful ally. She advised him to consider his options now so he wouldn't be caught off guard. Feng Yi hesitated, then asked asked a curious question. He wanted to know why she and Wang Liang seemed so hesitant to recruit him to their own forbidden zone, acting as if they weren't worthy. Di Feng explained that the reason was another legendary military region. Ji Feng believed such a powerful group would attract him more. He suggested they end the conversation and head to the cafeteria, where the director had invited them. As they walked, Feng Yi concluded, even the nation's most powerful forces faced major problems. His mind was racing. Ji Feng's words revealed the emergence of frightening anomalies, with power far beyond the pioneers. Feng Yi realized that these combatants likely included spiritual recultivators like himself, and perhaps even stronger ones. A new sense of urgency washed over him. The full awakening of spiritual energy was rapidly approaching, and his preparation was still insufficient. His thoughts then turned to the immediate task. How best to use the newly acquired heavenly fire? He analyzed its nature, an erratic, wild, and utterly consuming flame. He understood it would be the perfect weapon against anomalies capable of reproducing or regenerating indefinitely. Suddenly, an idea sparked. The wild and powerful nature of the heavenly fire perfectly matched his crimson flame blade. He imagined enchanting his sword with this new power, an incredible enhancement for his combat style. To test it, Feng Yi headed to the back mountain, his usual training spot. Upon arriving, he was surprised. The path was blocked by a large sign warning of danger and prohibiting entry. Feng Yi wondered who had placed it. He knew there were no dangerous monsters in the area and doubted the army had discovered his training spots so quickly. He concluded that only the Spiritual Energy Cultivation Association, knowing his habits, could have done it. He realized the association was presenting him with a private training ground, seeking his goodwill. Smiling, he decided to accept the gesture. His thoughts were interrupted when his keen senses detected an unwanted presence. An intruder had managed to enter the mountain. Feng Yi felt a familiar aura, similar to the one at the factory, but weaker and hidden among the trees. A monstrous, monkey-like creature with glowing red eyes was watching him. Feng Yi noticed the beast's intelligence. It hesitated, assessing his strength instead of attacking. With his sword already gleaming with energy, he decided it was the perfect moment to display his power. A system window popped up, asking if he wanted to infuse the newly acquired heavenly fire into his Tang sword. The system described heavenly fire as a powerful light attribute, perfect for destroying evil. With a burning determination in his gaze, Feng Yi immediately accepted. His sword erupted into an endless, crackling pillar of flames. With an excited smile, he prepared to combine the inexhaustible power of heavenly fire with his crimson flame blade. The mutant creature would be his first test target. Feng Yi unleashed a colossal firestorm upon the monster. The creature was caught off guard, its eyes wide with terror, swallowed by the storm of flames, letting out screams of pain. At the epicenter of the flames he had created, Feng Yi tested his new ability. The energy of his attack had doubled or tripled. The flames, which didn't harm him, kept the sword blade cool to the touch. Suddenly, he sensed that the creature had survived the attack and was attempting to escape. With a determined look, he resolved to pursue it. Meanwhile, in another part of the forest, a young woman with curly red hair was live streaming, phone attached to a selfie stick. She claimed to her viewers that she had incredible luck, with extraordinary content always finding her. Her followers doubted her, and one challenged her to prove her luck at Kinshung University by filming the mysterious heavenly fire. Her confident broadcast was suddenly interrupted. Her expression shifted to pure shock. The monster, similar to the monkey that had escaped Feng Yi, leaped from the undergrowth and attacked violently. The force of the impact sent her phone flying, cracking the screen as it hit the ground, but the live stream continued. Through the cracked screen, viewers saw the monster immobilize her, but they judged it to be a staged scene with poor effects. The streamer, however, was in real danger. She screamed in terror, trapped by the monster, which covered her mouth with its paw. The creature opened its enormous fanged mouth for a fatal bite. Before it could strike, an immense fiery blast in the shape of a dragon's head struck the monster, sending it flying. The streamer looked up, shocked, saved at the last second. The impressed viewers didn't perceive the real danger, but rather the incredible special effects of the fire dragon. The dramatic twist caused the audience to skyrocket to over 13,000 people. Still scared, the young woman looked over her shoulder, asking who was there. She picked up her phone, stood up, and pointed the camera at the source of the attack. Facing intense fire, she shouted to her audience that she had recorded everything, a person standing within the flames. The camera captured Feng Yi's silhouette, completely unharmed amidst the fire. Terrified and awestruck, she concluded she had been saved by a true immortal. The video of Ma's rescue, thanks to Feng Yi's intervention, went viral, becoming the most talked about topic on the internet, with over 13.5 million views. Dramatic headlines called him Mysterious heavenly fireman, king of flames, and immortal who descended to Earth to save the world. In an office, Xu Qingli's friend excitedly called her over to see the video. Enthusiastically, she said that it proved the existence of powerful cultivators and the veracity of heavenly fire at the university. Xu Qingli, however, reacted with disdain, claiming it was all just acting and special effects. But as she looked closer at the screen, her expression of doubt froze in shock and recognition. Her friend, not noticing the reaction, continued excitedly, praising the man's beauty in the video, until she noticed Xu Qingli's stunned silence. Internally, Xu Qingli was conflicted. She kept telling herself the video must be fake and that the figure only resembled Feng Yi. She argued that if it really were him, he would have been reduced to ashes by such intense flames. But denial soon gave way to fear. Could it really be him? She feared he would use his new power to get revenge for their breakup, but stubbornly decided she would never bow to him, no matter what. Elsewhere, Lin Yi's red-haired pioneer team leader showed her the same video. Lin Yi's leader showed the video, asking if the man was the same one who had saved her from the monstrous vine. Lin Yi agreed, revealing they had discovered a powerful master in the spiritual creation realm lived nearby. Lin Yi wondered if her quiet cousin and the pioneer were the same person. Elsewhere in the city, Zheng Shaya and a pioneer from the lava cave also watched the video. The man recognized Feng Yi's combat stance, noting his strengthening. His companion noted the identical sword handling, realizing how lucky they were to have such a powerful figure nearby. News of Feng Yi's public display of power quickly reached the highest levels of the country's two main organizations. At the association's headquarters, where the city's crisis was worsening and pioneers struggled to keep up, Su Qing reported to officials. She assured them that the army was already in contact with Feng Yi and that he would certainly help them. Meanwhile, at a military command, Ji Feng, Major Han Li, and other officers discussed the information. Impressed by his progress, they called Feng Yi a monster for reaching the spiritual creation realm so quickly. They debated his high-level attributes, concluding he must have 3 or more. They agreed that intimidating him had been a mistake, and the only option was to recruit him. Major Han Li asked if the high command would approach him personally. Ji Feng confirmed, but noted the military brass's hesitation to lower themselves, as all elite pioneers had always emerged from their own ranks. Taking the lead, Major Han Li outlined the new strategy. Subordinates should investigate Feng Yi's needs in weapons and equipment, and offer training locations as a gesture of goodwill. A crucial order was given. The viral video of the broadcast and the rumors must be strictly controlled. The spiritual energy cycle of Nation SI now revolved around Feng Yi. Su Qing and Ji Feng thought about their future. She worried about the immense pressure, he with a slight, confident smile. The two leaders eagerly awaited to see what Feng Yi would do next. In a silent hospital room, where a heart monitor emitted regular beeps, a mysterious purple-haired woman sat beside a patient, whom she called Master. She spoke softly, saying that Nation SI had found new hope with Feng Yi's emergence, and that the chances of her master finally waking up had increased. A day later, back in his apartment, Feng Yi was having breakfast, reflecting on the past month. The battle at Back Mountain had gone viral because of a bold streamer seeking views in a restricted area. As he ate, he noticed the video had been completely removed from the internet, and the streamer's account banned. The work of the Army or the Spiritual Energy Association, he presumed. His thoughts were abruptly interrupted by a realization. His cousin Li Yi hadn't come home last night nor sent any message. Unusual. Even on a mission, Feng Yi felt a growing unease as he tried to call Li Yi. The call went straight to voicemail. Genuinely worried, he sensed the danger and decided to go after her. Far from there, in a dark, foggy forest, Li Yi and her red-haired leader were lost and trapped. The leader asked how long they had been there. Li Yi estimated about 10 hours, but certainty vanished along with hope. Exhausted and wounded, the red-haired leader apologized, blaming herself for dragging Li Yi into this situation. She confessed she had only expected to investigate a strange phenomenon. Her hand clutched her side, where pain pulsed. Li Yi cut her off, refusing the apologies. She insisted the failure was her own lack of strength, and urged the leader to stay alert, conserving their remaining energy. Trying to stay firm, her thoughts flew to an incredibly powerful master she had known, longing for a fraction of that power to save them. Their desperate conversation was cut short. A massive, shadowy monster with red eyes and a spiny body emerged from the fog behind them. The creature lunged, claws extended, aiming for the leader. Li Yi, with incredible speed, pushed her companion aside, shouting a warning. Li Yi unleashed an intense burst of spiritual energy, materializing a blade of light that severed the creature's head. No sooner had they recovered than more shadowy figures, zombies, emerged from the fog. Horrified, Li Yi realized these were the reanimated bodies of others trapped and killed here. After defeating one creature, which dissolved into a black puddle, Li Yi explained, the main monster was toying with them, turning victims into puppets. The leader added that their attacks were useless against the fog. Their spiritual energy was draining away. With the true enemy still hidden, they realized they were trapped in an illusion created by the monster, a gray, swirling space where the creature was invincible. It was a waiting game. The monster was simply wearing them down. A drop of sweat trickled down the leader's face as she realized the gravity of the situation. Suddenly, the sky above them tore open, revealing a single gigantic blood-red eye watching them. Gripped by terror, the leader screamed Li Yi's name. The eye, a pulsating mass of flesh, bubbled and multiplied into countless viscous eyeballs. Furious and desperate, the red-haired leader attacked, slashing several spheres out of the air. Li Yi, however, felt the creature's energy shift, warning the leader not to let down her guard. The enemy was finally losing patience. The main eye fired a powerful beam of red energy. Li Yi raised a crystal barrier just in time, but the impact was devastating. The barrier shattered and Li Yi found herself alone, surrounded by dozens of glowing red eyes in the dense darkness. Her hope dwindled. Was this her end? Trapped in the monster's shadowy domain, she was slowly enveloped by shadowy tentacles. The leader's voice was gone. Both had been swallowed by the darkness. Regret overwhelmed her. She mentally apologized for her overconfidence. It had been a mistake to face the mission alone. Accepting her fate, she lamented never seeing the world after the spiritual awakening, the magnificent era that was to come. Her hand reached out, sinking into the abyss of glowing red eyes. Tears streamed down her face. She closed her eyes, ready for the end. Just as hope dwindled, a colossal explosion of blue light shattered the darkness. A figure emerged, radiating an immense aura of blue energy. It was Feng Yi, his eyes gleaming with power. He murmured, "I almost didn't make it in time." Lin Yi, tears still fresh, stared at him in shock and whispered her cousin's name, recognizing her savior. With a powerful divine thunder discharge, Feng Yi destroyed the monster's shadowy domain. He landed gracefully in the now cleared forest, his hand still releasing residual sparks of electricity. He saved his cousin and the unconscious leader. Lin Yi could only stare, her world turned upside down by the revelation. Her ordinary, lazy cousin was, in fact, an incredibly powerful pioneer. The battle wasn't over yet. Lin Yi snapped out of her shock and, desperate, shouted a warning. The creature's main body was right behind Feng Yi. He, however, showed no concern. His hand ignited with the golden and red energy of heavenly fire. With a confident smile, he saw the perfect opportunity to test his new power on a dark attribute creature, unleashing his crimson flame blade technique. The attack, strengthened by the inextinguishable power of heavenly fire, engulfed the monster in a furious blaze. The creature let out a final, agonizing scream, consumed by the divine flames. After the fight, the red-haired leader slowly regained consciousness. She found herself with Lin Yi, sitting on the ground, feeling uncertain, surrounded by a protective circle of fire, confused and scared. She asked Lin Yi if they had died and been dragged to hell with the monster. Lin Yi, now calmer, reassured the leader, asking her to look closely and assuring her they were still alive. Still processing what had happened, the leader repeated Lin Yi's words in disbelief before asking who saved them. Feng Yi casually walked towards Lin Yi and her leader, a slight smile on his face as the protective flames dissipated. He said the problem was solved and, noticing the time, commented that they probably hadn't had breakfast yet. The red-haired leader stared at him, eyes wide in sudden realization. She leaped to her feet, filled with pure excitement and awe. She pointed at Feng Yi, confirming it was he who had saved her before, in Changyu City, from the monstrous death vine. Feng Yi was slightly surprised by how easily he was recognized. Lin Yi was shocked by this new revelation. She asked the leader if the powerful fire attribute master who saved her from the vine was truly her cousin. The leader, surprised by the connection, questioned Lin Yi. How could this super master be the cousin she described as ordinary? Feng Yi awkwardly scratched the back of his neck. Excited, the leader grabbed Lin Yi's shoulders, reminding her of the savior who defeated the Vine of Desolation with a single blow. Lin Yi's mind raced. If her cousin was a high-level fire user, why had she just seen him use pure, powerful lightning to destroy the dark mist? The implications hit her. The immense power of both fire and lightning attributes made him a super genius. Even more shocking, Lin Yi remembered the massive spiritual disturbance in her neighborhood, a breakthrough to the legendary spiritual creation realm. Could he have been responsible for that incredible display of power? Tired of the confusion, Feng Yi interrupted her. Yes, that was all me. He changed the subject, asking about the dark attribute anomaly. You know this creature shouldn't be underestimated. Why were only 2 of you there? Where were the other team members? The leader explained that the other members were unavailable. One sick at home, another on a difficult mission. The group didn't always operate at full strength. The leader admitted her fault. Reckless after her breakthrough, she believed she could handle the mission alone. Feng Yi listened, thoughtful. He recalled the internal conflicts within the team. The leader, who had previously criticized her companions, now defended them to a stranger. He recognized her loyalty and knew that his intelligent cousin had also noticed the group's instability. With his identity now revealed to 2 people he trusted, he made a proposal. He turned to his cousin and her friend. Would you like to form a team with me? The 2 fell silent, stunned. The red-haired leader burst out in joy, clasping her hands, hands, exultant to join such a powerful master. She exclaimed her luck in benefiting from the connection with Feng Yi. Lin Yi, however, had a deeper realization. Her cousin, such a powerful pioneer, must have known her secret all along, watching her in silence. The idea of having a trustworthy and powerful family member on that lonely cultivation path, someone who helped her without asking for anything in return, brought her immense happiness and relief. A tear of gratitude traced down her cheek. Wiping it away, she beamed a radiant smile, gestured to her cousin, and thanked him, promising 2 extra eggs for dinner. At that moment, Lin Yi's phone vibrated. She announced, "Sister Jaelian, the powerful member of the Pioneer Group, just posted a new mission." It was an alert for a high-risk collection task in the extreme dark zone, a place explicitly related to the dark attribute. Jaelian's message ended with a stern warning. Think carefully before signing up. Feng Yi asked if they knew the zone. Lin Yi explained, "It's a border area strictly forbidden by the Xia Nation. The dark energy there is so powerful that most pioneers completely avoid the place. Anomalies in the city are leaks of this energy. The extreme danger prevented even the government from exploring it, with attempts resulting in serious accidents." Intrigued, Feng Yi suggested exploring and asked Lin Yi to contact Lan for mission details. Lin Yi replied that it was pointless, as Lan was known for being mysterious and rarely spoke more than a few words. Feng Yi pondered. For Lan to issue a mission in a top-secret governmental area, she would either be a daring outsider or someone high-ranking in the Military Spiritual Energy Association. The second option seemed more likely. Despite his doubts, Feng Yi, as Heiju, sent a message to Jailan, expressing interest and asking for more details. To his and Lin Yi's surprise, Jailan responded with untypical details. The mission was to collect the Floor Shi'ai. She warned, the rewards are much higher, but the dangers in the extreme zone are dark attribute, with a much higher risk than usual. She advised all pioneers to form teams. Feng Yi's team was surprised by such detail, unusual for Jailan. A moment later, another, even more direct message arrived from Lan. She warned that the mission might involve an S-level anomaly, and that the mortality rate was extremely high, asking them to reconsider. Then, she added a final, subtle piece of advice. If you have a strong, reliable pioneer to team up with, it's not too late to sign up elsewhere. At the hospital, Jailan, the purple-haired woman, walked flanked by guards. She saw the message, thinking she had done all she could. Now, the decision was his. At the park, Feng Yi smirked, catching the subtext. He told Ling Yi that Lan's message was more than a warning. It was a personal invitation. He translated the hidden meaning. "I know who you are. I know a prisoner of your caliber would be interested, and I'm challenging you to come." Feng Yi clearly realized the mission was planned for him. Facing the extreme dark zone, Feng Yi found the proposal interesting and decided to go. Ling Yi, as Feng Yu, officially accepted the mission, informing Jailan that the team now had 3 people. In a waiting room, Jailan walked with 2 assistants, one of them worried about the reduced team that had signed up. Lan, however, remained calm. She stated that if he was a pioneer the Xia Nation could trust, he would come. The assistant, worried, asked what would happen to the other pioneers if he didn't show up. Lan simply replied that if he didn't come, their paths weren't meant to cross. A faint smile touched her lips as she walked. She asked her assistants if they believed the Shi'ai flower served to send pioneers to their deaths. She explained that the true purpose of the dangerous task was the opposite of what it seemed. A vision revealed the flower. It bloomed from a shadowy pool, nourished by the bodies and souls of fallen pioneers. Lan explained that the Shi'ai flower was essential for strengthening the nation and, in the long run, saving more pioneers. The goal was to protect the future strength of the Yi Nation, like Feng Yi and his team, and to revive the combat elite already lost. In the hospital room, she held the hand of her master in a coma and reaffirmed her goal, to obtain more Shi'ai flowers at any cost. She revealed that her master was the only pioneer from the Yipston Nation to reach the legendary Jianggang realm, and the Shi'ai flower was the only one capable of awakening him. Yanlan highlighted the strategic value of a recovered Jianggang expert. He would be a national asset in international negotiations, comparable to a nuclear weapon. For her, sacrificing some pioneers or entire teams was an acceptable price for his return. His Majesty, however, expressed concern for Yanlan's health, even with the mission being crucial. The comment hardened Lan's expression. She repeated the words, "My health is important," before exploding in fury and sorrow. She screamed that her life only mattered because it was a gift paid for with the lives of comrades who saved her, and she brought her hands to her head, shaken by a sudden, intense pain, a sign of her trauma. Moments later, she calmed down, apologizing. An assistant asked about her headache, but Lan brushed it off, stating it wasn't time for medicine. A vision of her old, happy team haunted her. With a sad, tired gaze, she murmured that it all belonged to the past. The narrative returned to a traumatic memory, a dark, empty landscape. A voice screamed for the sword squad to retreat. Young Lan knelt among her fallen comrades. The dying captain entrusted her with the mission to obtain the Shi'ai flower. Trembling with despair, she thought of her master and her country, realizing the ruthlessness dangerousness of the extreme dark zone. She screamed, refusing to leave him. In his final moments, the captain transferred his spiritual energy to her, pleading for her to survive and hoping her powers would be useful. Back in the present, Lan, at the hospital, reflected on that tragic day. She revealed the bitter irony of her team's sacrifice. They gave her power, but were unaware that the Xiai flower is useless if touched by blood, or not perfectly harvested intact. The mission failed, despite them having saved her life. Later, after a long journey, Feng Yi's new team arrived at the desert areas near the extreme dark zone. The red-haired leader complained about the walk, questioning why they couldn't fly given their power. Lin explained that flying for long periods was unfeasible for pioneers, unless their spiritual energy was overwhelming. Feng Yi remained silent, red eyes fixed on their destination. Finally, they arrived at an immense, heavily guarded checkpoint, marking the zone's entrance. Beyond the rows of tank barriers and fences, a shimmering blue energy barrier appeared. Feng Yi confirmed it was the limit of the extreme dark zone, sensing the dark, unpleasant aura even from a distance through the multiple barriers. The group was clearly disturbed by the intense energy. The leader commented that it was 1,000 times scarier than the monster they faced before. Feng Yi simply told them to stay calm. He pointed out they weren't the only ones answering the call. A crowd of pioneers was already gathering at the checkpoint, awaiting the mission. The leader explained that the pioneers weren't just there for the reward. Though the dark attribute was cruel and hostile, the increase in monsters in cities had forced them to confront the origin of the problem. Many had come to face the threat directly. The red-haired leader agreed, and Feng Yi watched her with a slight smile, impressed by his cousin's perceptiveness. Independent pioneers, with unique equipment and styles, awaited the opening of the gates. While they waited, Feng Yi explained his reason for accepting the mission. He had already faced dark monsters twice. The first was the mutant rabbit, which resembled a monstrous rat. The second was the Candle Knight duo, a serpent and its rat-like partner, who worked together to lure and trap prisoners. During a mission that nearly wiped out a spiritual energy association team, it became clear, as his cousin noted, that these creatures intelligently circumvented military defenses at the city borders. He suspected they used an unknown method to enter urban areas, and the frequency of these incidents was unsustainable. If the source wasn't confronted, the cities would be overrun. Therefore, the external dark zone was the only option. At the checkpoint, an officer watched Su King briefing pioneers in front of the barrier. Serious and determined, Su King's concentration broke as she noticed a familiar group approaching. Shocked, she saw Feng Yi approaching with Li Yi and the red-haired leader. Her subordinate Zhang Xia was also surprised. Su Qing, paralyzed, covered her mouth in panic. She prayed in silence that Feng Yi wouldn't notice her, but he saw her, calling her Captain Su with a questioning look. Resigned, Su King walked towards him with her hooded companions, already aware of the military intelligence about Feng Yi's team. The playful red-haired leader observed the silver-haired girl and asked Feng Yi if she was Feng Yi's sister-in-law, a provocative term for a potential girlfriend. The suggestion panicked both Feng Yi and Su King. Blushing, Su King waved her arms, exclaiming it was a huge misunderstanding. Feng Yi calmly clarified she was Captain Su of the Spiritual Energy Association, who assisted him with various tasks. The explanation, however, only made Su Qing more nervous, finding the description more annoying than the romantic idea. Their conversation was interrupted by a loud, arrogant voice. An older, imposing man in heavy red armor advanced with two similarly equipped pioneers, calling them shameless youngsters. Loudly, he complained about the new generation of pioneers, who were increasingly young and disrespectful, chatting casually in such a dangerous place without even greeting their elders. Sarcastically, he hoped they'd at least have each other's backs in the new extreme zone. The red-haired leader bristled, but Feng Yi calmly held her back, unfazed. She pointed a finger at the arrogant man. "Mind your own business. No one knows who'll be the first to die of fright in there." The man's gaze turned to rage. An approaching vehicle broke the tension, and he smirked as the transport arrived. A large armored vehicle with police lights pulled up. From the back, the enigmatic Yalan stepped out. Her presence immediately drew the attention of all the pioneers, who reacted with astonishment, recognizing the famous sister of Leon. She walked with authority, flanked by guards, while the pioneers murmured, impressed by her grand entrance. Feng Yi watched and deduced her purpose. She was the one who would open the gate. Yalan stopped before the enormous blue energy barrier that crackled intensely. She raised her hand, concentrating pure energy until a brilliant blue symbol formed in her palm. With a powerful motion, she pushed the symbol, and the immense barrier tore open, revealing a dark path into the Forbidden Zone. With the gate open, the S-Class mission officially began. Before the ominous portal, with red and black energy screaming around it, Yalan gave a final warning. The chi flowers to be collected must be perfectly whole and untouched by human blood. There would be no reward if the rules weren't followed. She ordered them to begin. The large group of pioneers walked toward the terrifying portal. As they advanced, one of the arrogant ones muttered to his leader, leader. Yalan was sending them to their deaths without accompanying them. The arrogant one's companion told him to shut up, reminding him that the government would pay their families a fortune if they died. As Feng Yi's group watched the others enter, Suking analyzed the team's strength for him. She identified the arrogant pioneer as a 1-star spiritual creation realm cultivator, the same level as Feng Yi. She also noticed other powerful individuals hiding their classes, making assessment difficult. The rest were solid 1 to 3-star Ghost Axe realm pioneers. She concluded that the teams were all more or less equivalent in strength. Feng Yi was surprised to see the arrogant one also in the spiritual creation realm, as he hadn't sensed such a high level of energy from him. He thought the mission must be very difficult to attract so many elite teams. Outside, one of Yalan's assistants handed her a final report on a tablet. The report confirmed the entry of 37 1-star Ghost Axe pioneers, 7 3-star, and 3 1-star spiritual creation realm pioneers. The mission involved monsters with B to S level danger. Yalan calmly told her assistant to prepare the monitoring equipment, confirming she was ready. Inside the portal, the pioneers found themselves in a desolate, dark, and hazy place filled with dead trees. Upon entering the extreme dark zone, Feng Yi's group was immediately surrounded by shadowy tentacles. Feng Yi warned everyone to stay close. The area's overwhelming dark attribute blocked their vision, making it easy to get lost. No sooner had Feng Yi warned them than the red-haired leader knelt down, nauseated, apologizing for being unable to stop herself from throwing up. Su Qing calmly explained it was a normal reaction. The terrible stench, a mix of decaying bodies and brain fluid, was unbearable for most. She pointed to other pioneer groups, also vomiting in the distance, showing that even the strongest were affected. She went on to explain that the dark attribute, unnatural to pioneers, acted like pollution, weakening them and activating the zone's monsters. Feng Yi listened as she detailed the known threats and the official monster classification. Level B for pioneers of the same level, Level A for cultivators of the spirit creation realm, as in this zone, and Level S, disaster class threats, capable of challenging the legendary Xinjiang realm. A grim warning, the zone's dark attribute bolstered the creatures. A Level B monster here became at least Level A. The red-haired leader showed surprise. Concerned, Lin Yi asked if Su Qing and her team weren't affected by the pollution. Su Qing laughed, explaining they were used to dealing with similar monsters and weren't bothered by the smell. She revealed she had reached the 3-star Ghost Axe realm and was working to evolve her water attribute into the rare ice attribute. Lin Yi then observed that, being both at the same level, she wanted to know if Su Qing also felt her spiritual energy strongly suppressed more so than in previous missions. Su Qing confirmed, warning that many high-level masters, including military elites of the spirit creation realm, had died there. Therefore, extreme caution was needed when traversing the desolate terrain. Su Qing took the lead. Unable to see the group ahead, she asked the team to quicken their pace. She gave an important instruction: speak as little as possible to conserve physical strength and concentrate spiritual energy, preventing the dense dark mist from exploiting weaknesses. As he walked, Feng Yi reflected, surprised that he didn't feel the same severe discomfort as the others. He concluded that his enhanced yang and thunder attributes naturally repelled the dark attribute, or perhaps his spiritual power had strengthened after advancing to the spirit creation realm. Elsewhere in the zone, the arrogant leader decapitated a beast with a powerful strike from his gleaming green sword. He laughed, scoffing at the dangers, while his companions cheered him on. He declared that they would be the ones to obtain the Zhai flower, promising to show the younger generation true strength. Back with the group, Ling Ying's was still fighting nausea, emitting small gags. Feng Yi, noticing Ling Ying's discomfort, and remembering that despite her power she was still a child, placed a hand on her back. A comforting wave of energy enveloped her. The effect was immediate. Nausea and the biting cold vanished, replaced by a comfortable warmth like the winter sun. Marveling at the power of the spirit creation realm, Ling Ying commented on the warmth, believing it to be a rare, high-level fire attribute. Ling Ying thought about how her wood attribute slowly absorbed energy, and how Su Qing had mentioned transforming her water attribute into the rare ice attribute. Feng Yi corrected her. It wasn't fire, but rather the yang attribute. He apologized for not having explained it before, and casually revealed he was responsible for the incident at North Gate and the fire at Qingxiang University. The red-haired leader was shocked by the confession. Incredulous, she asked if he was admitting to 3 different high-level attributes. Feng Wei explained that the 2 events weren't the same, there being important differences between Yang and Heavenly Fire. Internally, Feng Yi pondered his 4th power, the Desolation attribute. He decided to keep it secret, as it was always wise to have a hidden advantage. manage. Externally, he gave a vague confirmation to the team's surprised questions. Shivering from the cold, the red-haired leader nervously approached Feng Yi. She explained that without having reached the 3-star Ghost Axe realm, she couldn't sense attributes very well, but she knew his yang could help her. Promising to behave, she timidly asked if he could warm her up too. Feng Yi agreed. Touching her shoulder, he sent a wave of energy that made her let out a small cry of surprise, breathe out a visible puff of warm air, and sigh in relief. Zhang Xia and another member of Su Qing's squad confusedly watched how well it worked. Feng Yi gently offered the same to Su Qing's team. After hesitating, Su Qing admitted the warmth was pleasant, and her 2 subordinates enthusiastically accepted. With quick touches, Feng Yi shared his yang energy with all 3, who expressed surprise and gratitude for the comfort. The brief relief was interrupted by heavy, clawed footsteps crushing the dead ground. Feng Yi's expression turned serious as he sensed the threat. He warned the group the monster was approaching. Suddenly, a massive, shadowy, wolf-like creature leapt from the mist. Su Qing reacted instantly, rushing forward with a long blue energy blade to intercept the attack. The beast crashed down right behind the terrified red-haired leader, and Feng Yi shouted a warning. Surrounded by a purple-black aura, the monster let out a furious roar and charged. Su Qing identified it as a dangerous level A monster, declaring she would handle it. She surged forward and unleashed a powerful blast of ice from her hand, hitting the creature directly. To everyone's surprise, the monster vanished upon impact. Su Qing remained ready, an ice crystal forming in her hand, while Lin Yi wondered aloud if it had disappeared. Feng Yi, however, saw the truth. His sharp eyes pierced the mist, revealing the monster had been a distraction. The true threat, an immense horde of zombie-like figures with glowing red eyes, silently shuffling toward them. Feng Yi shouted a warning to look down, but it was already too late. The ground exploded with shadowy hands and tentacles, trapping the group, while the zombie horde surrounded them. Enveloped by the threat, Feng Yi calmly ordered his companions to fall back. As he drew his sword, Feng Yi's eyes flared. He unleashed a massive, explosive wave of pure fire, incinerating the entire horde. Their shadowy forms dissolved into screams of pain. Amidst the dying embers, Feng Yi casually twirled his sword, announcing, "We're safe for now." Feng Wai explained that despite the illusion of a large crowd, only 2 monsters controlled the creatures. Su Qing was shocked. The zone's monsters had evolved to mimic human bloodlines. Feng Yi darkly suggested this resulted from devouring and learning from human victims. The group was stunned by the power they had just witnessed. Su Qing observed that in the extreme black zone, even the weakest monsters were level A threats, impossible to directly confront for anyone below the spiritual creation realm. Elsewhere, the mysterious Lan observed. Lan was impressed. Feng Yi had destroyed 2 level A ghost beasts with a single strike. She admitted that even she would need several rounds to defeat them. Understanding the danger, Lin stated that if Su Qing was right, it was crucial they stick together. Lin warned that the monsters could disguise themselves and attack, telling the red-haired leader to get up. The red-haired leader, however, was still shaken, not by the monsters, but by Feng Yi's overwhelming power. She complained about his suffocating and terrifying aura, saying that even a slight touch of his flames would have killed her. Suddenly, a deep rumbling sound echoed. Lin Yi asked if they heard the sound of ocean waves. The ground trembled violently, making the group lose their balance. In the distance, pioneer teams fled in absolute terror. A man yelled at his companion to stop fighting and run, screaming that the threat was pure evil. They were seeing ghosts. Feng Yi, Su Qing, and Lin Yi grimly watched the chaos. Before them, an immense vortex of pure dark energy, filled with monstrous shapes and glowing red eyes, swept across the landscape, consuming everything. The arrogant pioneer and his team were caught in the disaster, identifying it as the legendary Dark Tide. As the Dark Tide advanced, it devoured pioneers screaming for help. The arrogant pioneer sneered, despising the threat. He proudly declared that if common troops couldn't handle it, he certainly could. Proclaiming that everything in the zone belonged to him, he recklessly charged into the heart of the red-black storm. His confidence shattered the instant he entered the tide, enveloped by suffocating dark tendrils. Horrified, he realized the monsters were far more powerful than he'd imagined, well beyond A or S levels. Seized by terror, he knew he couldn't be captured, but it was too late. He and many other pioneers were swallowed by the overwhelming darkness, their screams echoing as they were dragged into the depths. From a safe distance, Feng Yi's group watched the horrific scene. The shaken red-haired leader questioned if the others were dead, and if there was any chance of escape. Lin Yi asked Su Qing to explain the Dark Tide. Su Qing grimly described it as the ultimate form of the dark attribute, a wave of pure corruption that devoured everything in its path, including other monsters. Confused and terrified, Suqing explained that the mission should have avoided the day of the tide, fearing that the pioneers ahead were already dead. Lin Yi recalled descriptions from the forums where the dark tide was a force capable of destroying entire cities. Terrified, she begged her cousin that they retreat while there was still time. Feng Yi, however, remained calm. He told them not to panic and raised a vast protective barrier of golden energy, pulsing with blue lightning around the group. He explained that the spiritual shield was a natural counter to the dark attribute and that, if needed, they would combine their powers to maintain it and survive the impact. Suqing, shocked, asked what he would do. She warned him that the dark tide was a concentrated state of the dark attribute and that not even their combined powers could stop it, reminding him that a powerful pioneer of the spiritual creation realm had just been swallowed. Feng Yi, unyielding, with his sword wreathed in golden flames and his other hand sparking with blue lightning, confidently declared that he would destroy it. Before anyone could react, he leaped, a trail of fire and lightning, rocketing towards the colossal wave of darkness. His companions watched, astonished, Suqing questioning if he would truly destroy the dark tide. He plunged into the heart of the storm, his light carving a path through the swirling chaos. In the eye of the black tide, Feng Yi floated calmly, unharmed in his golden protective aura. As dark energy swirled around, he noticed small flame-shaped red sparks in the storm and smiled, confirming his suspicions. There, in the heart of the black tide, a gigantic horde of countless monsters surrounded him, their distorted forms writhing in the darkness. He analyzed the true nature of the threat. They weren't mere A-level monsters, but enhanced compositions, fused and evolved versions of countless smaller creatures. The tide, a living incubator, evolved its creatures from B-level to A, and then to S. He concluded the event was at least an SSS-level threat, explaining why it could easily devour even powerful pioneers of the spiritual creation realm. A monster lunged. Feng Yi's eyes blazed with golden fire, and with a single, powerful strike of his flaming sword, he unleashed a crimson blade technique, easily destroying the composite A-level beast. He reflected on his incredible growth. The combination of his new spiritual creation realm power with the Skyfire-enhanced sword allowed him to instantly annihilate a creature that would once have been a difficult fight. Scanning his surroundings, he noticed something familiar. The arrogant pioneer, still alive, but being consumed by the tide's dark energy. The man remained conscious, fighting the corruption. Feng Yi realized that, by still reacting, the man's spiritual energy hadn't been fully drained. He concluded that, although his spiritual foundation wasn't as solid as his own, being a true spiritual creation realm pioneer gave him a small chance. Deciding to act, Feng Yi gathered his divine thunder power. He unleashed an immense burst of purifying lightning, striking the dark mass that held the pioneer. The man was hurled out of the tide, falling unconscious, but free from corruption. Standing over his fallen rival, sword still blazing, Feng Yi observed. The man could be saved, but barely. His victory, however, was short-lived. The surrounding dark energy began to twist and recompose, and the destroyed monsters reformed before his eyes. He saw a massive, multifaceted creature regenerating from the darkness, and realized, with grim certainty, that the tide could endlessly reproduce its servants. Facing the regenerating horde, Feng Yi, with a confident smile, decided on a riskier plan. He deliberately dropped his protective aura, exposing himself to the black tide. Unprotected, his system activated, detecting the extreme dark attribute but failed. The power was excessive and couldn't be absorbed at that moment. Feng Yi was disappointed but not surprised. He confirmed that the dark attribute, even in the spiritual creation realm, was beyond his grasp, fundamentally more complex. With options exhausted, a determined smile appeared on his face. He concluded that, without being able to destroy or absorb the tide, he'd need another solution. As the monsters began to surround him again, he regretted not having his flower of desolation, whose life-draining power would be a perfect counter. What else remained? Then, his eyes widened with a sudden realization. The solution was there. Outside the tide, the team watched from the safety of their golden barrier. The shaken redhead leader asked Suqing if she'd ever seen anything like it. Suqing admitted she hadn't. Suddenly, the chaotic energy of the black tide surged, silently pressing against the shield, the eerie calm amplifying the tension. Li Yi was terrified, more anxious than even against the vine of desolation, consumed by worry for her cousin. Subing tried to reassure her, pointing out that his protective barrier was still active, just flickering. Holding Li Yi's hands, Suqing said they should focus spiritual energy to strengthen the shield. With grim logic, she added that that if Feng Yi fell, their fate would be sealed. She continued, Feng Yi was a spiritual realm cultivator, master of several powerful attributes, and his true strength might be even greater than they knew. It wasn't for pioneers of their level to worry about rescuing someone so far beyond their capabilities. Her surprisingly good-humored and confident words calmed Li Yi, who thanked her. Suging smiled, admitting her companions called her too serious, and asked if Li Yi felt better. The tension broke when a colossal pillar of pure fire erupted from the black tide, pushing back the oppressive darkness. From the heart of the inferno, Feng Yi unleashed his supreme technique, the art of sealing the 9 heavenly fire dragons. He rose from the flames, his body gleaming with a mix of blue and golden energy. Outside, his companions watched in awe. The redhead leader pointed excitedly at him. An invigorated Li Yi could barely believe it, and Su Qing stared at him in shock, awestruck by the magnitude of the revealed power. The technique manifested as 9 colossal fire dragons, swirling and dancing, their combined light overpowering the black tide. Elsewhere, the mysterious lamb, monitoring the mission, was unbalanced by the immense spiritual pressure. She recognized the legendary heavenly fire attribute and the technique as a powerful seal. She watched, incredulous, as the 9 dragons converged, compressing the entire black tide into a single unstable sphere of flaming energy, wondering if Feng Yi had truly sealed the entire event. Feng Yi wasn't finished. After containing the tide, he gathered divine thunder and unleashed an immense, crackling blue vortex, which spun around the flaming sphere. With a roar, he invoked his combined technique, the Edict of 9 Dragons. The powers of fire and thunder collided in a massive explosion, shaking the foundations of the extreme black zone. With a final sealing command, Feng Yi clasped his hands, forcing the chaotic energy to collapse into a smaller, more stable sphere. The power stabilized into a small, glowing, pulsating orb. After the demonstration, the arrogant pioneer lay unconscious. Feng Yi thought, they are safe, and he unexpectedly rescued someone. Li Yi rushed to her cousin, relieved. Su Qing, alongside the pioneer, offered for her team to take care of him. Then, she approached Feng Yi, asking why he didn't seem happy, even after sealing a high-level dark attribute. In her mind, however, Su Qing was amazed, thinking he had truly kept his word to destroy the dark tide, an incredible person. Feng Yi explained to the group the need to move fast. The seal was temporary, and the dark energy in the area remained intense. They needed to hurry and find the flower before the seal broke. Sugung understood, confirming her team would take the unconscious pioneer back to the association for treatment. The group stopped at a cliff, observing the empty landscape. Feng Yi realized none of the pioneers ahead had survived. He concluded they were devoured by the dark attribute. No trace remained. The red-haired leader lamented how people alive moments before had simply vanished. Feng Yi thought it might be cold, but he felt relief at not having witnessed their deaths. As they approached a dark, eerie pool, Feng Yi took command. He instructed Li Ying and the others to follow with Su Qing's team, explaining that the pool was the most dangerous point and he would stay to protect them. The group agreed and moved on. Alone on a rocky ledge, Feng Yi saw a system window. Strong dark attribute fluctuation detected. Immediately, a powerful vortex of purple and black energy erupted from the ground around him. The system confirmed the detection, activating its maximum power to create a new technique. Feng Yi was lifted into the air, arms open, as enormous pillars of pure dark energy surged around him. The process was successful. Feng Yi's eyes opened, glowing with a menacing purple light, filled with the essence of power. He had mastered a new technique. The system window confirmed. Acquired the dark attribute technique, limited dark world. The system explained that the ability allowed him to create a sealed space within the dark mist, where spiritual energy was drastically weakened. Feng Yi reflected on the power, recognizing the dark world as a special domain controllable by him, and understood the enormous strategic advantage. His new power would drain the enemy's spiritual energy, preventing their recovery. Imagining himself above a sea of desperate hands, Feng Yi concluded that with this weakening and his other attributes, he could destroy any threat, even an even more potent S-rank dark tide. As the last purple energy dissipated, Su Qing, still in shock, asked Feng Yi if he felt the dark mist reforming around them. Her eyes widened at the immense spiritual fluctuation. She watched Feng Yi, surrounded by the remaining energy, incredulous at another breakthrough without the usual signs. Then the realization hit her. Feng Yi hadn't just sealed the S-rank dark tide, he had absorbed its power. The idea seemed absurd and impossible. Since the spiritual awakening, it was known that the dark attribute, born of negative emotions, was the most terrifying power. Because of this, absorbing this power was strictly forbidden by the government. A failed experiment showed researchers paying a painful price when trying to purify it, classifying it as a singularly dangerous monster. Its power ranged from D to S. Even the weakest dominated beginners, while the S-rank dark tide devoured cultivators of the spiritual creation realm. Another flashback recalled a 3-star pioneer who, before the prohibition, tried to absorb a C-rank monster. Driven mad by the backlash, he suffered skin decay and mental collapse. Trapped in a psychiatric hospital to this day. Back in the present, the chaotic dark energy calmed, returning into Feng Yi. He let out a sigh, calmly speaking to the misty landscape. Whoever has been watching for so long can come out now. His red eyes scanned the area with a sharp gaze. From the mist, Galen emerged, confirming, if I'm not mistaken, Feng Yi sealed the dark tide by himself. Suqing was stunned by the sudden appearance, exclaiming Galen's name in shock. Galen floated down and landed before Feng Yi, asking if he was absorbing the dark attribute. Feng Yi calmly confirmed. The directed mission shocked Suqing again. In a swift, unexpected move, Galen drew a pistol, pointing it at Feng Yi's head. The redhead leader screamed Galen's name, demanding answers while she and the intimidating Lin Yi watched, paralyzed by fear. Subing reacted, stepping between Galen and Feng Yi, blocking the weapon with one arm. She glared at Galen, reminding her that Feng Yi was a primary target for military recruitment and questioning her hostility, given that even the association wanted him before the army intervened. Ignoring Suqing's defense, Feng Yi calmly placed a hand on her shoulder and addressed Galen. Intrigued, Feng Yi asked if the mission wasn't to find the flower, noting that while she seemed anxious, she also showed dissatisfaction that they had survived. Galen remained silent, her face unreadable, the weapon still aimed. The gleam of the barrel reflected the tension. The redhead leader, enraged, shouted at Galen, accusing her of betrayal. "We always trusted you. Why didn't you help against the dark tide? Without Feng Yi, we would have died." Pointing at Lin Yi, she said he was still a child, and accused Galen of just watching, only to now threaten their savior. Suddenly, Galen lowered her weapon, displaying a slight smile. She said it was all just a prank, and remarked how well-liked Feng Yi seemed by his companions. Then she congratulated him, announcing that he had passed the test. The sudden shift confused the redhead leader and Suqing, but Feng Yi understood. He asked if Galen was testing him, and she confirmed. His talent required a personal assessment, not just data. Turning to the redhead leader, Galen justified her non-intervention. Pioneers follow the harsh rules of this world. Luck and misfortune alternate, but they were lucky to have Feng Yi. She pointed out that no monsters had attacked them since the Dark Tide's defeat, terrified by his power. Feng Yi, with a dark gleam in his eyes, agreed. The Dark Tide itself intimidates the weak and fears the strong. Test concluded, Galen offered to guide them to the flower, knowing the area. As they followed her, Suqing whispered to Feng Yi. Galen seemed troubled. Her squad had been decimated by the Dark Tide. She was the only survivor. Feng Yi processed. Blind obedience and the rules had made her cold. The loss of her squad left her with post-traumatic self-destructive tendencies. However, another belief sustained her, and seeing him seal the Dark Tide made her lose her composure. With understanding, Feng Yi sketched a faint smile. "She's injured," he told his companions. The redhead leader questioned this, and Feng Yi, observing Galen, confirmed, "Her spiritual barrier is severely damaged. Though possessing the power of a 2-star cultivator from the spiritual creation realm, her protective aura had dropped 2 levels. Her disintegrating spiritual energy and slight sway confirmed a significant internal injury." Noticing their concern, Galen looked back and silently thanked them, downplaying it. "It's nothing." Guided by Galen, the group entered the chaotic tombs, a desolate, foggy landscape filled with dead trees and scattered bones. As they advanced, Feng Yi's keen senses alerted him to something wrong, revealing the remains of a half-buried pioneer. Galen announced their arrival. Before them, in a clearing, a single flower glowed with a soft purple light. As Galen moved toward the flower, Feng Yi watched her, sensing the mistake. His suspicion was confirmed. Fierce, red-eyed, dark monsters emerged from the ground, protecting the flower. The sudden appearance didn't make Galen recoil. On the contrary, her expression became a disturbing obsession. She extended her hand, whispering, "Finally, I can see it again." Her face darkened, as if in a trance. Feng Yi's expression turned serious as he realized the imminent danger. Reacting instantly, he summoned a sphere of golden red flames, shouting a command to awaken her spirit. He launched the fireball at Galen, aiming to rouse her. The sphere flew toward her. At the last second, she awoke from her trance, recognizing the rare and powerful Yang attribute technique. She deflected the blast with one arm, generating a shockwave. Now, she and Feng Yi faced each other in tense silence, golden energy crackling in his hand. Galen, fully awake, was shaken. The sight of the flower brought painful memories, and phantom images of fallen friends flashed through her mind. She wondered if her preparations still weren't enough. Seeing her conscious, Ning Yi and Suqing rushed to her side. Ning Yi asked if she was okay. Suqing, observing the strong influence of the dark attribute on Galen, suggested they stay together. Ignoring them, Feng Yi stepped forward with confidence. He declared he would handle the flower alone. He walked calmly through the misty clearing clearing, approaching the glowing flower. Suddenly, the ground trembled. A massive, grotesque, wolf-like monster with glowing red eyes emerged from the earth. Advancing with its mouth agape, it revealed a terrifying storm of screaming faces in dark red energy and roared with hunger. Impassive, Feng Yi summoned shimmering blue energy to his fingertips and declared, "Divine thunder." Colossal bolts of lightning tore through the monster's body. The creature roared in pain, its body racked with electricity, but it didn't fall. Feng Yi observed. The fox demon, having devoured countless monsters, had transformed into an S-class threat. With the seal under the black tide temporary and time running out, he needed to finish this quickly. Faced with the monster's impressive strength, a confident smile appeared on his face. He decided that if it didn't die, the creature would serve as a test subject for his new power. He gathered terrifying purple energy of the dark attribute. With a determined gaze, he unleashed his newly acquired power, a dark, limited world. A colossal storm of purple energy swirled around him, completely trapping the surprised creature. The energy solidified into a large, dark purple sphere, engulfing Feng Yi and the monster. Within this new reality, shadowy tendrils of purple energy whipped in all directions, coiling tightly around the S-class beast. The monster writhed and groaned in pain, its massive body shrinking under the immense pressure of Feng Yi's domain. A system window appeared, confirming the technique's devastating feat. Under the influence of the dark, limited world, the S-class anomaly was demoted by 2 levels, becoming a B-class threat. Facing the weakened creature, Feng Yi noted that its foundation must have been very weak to be demoted so easily. With the enemy manageable, his sword ignited with golden red flames. He declared the fight over and unleashed a single massive flaming strike, destroying the monster in a blaze of fire. Outside the sphere, Su Qing and Li Ying observed the enormous orb of dark energy. Su Qing found it strange, noting that while it was clearly a dark attribute, it felt different from usual. Li Ying agreed, noticing the absence of the usual heavy, repulsive cold. Galen explains, they are witnessing Feng Yi's personal domain, a space he created himself after mastering the dark attribute without a master. Galen reflects on the immense importance and difficulty of such a feat. Until then, only her master and, perhaps, 3 other people in the world were capable of creating a spatial domain with spiritual power. A painful memory surfaces, a disaster that devastated an entire city. She recalls her master's failure to contain the disaster with his own domain. Her thoughts are interrupted when the purple sphere disappears, leaving Feng Yi alone in the clearing. Galen and Shang Yi are surprised by the battle's speed, finished with a simple movement and a reassuring smile. Feng Yi announces that the funeral mountains are safe. With the area protected, he walks towards the glowing flower. Carefully, he pulls the plant from the soil, preserving its roots. Holding the glittering prize, he concludes it's enough for the mission. Galen watches him, tense and nervous, as the mission reaches its critical point. Feng Yi returns to the group, handing the flower to Galen, who comments on its small size. He confirms the mission is complete and requests immediate departure, explaining that the sealed dark tide, unlike other monsters, could become a problem at any moment. He adds that they also need to deal with an arrogant pioneer and his team. Holding the flower, she sincerely thanks Feng Yi, admitting his overwhelming power was the sole reason for their success. Then, she thanks the rest of the group and announces their departure. As the others move away, Galen stops, looking back to thank Feng Yi one last time. Then, she reveals the mission's critical importance. Elder Wu, the only pioneer of the King Kong realm in the Jia Nation, was on the verge of death, and the flower was the only remedy. With a slight smile of gratitude, she tells Feng Yi he had just saved the life of the nation's most powerful protector. Feng Yi listened, thoughtful, processing the new and important information, repeating the name of the legendary King Kong realm to himself as the group emerged from the dark portal of the extreme dark zone. They were greeted by a sky of swirling red clouds. The red-haired leader raises her fists in triumph, shouting in relief at seeing the light and having survived. Lin Yi agrees, grateful for the daylight. Their return was greeted by applause from a crowd of anxious officials. They celebrated the flower's recovery, admitting they almost hadn't believed it when Galen informed them. As the team passes through the path opened by the crowd, the red-haired leader is surprised by the number of people. Someone from the crowd wonders aloud who obtained the flower. Suddenly, Lin Yi is surprised to notice something ahead. On the path, an enormous armored military vehicle, surrounded by elite soldiers. The red-haired leader recognizes the vehicle and the symbol of the legendary Star God War Zone, the most powerful and famous military force in the Xia Nation. Shame washes over her as she realizes Galen is a member of this elite unit, regretting having yelled at her earlier. The Star God War Zone, the nation's first military district, had conquered the richest forbidden zones since the resurgence of spiritual energy, turning them into valuable cultivation fields. As they approached, the officer handed the flower, encased in a glowing blue container, to a superior. Major Han Li received the container with a satisfied smile. In a surprising display of respect, he and his entire squad of soldiers stood at attention. attention, formally saluting Feng Yi. Feng Yi was visibly surprised. Major Han Li then turned to Galen, assuring her the flower would be taken to the hospital and that she could rest easy. Galen nodded, promising to follow him soon. With the item secure, the armored vehicle sped off. With the immediate crisis resolved, Galen turned to Feng Yi, asking directly if she was from the Star God War Zone. She confirmed, adding that news of Feng Yi's impressive strength had already spread throughout the military district. With a confident gaze, she said he would soon become a famous and imposing figure. Galen admitted that Feng Yi's individual strength was enough to single-handedly defeat even the elite squadrons of the war zone. Galen then made a formal recruitment offer. She invited Feng Yi to join the Star God War Zone, promising access to the best cultivation resources and emphasizing his limitless potential. She also guaranteed that the mission rewards for him and Su Qiying's squad would be delivered soon. Feng Yi listened with a faint smile, but seemed to be deep in thought. Her tone grew serious. She explained the gravity of the global situation, stating that with the rapid changes, the nation's biggest concern was dark attribute anomalies. A vision of a city consumed by a cloud of purple and black energy illustrated her point. She warned that the number of these anomalies was growing at an alarming rate, and the influence of the dark zones would spread like a deadly tumor, with the potential for catastrophic consequences. Due to this extreme danger, there was no choice but to establish forbidden zones and entrust their strict guardianship to organizations like the Spiritual Energy Association. She made it clear she wasn't telling him this to pressure him into joining, but because she believed such a remarkable and powerful pioneer deserved to know the truth about the world. Understanding her sincerity, Feng Yi smiled and reassured her. He said he understood and that if he encountered any anomalies in the future, he wouldn't stand by idly. He assured her she could rest easy. Upon hearing his promise, Galen's serious expression softened into a genuine smile of relief. Presenting it formally, Galen offered a small, dark token. Feng Yi took it, seeing a black plaque with a dragon symbol and the characters Star God War Zone. Galen explained that the token granted unrestricted access to any forbidden cultivation zone, and that the war zone's gates would always be open to him. Galen then made a final request, asking if he would like to meet Elder Wu. Feng Yi asked if she was referring to the King Kong Realm pioneer. She explained that Wu was her master and that, out of a personal desire for friendship, she would like Feng Yi to meet him. Feng Yi accepted the invitation, tucking the token into his pocket. He agreed to go, saying that having more friends was always good. To seal their new friendship, he extended his hand, covered in blue lightning, saying he had something for her. Galen was puzzled, but Feng Yi explained that he would remove the dark poison from her body. Before she could react, a wave of blue lightning enveloped her, stunning her. The energy flowed through her body, and she marveled at the thunder's healing effect. The cold pain gave way to a gentle warmth and pleasant numbness. The discomfort vanished. Old wounds healed, her body purified by the energy. It was like a rebirth, the powerful thunder attribute cleansing all toxins. As soon as he finished, Feng Yi asked Galen how she felt, still with faint sparks around him. She confirmed, "Great. All residual dark energy completely removed." Su Qing watched the paramedics tending to the unconscious pioneer, doubting it was possible to save him. As she turned, she was surprised to see Feng Yi and Galen. Her aura was different, her injuries disappearing. Galen explained that Feng Yi had used his pure thunder attribute to remove the dark poison. Amazed, Su Qing realized the true nature of his power, to destroy enemies and save lives. Su Qing pointed at Feng Yi, impressed. He merely asked what she was looking at. With a brilliant idea, she excitedly waved at the paramedics. Approaching Feng Yi, she proposed a partnership. Combining his spiritual power with medical equipment, they could save many pioneers from dark corruption. To prove her seriousness, she bowed deeply, pleading for another demonstration. Feng Yi reflected in silence. After a moment, he agreed, releasing a controlled flow of blue lightning from his hand, asking if that was enough. A paramedic, seeing the pure energy, excitedly confirmed it would work. Such a high-level thunder attribute could indeed combat the dark. Su Qing explained that when Feng Yi treated her, the power was transmitted directly, destroying the corruption. She suggested that Feng Yi and the patient just needed to hold hands. However, the paramedic clarified that not every cultivator, even in the spiritual creation realm, could withstand such pure energy. He explained that Su Qing's injuries, though serious, were light compared to others. Healing the arrogant pioneer would require 10 times more spiritual energy. Saving his life would already be an accomplishment, full recovery almost impossible. Feng Yi agreed, asking how to transfer the energy. They led him to the ambulance. One of them asked him to place his hand on a special device and release release his spiritual energy, which Feng Yi agreed to do from a distance. Lin Yi watched, surprised that Galen was a high-ranking member of the Star God War Zone. She was impressed. Her cousin was so powerful that even this legendary military unit wished to ally with him. She remembered how the normally cold Galen had personally asked for his friendship and given him her personal emblem. After a while, Feng Yi turned to Lin Yi and her red-haired leader, asking how they were. Lin Yi confirmed that they were fine, explaining that they had decided to train and take on missions on their own. They felt they needed to grow stronger, without always depending on him. Having finished the energy transfer, Feng Yi agreed with the decision, only asking them to be careful. He watched them with a small, proud smile, thinking his cousin had matured. Su Qing and her team departed. She waved at Feng Yi and Galen, promising to see them on the next mission. As the ambulance drove away, Galen told Feng Yi it was time to visit Elder Wu. Frustrated, Su Qing loudly complained that the Star God War Zone military unit had stolen someone so powerful. Her companions tried to calm her, while her mind revealed the chaotic Spiritual Energy Association, with its elite teams averse to cooperation. Feng Yi and Galen arrived at the high-security wing of the Star God War Zone medical base. In the room, before Elder Wu, who lay unconscious, surrounded by equipment, Feng Yi noted the strange contrast. It's curious that the greatest power of the King Kong realm is, in fact, a wrinkled old man. He analyzed the elder's face and neck, covered in red veins, his breathing aided by a respirator. Galen explained that his condition had been much worse, previously resembling a corpse. Even after the precious flower, he still hadn't awakened. Concerned, Feng Yi wondered what could have happened to someone so powerful to leave him in that state. Galen narrated the battle that led her master into a coma. A dark anomaly appeared over the capital. To prevent the city from being consumed, Elder Wu, her master, stepped forward to seal it alone. In a flashback, Galen described the rest of the team transferring their spiritual energy to support him. The anomaly, a monstrous draconian form of pure dark energy hovering over the destroyed city, was far beyond an S-level threat. Galen continued. If the anomaly had descended, the capital and neighboring cities would have been destroyed, plunging the nation into chaos. In a final act, Elder Wu used his personal domain to seal it. However, the overwhelming power of the dark attribute reacted, corrupting his body. If he hadn't been a King Kong realm master, he would have turned to ash, Galen concluded. In the present, Feng Yi looked at the comatose hero with new respect. He recognized Elder Wu as a true pioneer, sacrificed to prevent the city's destruction. As he observed him, Feng Yi recalled his past life and the pioneers who sacrificed themselves so he could be the last survivor. With sadness, he realized that in his original timeline, Elder Wu had probably already died. A new determination filled him, and he extended his hand towards the elder. Galen, startled, shouted, "What are you doing to my master?" Feng Yi calmly asked her not to worry. He explained that although the flower was already working, he wanted to try and remove part of the lingering dark attribute in the elder's body. Feng Yi placed his hand on the elder's chest, and a powerful current of blue lightning began to flow into his body. "This will help him awaken faster," he explained. Galen watched, shocked, exclaiming that the power he was trying to purify had come from an S-level disaster. After a moment of hesitation, she relented and told Feng Yi to try. The room crackled with Feng Yi's energy as he poured his power into the elder. Galen warned him, "Be careful. My master's dark attribute is far more terrifying than the shadow tide." She added that without the flower, recovery would be even slower. Feng Yi nodded, sensing the immense power of darkness within the elder. Even weakened by the flower, the dark energy was still oppressive and intense. Suddenly, a powerful wave exploded from the bed, throwing Feng Yi and Galen backward. "Watch out!" Galen yelled. "Keep your mind steady. The dark energy is affecting you." A golden aura exploded around Feng Yi, activating his spiritual protection. His eyes glowed golden, but he realized, surprised, that the dark energy had dragged him into a vision of the past. He found himself alone on a desolate street of a ruined city. Looking up, he saw the enormous, terrifying red eye of the anomaly that had consumed the sky. The colossal eye hovered over the destroyed city, asking who Feng Yi was. He realized, by touching Elder Wu's dark attribute, his spirit had been pulled into a dangerous illusion. Undaunted, Feng Yi confidently replied, his identity didn't matter. He was just the one who had come to eliminate it. With his hand glowing with blue lightning, he concluded that the anomaly wasn't as powerful as it seemed. In response, the giant eye launched a massive, sharp red spike toward him, catching him by surprise. Feng Yi quickly activated his golden sun breathing technique, his eyes shining with golden power as he prepared to defend himself. He dodged with the agility of a storm, evading the red spikes falling from the sky. The anomaly began to release tentacles of strange red and black lightning. Feng Yi noticed that lightning was as strong as the divine lightning he had absorbed on Yang Mountain. The anomaly revealed its true form, an enormous swarm of countless luminous insect-like creatures of pure dark energy, swirling around a central red eye. Feng Yi recognized that each creature was as strong as the Shadow Tide monsters, and there were tens of millions of them. The entire swarm descended upon him in a terrifying vortex. Faced with the threat, Feng Yi summoned his blazing sword, confronting the monstrous swarm. His only option was to eliminate them. With a determined shout, he charged forward and unleashed an enormous flaming slash that carved a brilliant path through the heart of the swarm. His powerful attack cut the creature's central eye in half. He identified the threat as an S-level collective anomaly. However, he supposed its power was weakened, perhaps due to being an illusion or the purifying effects of the flower used on Elder Wu. The two halves of the swarm fell onto the ruined city, exploding on impact. Feng Yi landed on a rooftop, observing the debris. He estimated the anomaly's current power was around A level and reflected, impressed, that this was the city-destroying catastrophe Elder Wu had faced alone. Feng Yi realized the threat was far greater than he had imagined. Gathering swirling dark energy in his hands, he unleashed his own dark attribute technique, the Boundless Shadow World. An enormous vortex of pure darkness erupted from his body, beginning to absorb the insect-like anomaly. The creature was shocked, perceiving him as non-human. With a confident smile, Feng Yi replied, "Doesn't seem like it." He shouted the command, "Open!" His shadow vortex absorbed the remainder of the S anomaly, and with the last particle, a final message echoed in the void. "We will return soon." Feng Yi, floating in his dark energy, reflected. The final message had come from the anomaly's consciousness. The word return made him question if other similar catastrophes awaited. As the illusory world roared and disintegrated, he decided to exit and think about it later. His consciousness returned to reality with a jolt. Immediately he placed his hand on Elder Wu, extracting an enormous mass of corrupt, dark purple shadow energy, crackling with blue lightning. To contain the dangerous substance pulled from the Elder's chest, Feng Yi used his 9 blazing dragons heaven sealing art, trapping the energy within a sphere of blazing red chains. Holding the sealed orb, he explained to Galen that it was the remnant of the dark attribute in Elder Wu's body, the last fragment of the city-destroying anomaly. He explained that although the sealed orb was powerful, its influence had been greatly reduced thanks to the flower and Elder Wu's own seal. He praised the Elder, calling him the nation's #1 pioneer, for using his own body to contain a dark power that would have killed anyone countless times over. Gala, seeing the Elder's red veins disappear and his breathing become steadier, told Feng Yi that he had truly saved the Elder's life. Feng Yi, however, humbly replied that it wasn't solely his doing. Without the flower weakening the corruption, he wouldn't have been able to remove the stubborn dark attribute. Gala agreed. The flower had saved the Elder, but Feng Yi's power now gave him a chance for full recovery. With a final push, Feng Yi clenched his fist, crushing the sealed orb into dust and announcing, "The remnant is now completely neutralized." He then told Gala he had something else to tell her. He revealed that, in the mental illusion, the anomaly's remnant had warned him, "We will return." He concluded that they should always be prepared, without letting a recently recovered Elder return to the front lines. Gala confirmed she knew. She had heard the rumor before. When Feng Yi asked, she explained that Army and Association monitoring departments collect data on spiritual energy changes, revealing a rumor. With the Xia Nation's current power, they might not even survive the first year after the complete rebirth of spiritual energy. "Of course," she added. No one believed it. Feng Yi commented, "Monitoring changes in spiritual energy sounds very official." Gala asked if he believed the rumor. A shadow crossed Feng Yi's face, and he wondered if his rebirth had changed the future. He remembered that, in his original timeline, he had lived for 3 years after the rebirth of spiritual energy, and by then the planet was already almost destroyed. Feng Yi comforts Gala, assuring her that Elder Wu will soon wake up. He stares at her seriously, promising, if the catastrophe returns, he will fight alongside them. Feng Yi knew that the final confrontation was inevitable. With determination, he swore to change the future this time. That night, back in his apartment, meditating on the couch, enveloped by the generative energy of his dark attribute, Feng Yi reflected. After 2 battles against S-level anomalies, he felt he was about to break through to the 2-star spiritual creation realm. However, with the full rebirth of spiritual energy imminent, his strength, even with the new dark attribute, was still insufficient. He recalled the terrifying power of the anomaly he faced in the mental illusion. Even weakened, its real strength was immense. His thoughts were suddenly interrupted by the small white flower in the vase on the table. He spoke to the flower, admitting his mistake for not having taken it on the last mission, and the difficulty of transporting it. Smiling, Feng Yi picked up the plant that seemed to glow brighter, regretting not having given it a chance to evolve. He decided to take it for a walk. He headed for the back mountain, his private training ground. Walking along the moonlit path, Feng Yi commented on the association's plant research department's skill. He observed that, since the last damage in the area, the forest had already begun to regenerate, a sign of nature's improved self-recovery capacity in this new era. Feng Yi found a good spot in the forest, knelt down, and removed the flower from its pot to plant it in the rich soil. He made a mental note to thank Shen Ying and her team for the spot, hot. Holding the flower, he gently warned his new companion to absorb the energy calmly, little by little. He warned that if it were greedy, not even all the flowers on the planet would be enough to feed it. The obedient white flower immediately took root. A huge vortex of life-draining green energy erupted from the plant, spreading rapidly through the forest, absorbing the life from all nearby trees. Soon after, Feng Yi, arms crossed in the now dead and empty section of the forest, decided the flower had absorbed enough. Satisfied, Feng Yi smiled, pulling the glowing flower from the ground, roots and all. It was time to find a new place to feed. As he held the plant, which seemed to blossom with its energy, he wondered about its level among evolved plant spirits. With its powerful desolation attribute, he concluded it should be, at minimum, an A-level threat. Walking along a dark hillside, Feng Yi noticed the profound silence. The animals, fearful of the flower's power, had fled. His thoughts were suddenly interrupted by a loud, ferocious howl that echoed through the night. Feng Yi's expression hardened as he recognized the sound. The howl came from a wolf on a nearby cliff beneath the blood-red moon. A pack of monstrous wolves with glowing red eyes was gathering, their bodies shifting and growing. Feng Yi, alarmed, noticed a dangerous evolution within the pack. Before the group, he identified the enormous creature on the cliff as the Wolf King, whose evolution was nearly complete. With a deafening roar, the Wolf King completed its transformation, its body now glowing with menacing green energy. Holding the vase with the flower, Feng Yi was surprised by the immense spiritual power emanating from the creature, realizing with astonishment that it was about to become an A-level anomaly. The newly evolved pack quickly surrounded him, cutting off any escape route. Feng Yi deduced that the Wolf King had evolved from its old wood attribute to a new and powerful poison attribute, likely by absorbing the area's dark energy. Even in the face of danger, Feng Yi remained calm, viewing the threat as merely A-level. He removed the small white flower from the vase and planted it in the soil. The anomaly itself was A-level, but the wolf horde and the risk of them reaching the city at the foot of the mountain represented a bigger problem. As the Wolf King advanced to attack, Feng Yi ordered the flower to act, and a brilliant green energy began to flow from it. Feng Yi wanted to test the flower's power. An immense beam of life-draining green energy shot into the night sky, visible from afar. At the foot of the mountain, another team of pioneers watched the scene with growing concern. One of the team members noted, the Wolf King had evolved and was incredibly strong. The contamination level had hit 90. Shocked by the dangerously high reading, the leader, a blonde pioneer, felt the tension rise. He identified the Wolf King's wood attribute as, at minimum in the 3 stars realm of ghostly deeds, perhaps even in the spiritual creation realm. The rest of the pack was powerful, and his team could barely handle it. He himself had just broken through to the 3 stars realm. Then the leader noticed the green energy beam and recognized the dark attribute, understanding the high contamination. He alerted the team. The Wolf King had evolved with dual attributes, something extremely rare. His meter shot up to 100. He gritted his teeth. They needed to stop the evolution before the area below was lost, and the beasts became even more terrifying. He decided to call the Spiritual Energy Association for reinforcements. At that instant, the ground trembled violently. "Is that an earthquake?" a man asked. The leader knew that the wolves' evolution wouldn't cause such a tremor. With growing fear, he realized another anomaly was emerging. His meter confirmed the worst. Contamination skyrocketed to an impossible 1,000. Terrified, the pioneers saw a gigantic eruption of green. Desolation energy explode at the top of the mountain. A pioneer recognized the power of desolation, disbelieving. As the life-draining energy approached, the team panicked. "Is that the giant sky vine that disappeared?" a man shouted. Without warning, catastrophe unfolded. The leader ordered a retreat and immediate evacuation of the residents. However, as quickly as it appeared, the enormous wave of desolation energy seemed to stop. One of the men informed the leader. The energy had ceased. The team watched the gigantic green vortex recede, sinking into the mountain, and wondered if the danger had truly passed. At the top of the mountain, where Feng Yi planted his flower, the soil was covered by a network of thick green roots. From these roots sprouted dozens of luminous white flowers, which then exploded in an immense wave of green energy, transforming into a gigantic, radiant floral structure. A sea of white petals covered the entire area. The alpha wolf howled in fury. The harmless petals became sharp blades, slicing through the air. Amidst the swirling petals, Feng Yi explained the terrifying nature of his flower. The spiritual sea would grow and multiply infinitely, absorbing and purifying the enemy until nothing remained. Feng Yi stood atop a massive root system of his flower. As the wolf pack succumbed, he provoked the alpha wolf. "How will your companions fare without the same spiritual protection you have?" The smaller wolves were quickly ensnared by vines covered in white flowers. Their vital energy was swiftly drained, leaving behind only skeletons that collapsed into dust. After absorbing the pack's life force, the flower and its petals took on a new, deep, menacing red. In a last desperate attempt, the alpha wolf gathered its energy and fired a powerful green beam from its mouth. The red flower, however, formed a protective barrier. barrier, easily absorbing the attack. Hidden amidst the whirlwind of red petals and vines, Feng Yi told the creature its attack was futile. He explained that his spiritual flower's desolation attribute, deeply rooted in the mountain, drew and used the area's power in an infinite cycle. The alpha wolf, now smarter after its evolution, seemed to understand the desperate situation but still refused to give up. Identifying the main red flower as the source of power, it charged directly at it. Feng Yi watched it with a small, ironic smile, asking his flower what it would do now that it had been discovered. The central red flower grew to a colossal size and advanced to face the alpha wolf. It opened its enormous petals, trapping the creature in its embrace. The alpha wolf howled in agony as its life force was drained by the desolation attribute. The immense red flower continued to absorb it, its green energy being devoured. Feng Yi watched, serious and surprised, realizing his flower was allowing the dark attribute to invade it. The alpha wolf was completely consumed by the red flower's pulsating petals. Feng Yi was amazed, impressed by the formidable power of the desolation attribute. He realized he had never expected the flower to create its own technique without his direct interference, even after implanting the attribute. With the giant flower returning to normal size, he understood the terrifying nature of its new ability. Once trapped in the sea of flowers, there was no escape. The flower then spat out the clean, bleached skeleton of the alpha wolf. Feng Yi concluded, even if the spiritual flowers were destroyed, they could grow infinitely, using the power of desolation to reduce any enemy to bones. Before the immense red flower, now surrounded by a field of smaller flowers of the same color, he decided to name the new technique, Infinite Spiritual Sea. A system window confirmed the creation and registration of the desolation attribute technique. The battle ended, the flower's petals closed, emanating an intense glow. Feng Yi, slightly exhausted, felt a red petal brush his face. The flower exploded in a wave of energy, and he realized his small flower would also evolve. Alarms blared in a high-tech control room. An analyst reported an A-level anomaly, two distinct spiritual powers detected in the same area. Besides the alpha wolf's dark attribute, now a powerful desolation attribute. The association's superior, with Su King, demanded the location. A technician points at the map, the area supervised by Su King. The superior asks if the destroyer team hadn't already been dispatched to the wolves. His words are cut short by a field call. The leader reports, a wave of desolation energy eliminated the A-level wolf pack. The power, however, returned to the mountain, from where a sea of anomalous flowers emerged. The pioneers, facing the mountain, now red from the flower's glow, cannot approach. The leader warns, the eruption of this anomaly will be worse than the celestial vine. He requests reinforcements, as not all pioneers could handle the event. The superior agrees and dispatches two elite teams. Su King, however, has another idea. Confidently, she faces the superior. She senses that the source of the desolation power is Feng Yi. She interrupts the call, points to Feng Yi's house in the area, and declares with conviction he will protect everyone. A vision accompanies her words. Feng Yi floats in a flaming aura above the city. On the mountain, the landscape is covered by a sea of red flowers. Feng Yi observes his small white flower, now gigantic. He confirms his suspicion. After devouring the Wolf King, the flower will evolve a second attribute. The giant red flower blooms, its center glowing golden. Feng Yi is surprised. The flower's new power is a fire attribute. Touching the plant, he reflects, devouring enemies is an incredibly easy way to evolve. After the evolution, the giant flower shrinks to its original size, fitting in his palm, its petals, now a deep red. A system window confirms, the spirit flower has completed its evolution. Classified as an A-level anomaly, desolate fire spirit flower, it possesses dual attributes of desolation and fire. The notification adds, the flower has a strong desire to consume spiritual energy and can be cultivated in the boundless dark world. Feng Yi reads the notification, intrigued by the mention of the boundless dark world. An idea occurs to him. He can place the flower within his main dark domain. This domain, he knows, contains a vast quantity of dark anomalies and a favorable environment. If the spirit flower absorbs the energy from there, it could evolve a third dark attribute. As he holds the orb of his domain, an enormous storm forms in the sky. Feng Yi's eyes gleam golden. He was about to reach the two-star spiritual creation realm. He sat down to cultivate, and a pillar of golden divine energy enveloped him. As he meditates, he feels his power easier to control, the world's spiritual energy merging with his body. Elsewhere in the mountains, the muscular man senses the immense energy of the breakthrough. He follows the light, impressed by its source. Excited, he recognizes the legendary celestial fireblade, realizing he has found a two-star spiritual creation realm cultivator. Having witnessed Feng Yi's previous battle, the man, enshrouded in his flaming aura, declared he would crush that new fire attribute pioneer, proving to everyone he was number one. At the cultivation site, Feng Yi's sharp senses detected a new presence. He yelled, "Who's there?" The man hurled a massive fireball his way. "Are you a fire attribute pioneer?" Unfazed, Feng Yi absorbed the powerful attack with his dark energy vortex. He smiled, satisfied. He had finally lured out the hidden enemy. Feng Yi had sensed him nearby for some time, the man not even trying to conceal his energy. A wild, disorganized pioneer, he thought, one who lived only for challenges and had just reached the spiritual creation realm. The muscular man, now revealed and wreathed in a flaming aura, dared to face Feng Yi. "Interesting," he commented. "I feel a strong spiritual imprint on you." He introduced himself. "I am Zhang Lu. How did you evade my fire attack?" Feng Yi remained silent, observing him with a confident smile. Zhang Lu advanced, covered in flames, ready to strike. Feng Yi calmly raised his hand, pointed 2 fingers to the sky, and declared, "Divine thunder!" A colossal bolt of blue lightning descended from the heavens, striking Zhang Lu dead on. Zhang Lu was caught off guard, bewildered by the new power. He let out a groan of pain, smoke pouring from his mouth after the impact. Stumbling, he tried to stand, his body covered in blue sparks and burns. How could his opponent, a fire cultivator, wield thunder, he wondered. He gritted his teeth, his body still trembling from the electrical shock. Feng Yi stood over Zhang Lu, who was on his knees and unable to move. He grabbed him by the hair, brutally smashing him against the ground, shattering the rocks. Still surrounded by blue lightning, he mocked, "Repeat your name. I didn't hear it the first time." Zhang Lu stared at him in silent shock, his face pressed against the shattered ground, filled with disbelief. How had he been defeated so easily, he wondered. He, who had just reached the 1-star spiritual creation realm, had always been the fastest cultivator he knew. He couldn't comprehend the defeat, much less without even using his ultimate technique. His mind flashed back to a time when he was celebrated. His rare and powerful fire attribute made him a prodigy, and he believed everyone would bow to him. A sneer escaped Feng Yi's lips as another electrical discharge coursed through Zhang Lu's body, making him scream in pain. Shocked, Zhang Lu wondered how his opponent, a supposed fire user, could wield thunder. With shimmering blue eyes, Feng Yi looked at him with disappointment. "I expected more from you." With an arrogant smile, Feng Yi scoffed at the new generation's overconfidence, keeping Zhang Lu immobilized. Gritting his teeth in pain and frustration, Zhang Lu had a terrifying realization. Although his opponent was in the 2-star spiritual creation realm, his spiritual pressure was vastly superior, at least 2 realms above. The difference was 3 full realms. Zhang Lu, the great Zhang Lu, felt the end approaching, about to die right there, terrified on the ground. He pleaded with Feng Yi not to kill him. With a cold, silent gaze, Feng Yi released him. "A pioneer's power shouldn't be used lightly," Feng Yi warned. "If you have so much time, use it to eliminate new anomalies." After a final look of disdain, Feng Yi walked away, leaving Zhang Lu confused and sprawled on the ground. He watched his opponent leave, his mind turbulent. Was the difference between them a result of Feng Yi's genius or his own weakness? Later, in a luxurious apartment, a dejected Zhang Lu entered the room where 2 men awaited him. One of them greeted him, commenting on his new hairstyle, while the redhead reprimanded him. "I already told you not to pick fights. Your aggression is dangerous, especially since spiritual revitalization hasn't officially begun yet. That will only bring trouble." To his friend's surprise, instead of getting angry, Zhang Lu collapsed onto the sofa, completely defeated. His behavior was strange. One of them asked, "What happened? Are you still the same hothead?" The redhead insisted. "What happened? You went to challenge the heavenly fireblade user." "It was over in an instant," Zhang Lu murmured, still dejected. His friend grabbed him by the shoulders, demanding, "Speak clearly!" With tears in his eyes, Zhang Lu confessed, "I was defeated." Instantly, his friends were in total disbelief. In despair, Zhang Lu lamented not having retreated earlier, sparing himself the humiliation. The friend sitting down expressed confusion. "How could the heavenly fireblade user be so strong? You're a rare genius. You reached the spiritual creation realm in months." Zhang Lu recalled the fight. His best technique, the meteoric flame, annihilated in an instant by the powerful thunder attack. His friends tried to understand. The one sitting suggested, "Maybe you fought the wrong person. With your pure firepower and spiritual creation level, it's almost impossible for someone to beat you so easily." The redhead, on the other hand, pondered, "What if this person wasn't even a pioneer? We underestimated their true strength." Zhang Lu furiously rejected the ideas, shouting, "I can't be wrong. That was his territory. You wouldn't understand. You weren't there to witness it." He described the man as a monster, recalling the terrifying thunder that seemed to make his head explode. His friends fell silent, shocked, as Zhang Lu declared, "My instinct tells me I faced the right person." Then he revealed his terrifying conclusion. His opponent, a higher-level pioneer with fire and thunder powers, the latter several times stronger than his own fire, must be hiding a strength of at least a 3-star spiritual creation realm. His friends were stunned. The redhead thought it impossible for a wild 2-star pioneer to possess such power. If Zhang Lu was right, this man would be a nightmare. A moment later, Zhang Lu looked up with determination. "Should I try try to become his apprentice? His friends were speechless. Meanwhile, meditating in his apartment, Feng Yi was enveloped by a spiraling golden aura. Strangely, the sensation of being about to reach the 2-star spiritual creation realm vanished. Feng Yi opened blazing eyes, concluding the problem was external. The spiritual energy in the air was unstable, preventing him from absorbing it and advancing. His fears were confirmed. He remembered the government's monitoring of spiritual energy and rumors of an impending disaster. Was something terrible about to happen? Through the window, an immense electrical storm was forming over the city, confirming his suspicion. The full revitalization of spiritual energy had begun earlier, and here. He tried calling Long, seeking information from the army. The call didn't go through. Worried, he feared the worst. The army had been silenced. At that moment, his phone rang. Su Qi Ying. Feng Yi answered. Static. Su Qi Ying, in a panic, said the situation had changed and pleaded for help. Bad signal because of monsters in the city? He asked. Suddenly, a monstrous bat-like creature with glowing red eyes crashed into his window, cracking the glass. Through the static, Su Qi Ying confirmed the gravity. She was in the city. With a crash, the shadowy creature shattered the window and lunged at Feng Yi, who remained seated, unfazed. "You're overestimating your own strength," he commented calmly. Instantly, Feng Yi conjured a blade of blue electrical energy. Leaping into the air, he hurled it at the beast, piercing it and disintegrating it in a flash. The noise made Li Ying run from her room, yelling to her cousin about the bat-like monster. Shocked, she stopped upon seeing the destroyed window and her cousin surrounded by residual lightning. "What's going on?" she asked. Looking through the broken window, Feng Yi explained that monsters usually emerge randomly. It's concerning that now they're directly attacking homes, and in groups. He believed the situation was still under control. Both looked at the electrical storm over the city. "This could be the beginning of a major disaster," Feng Yi said. It was abnormal. A 2-star ghost realm monster would normally hide in the shadows, not attack a pioneer's home in the middle of the city. Sensing the imminent battle, he instructed Li Ying to contact and gather all known pioneers in the apartment. She agreed without hesitation. Feng Yi climbed onto the sill of the broken window. "You're about to have your own breakthrough," he told his cousin. "I'm entrusting the safety of the house to you." Feng Yi asked her to guard the window while he was out. Elsewhere in the chaotic city, Su Qing and her team on a rooftop faced communications already affected by the storm. Jiang Xia worried about the failure, but Su Qing, serious, declared that if a real disaster struck, they would have to deal with it themselves. They observe the enormous vortex in the sky. Su Qing hopes it's a false alarm. She uses her communicator, ordering all patrol units to be on high alert. Communication cuts out as she, Jiang Xia, and the group look up, shocked and terrified. From the vortex, a massive swarm of dark, bat-like monsters begins to descend. An alert is shouted. A group of anomalies has appeared, signaling the start of an invasion. Throughout the city, a red alert announces the biggest storm in 50 years, instructing citizens to remain indoors. The streets fill with fear and confusion as people look at the darkening sky, imagining the end of the world. Meanwhile, Zhang Lu and his friend Ruivo speed through the wet streets on their motorcycles. His friend shouts to Zhang Lu, "The situation looks bad. Do we stay or leave?" Zhang Lu remains silent, grim. Suddenly, a monstrous bat-like creature, shrouded in dark red energy, dives from the sky toward them. Angrily, Zhang Lu shouts, "It's asking for death!" He conjures a fireball, unleashing a powerful blast of flames at the monster. His friend wonders why it would attack them, as such creatures usually avoid strong pioneers like Jiang Lu. To their shock, the creature emerges from the flames, screeching, completely unharmed. Jiang Lu realizes in a panic, the problem isn't fire resistance, but the ability to instantly revive. Overwhelmed by the city monster's power, he decides they need to go home immediately. The scene flashes back several hours earlier. In a high-tech control room of the Spiritual Energy Association, Su Qing and her superiors are in a meeting. An official suggests they need their best people to communicate with Feng Yi. The instant the superior turns to speak to Su Qing, the alarm blares. A special warning flashes on the main screen. A level A anomaly will reach the city center in 24 hours, and many bat-like anomalies are already gathering in the suburbs. The association's superior questions the level A classification. Concerned, Su Qing declares they must send a team immediately, and that she will go herself. The scene returns to the present. The destroyer squad leader looks on in terror at a giant version of the bat monster descending upon him. Frantically, he yells into his communicator, correcting the report. The anomaly isn't level A, it's level S. The creature's dark, intense form grows, with glowing red eyes, watching as it prepares to destroy everything. The scene shifts to a silent military district, its futuristic corridors empty outside. Inside, however, a fierce battle rages. A massive swarm of glowing red bat-like anomalies attacks a military warship, which fires a powerful energy blast in defense. At the heart of the swarm, Jifeng fights intensely. Her body moves like a whirlwind, using purple energy whips to cut through waves of dark creatures. Jifeng pauses for an instant, observing the endless flow of monsters. She knows her unique ability shapes and strengthens her spiritual power, but the number of dark attribute bats keeps growing. It seems they're trying to stop her and her soldiers from accomplishing something important. At that moment, a blonde young man wreathed in yellow lightning lands beside her. He smiles, praising her power, and then explains the critical situation. Only a few officers are defending the military district. He asks for orders. Jifeng informs him that communications are blocked, preventing external contact. She presumes the same in other districts. Facing a black sky filled with the swarm, Jifeng makes a difficult decision. 2 squads will defend the restricted zone at all costs. The rest will go with her to break through enemy lines and seek other forces. With orders given, she, the blonde lightning user, and her soldiers leap into battle. Jifeng had a horrifying realization as she saw the city covered by the blood-red swarm. The anomaly's target was never the military zone, but the entire city. Under the torrential rain, citizens ran for shelter. At a bus stop, the streamer Malala and a man waited. Instead of scared, she was excited. This strange rain, she said, was the perfect opportunity for a popular broadcast. With a determined smile, she declared that risks were necessary for incredible footage. Her enthusiasm soon turned to horror. A shadowy, bat-like creature leapt from the darkness and devoured the man. Malala screamed as chaos filled the air, and the massive swarm descended upon the street. Malala ran for her life, hearing terrified screams. A creature caught up to her and attacked. She screamed, believing it was her end, until a brilliant blue blade sliced through the air, killing the monster and saving her. A figure wreathed in blue lightning landed gracefully behind her. The savior was Su Qing, accompanied by 2 hooded members of his team. He extended a hand to the terrified Malala, assuring her that his companions would take her home safely. As the 2 members helped Malala, one of them warned Su Qing that the number of level 6 anomalies was growing and evolving. With a furious glare, Su Qing stated that if they knew the creatures evolved by devouring humans, they had to act fast and get all civilians to a safe location. He then ordered the team to meet him later at that same point, the area with the highest number of anomalies. His companions agreed and departed with Malala, leaving Su Qing alone to confront the growing blood-red swarm over the city. Feng Yi leaped onto a rooftop, facing a massive bat-like anomaly covered in eyes. Observing the endless swarm below, he was surprised. The entire group had already evolved their power, approaching the realm of the 3 stellar ghost acts. In response to the threat, he summoned a flaming sword of golden fire. With a powerful strike, he unleashed a massive wave of flames that cut through the swarm, instantly incinerating many creatures. However, his eye glowed red, and he realized the fight was not over. This anomaly was different. The bat swarm seemed immortal, constantly regenerating and multiplying, impossible to destroy with a simple attack. Swarms of these shadowy creatures appeared in all popular areas of the city. Numerous identical disaster points emerged, covering the city in dark mist. Locating the association would take too long. Feng Yi concluded he needed to deal with the swarms one by one with a new strategy. Feng Yi raised his hand, activating his ultimate technique, Limitless Dark World. A colossal vortex of dark green energy erupted from his body, declaring the anomalies fodder for his spirit flower. As the vortex absorbed the swarm, Feng Yi thought of his allies, Li Yi, Su Qing, and the other pioneers in his home. He needed to act fast. He believed that with his cousin's ability and the pioneers' protection, his home would be safe for now. However, if the disaster worsened, the nightmare would materialize, making survival almost impossible. 10 minutes later, Su Qing was fighting on a rooftop, surrounded by an endless swarm of bat-like anomalies. She gritted her teeth, frustrated. No matter how many she destroyed, they kept appearing. Her spiritual power was recovering slowly, and she feared running out of energy. She thought of her companions, hoping they were safe escorting the civilian. A terrified cry for help made her look up at the sky. High above, a dense sphere of red anomalies was gathering, forming a terrifying creature. The danger was escalating. She leaped from the side of a building. If the anomalies continued to strengthen, they would soon reach the realm of spiritual creation. With the team spread out saving civilians, they didn't have enough power for the new threat, especially now that the creatures were attacking buildings. She fired powerful bursts of blue energy, trying to contain the advance. The absurd number of creatures overwhelmed her, knocking her out of the sky. As she fell, a horrifying realization hit her. Looking at the massive vortex of dark energy and lightning above, the true purpose of the swarms. A king of anomalies was about to be born. The city was falling into ruin. Under a fierce storm, a massive swarm of shadow creatures was overwhelming everything. The disaster was immense. It seemed neither the army nor the Spiritual Energy Association could stop the destruction. Amidst the chaos, the pioneers fought desperately. Reports indicated entire teams being exterminated or sacrificing themselves. Suging fought alone, her protective barrier barely holding back the endless horde, while a new alert classified the anomaly as S-level, a king of anomalies. At the association's command center, the situation was grim. Reports of catastrophic casualties reached the officers. The number and regeneration speed of of the creatures overwhelmed their defenses, too late for reinforcements. A subordinate reported the city was surrounded by an immense black mist, cutting off any chance of rescue. Horrified, they realized they were isolated. Facing their final moments, the association's superior rose with his men, declaring that, as pioneers, they would resist and fall with the city. He swore the monsters would have to go through their bodies. With grim determination, he gave the final order: send one last code to headquarters. If they couldn't contain the disaster, headquarters must immediately launch a destruction attack to prevent the shadow attribute from spreading. Suqing's fight continued. Her protective barrier was giving way under the swarm's constant attack, her spiritual power almost exhausted. Gathering her last strength, she unleashed a massive attack towards the vortex of monsters, but it was easily deflected. The evolved creature, now more visible, let out a terrifying scream, shocking Suqing as it revealed its level: 3-star spiritual creation realm. Shattering her barrier, the creature attacked. Defeated, with her spiritual energy exhausted, Suqing gritted her teeth in despair. Wounded and exhausted, she began to fall as a colossal monster descended upon her. Realizing the end, she gathered her last energy for a desperate attack. The instant she was about to strike, a bright beam of fire shot past her, exploding and stopping the monster. Through the dissipating light, Suqing was astonished to see Feng Yi before her. Sword still aflame, Feng Yi turned to the threat, his eyes glowing with immense power. One orange, the other electric blue. Declaring his power as the divine thunder, he advanced, channeling fire and lightning into his blade. He faced the creature head-on. With a single devastating strike, he cut the colossal monster in half. The two halves exploded in a sequence of flames, lighting up the city's dark sky. After the battle, Feng Yi and Suqing landed on a rain-soaked road. He apologized for the delay, explaining the identical swarms of monsters everywhere. Still weak, Suqing warned him, "Be careful, they can regenerate." As she spoke, the scattered remains of the monster began to reform in the sky. Feng Yi merely looked up. "I already know." Facing the regenerating swarm, he reassured Suqing, "Don't worry, I always finish what I start." Gathering immense purple energy of shadow attributes in his hand, he unleashed his dark and limited world, a powerful vortex to absorb the enemy. The incredible display renewed Suqing's hope. She had forgotten something important. The city still had an unparalleled pioneer like Feng Yi. The massive purple vortex spread across the street, sucking in the swarm of creatures. With a single command, Feng Yi made the vortex shrink, compressing the countless creatures into a stable sphere of pure dark energy. He turned to Suqing and asked if she was all right. She thanked him for saving her, assuring him she would be fine with her medicine. Noticing her injuries, Feng Yi's expression turned serious. He placed his hand on her shoulder, and a wave of blue lightning immediately enveloped her, making her cry out in surprise. He explained he had purified the dark attribute from her body and instructed her to bandage the wound. Suqing was impressed by the powerful lightning. The pain lessened, and the wound healed faster than with the association's advanced medicine. Meanwhile, at the association's command center, an operator shouted excitedly, "The number of monster groups seems to be decreasing." A superior gravely corrected him. All pioneer rescue teams had been attacked and lost contact. The number of monsters outside the city was not decreasing. The swarms within the city were converging, as the Anomaly King was about to emerge. Sadly, he lamented not being able to see his parents again, knowing that all that remained was to fulfill his last duties. Observing an enormous green vortex in the sky, Feng Yi asked Suqing about what they were facing. She explained it was a Super S anomaly, ready to consume the city, with power equal to the monster sealed in the Star God War Zone. Somberly, Suqing said it was a cataclysm, and the monster swarms were just the precursor to disaster. Within the swarm, a terrifyingly powerful spirit was being born. If it fully formed, the city would be destroyed. Suqing then revealed what the association had discovered. While monsters of the same type devour each other to evolve, dark attribute anomalies are different. A fully evolved Anomaly King possessed the power to force all others of its kind to obey it. She turned to Feng Yi, worried. Though his power was incredible, Suqing pointed out that he still hadn't reached the legendary Jingu realm. She reminded him that the nation's strongest pioneer had been bedridden after sealing a similar disaster. Pleading, she asked that they not lose another genius, urging him to flee, break through the blockade, and warn the military to abandon the city. Feng Yi interrupted her desperate plea with a light tap on her head, jokingly asking if she had forgotten everything from school. His expression hardened. He declared that the city was his home, and he would pay any price to protect it. Suqing was speechless. Without another word, he leaped onto a tall rooftop, stopping before the immense green vortex from which the Anomaly King was emerging, surrounded by a golden aura. He observed seriously that the city seemed to be a sacrifice for the king's birth, and activated his golden sun power. He turned to Suqing, who had followed him, and asked for her wrist device, explaining he needed it to detect anomalies and contact the association. She handed it over, with the device in one hand and her flaming sword in the other. Feng Yi declared he needed to ascend and destroy the creature before it fully formed. He braced himself as the monstrous king of anomalies continued emerging from the swirling vortex above the city. At the command center, tension snapped when an operator shouted, "The signal of a lost pioneer had reconnected." It was Captain Sue. Shocked, the operators watched her tracker move at incredible speed, flying straight into the storm's center, the most dangerous area. They yelled for her to return, knowing that entering alone was suicide. An officer grabbed a communicator, desperately trying to contact her, ordering her to stop immediately and await reinforcements from headquarters and the army. On the rooftop, Feng Yi held Su Qing's device, which crackled with static. Understanding how to use it, he spoke into the communicator. "Can you hear me?" Shocked, the officer demanded to know who he was and where Su Qing was. Feng Yi ignored the questions, taking command. He needed everyone in the center to cooperate, as he would destroy the king of anomalies at the storm's core. As Feng Yi flew toward the immense vortex, he continued his orders, telling the now speechless officer that if they didn't want the city destroyed, they needed to cooperate. Feng Yi demanded total cooperation and the use of all communication and information equipment. After a shocked silence, the furious officer ordered everyone to cease what they were doing and immediately connect to the unknown pioneer. The officer commanded his teams to use radars and satellites for intel, designating an operator as the contact. The operator immediately reported that satellite imagery showed a massive number of anomalies surrounding the king, swirling like a typhoon. He suggested the northern route as an entry point, having fewer anomalies, and recommended approaching from the southeast to avoid the densest swarms. As the intel poured in, Feng Yi flew into the storm. Suddenly, the operator shouted an alert. Feng Yi had been detected by two powerful anomalies, levels A and S, both with strength equivalent to 2 stars of the spiritual creation realm. The operator desperately urged him to flee. The officer, with a grim expression, watched the monitors, knowing it was too late to retreat. At that instant, a massive shockwave struck the command center, throwing the team into chaos amidst screams and panic. High in the sky, Feng Yi effortlessly sliced one of the powerful bat-like winged anomalies in half, his sword aflame. His eyes glowed with fiery energy. At the command center, the operators were in shock. The chief officer exclaimed that the source of the anomalies had vanished. Surprised, he realized the pioneer had killed a dark attribute S-level anomaly with a single blow. His subordinate, excited, confirmed it might be the legendary tyrant. The command center erupted in celebration for their salvation. Meanwhile, Feng Yi analyzed the situation. He understood that after activating his sword's special enchantment, the flames could neutralize the dark attribute, slowing the anomaly's regeneration. However, seeing the defeated creature reform from dark energy, he realized his current power was still insufficient to prevent regeneration. He concluded that had he advanced to the next level, a single blow would have sufficed. Needing another plan, Feng Yi clenched his fists, gathering fire and lightning energy, deciding that speed and constant attacks were the only solution. He unleashed a sequence of rapid slashes that tore the regenerating monster to pieces. Still, he observed with irritation the endless number of enemies. Suddenly, a strange, swirling green energy sphere appeared in the sky, attracting the dark creatures, which flew toward it. On the ground, a group of hooded pioneers observes in confusion. One of them wonders why the winged creatures ceased their attack. The association superior, with a serious expression, states that this isn't good. He knows the only reason for the swarm to stop is that they are being summoned by the king of anomalies, indicating his imminent arrival. The remaining military and pioneer forces watch the swarms gather into a massive blood-red cloud over the city, understanding that their only chance is to stop them before they leave the surrounded city. The battle continues. From above, Jifeng unleashes a powerful energy blast against the swarms of dark creatures. Her subordinate, the Golden Lightning user, approaches with a grim report. He asks how long until they enter the city, and Jifeng replies that the instruments estimate at least another half hour. The subordinate despairs. In half an hour, the king of anomalies would be awake, and the city lost. Jifeng observes the red swarm, explaining the impossibility. The creatures were 10 times what was expected, a threat equivalent to 10 S-class anomalies. Even with the army's weapons, it was impossible to completely eliminate beings that regenerated non-stop. Failure would consume the neighboring cities as well. Jifeng asks about personnel to break the blockade. The subordinate, at a loss, complains about the pioneers observing from afar, oblivious to the imminent danger. Suddenly, Jifeng's expression changes. In the sky, the city's winged swarms begin to converge, flying to meet the king of anomalies in formation. The subordinate asks what she sees, and both watch. At that instant, a point of golden light explodes in the center of the vortex. The subordinate recognizes the energy, incredulous. Feng Yi? He turns to Jifeng, a new confident smile on his face. Jifeng merely nods. Then, she takes command, shouting for the forces to increase firepower and advance without worrying about supplies. Enter the city. The Star God's war zone abandons no one. As the troops advance, a figure in flames rises from the heart of the storm, a beacon against the darkness. Jifeng and Su Qiying watch, watch the immense sea of flames created. Sheltered by a shattered window, Ning Yi, enthusiastic, recognizes his cousin's sword technique, while the red-haired leader watches, impressed. High above the city, the remaining swarms converge on Feng Yi. Impassively, he comments with a determined gaze, "They all came to stop me. This is exactly what I wanted." Brandishing his enormous flaming sword, he unleashes a devastating blow. The attack creates a colossal explosion of fire in the sky, tearing a vast path through the dark horde. With his eyes burning with flames, Feng Yi has a sudden realization. He feels on the verge of a breakthrough, the same feeling that had disappeared before. He understands. Despite the rarefied spiritual energy, the conditions for stealing were there again. With a confident smile, he decides to accelerate. He raises his hand, invoking a powerful purple energy sigil. His boundless dark world opens in the sky like an enormous dark eye, with him as a shining star at its center. Extending his hand, he summons his spiritual flower. A bright red sphere appears, blazing across its surface. From within, the enormous desolate red fire spiritual flower emerges. Feng Yi commands it, absorb and propel his advance. The desolate flower acts quickly. Its red tentacles emanate beams of dark energy, piercing the creatures, devouring them, and using their energy to propel Feng Yi's advance. With the swarm exterminated, Feng Yi lands gently in the center of the now immense red flower. From there, he observes the large green-red vortex in the sky, where the anomaly king is still forming, its eyes glowing red. Although the giant creatures are visible, he thinks, it looks unreal, like a reflection in water. However, a confident smile appears as he realizes he can sense the creature's core. He hears its heartbeat, a dull, powerful sound, like war drums. Feng Yi understands that the king's power can awaken evil desires in people, a serious threat. His eyes glowing red, Feng Yi realizes the king is holding back and hiding, perhaps due to its incomplete evolution. On the flower, Feng Yi asks for the king's location. The flower confirms, sending coordinates to the device on his wrist. The device glows red, fires a beam into the sky, and reveals the anomaly king's core in the swirling vortex. Target found, Feng Yi's eyes glow golden as he activates his golden sun breathing technique at maximum power. An explosion of pure golden energy erupts from him, soaring into the heavens like a rising sun to destroy the creatures of darkness. In the ruined city, Jianglu and friends watch the sky in disbelief. They wonder what power could create such intense light, assuming it's fire. However, one realizes that ordinary fire wouldn't be so powerful against the darkness. The only conclusion, a high-level Yang attribute, the natural enemy of darkness. In the association's command center, the tense atmosphere is broken by shouts of joy. An operator reports the rapid fall of monsters and the shrinking containment field. On the monitors, officials can barely believe the sudden turn of events. Outside the besieged city, a military convoy stops. A subordinate informs Ji Feng that the swarms blocking the path are returning to the city, as if by a new command. Ji Feng observes the golden light of Feng Yi's power over the city, realizing he is attacking the anomaly king's core. His blonde subordinate approaches, confirming that the power belongs to the tyrant and is the purest form of the Yang attribute. Ji Feng, however, worries about him facing such a powerful enemy alone. His subordinate, urged, declares she needs to enter the city to help, but Ji Feng interrupts her, his eyes fixed on the sky, shouting for her to look. His expression is shock. Inside the vortex, a strange green sphere with spikes, like a giant virus, emerges. Ji Lang realizes, horrified, that the anomaly king is hatching prematurely. In the streets, other pioneers also witness the terrifying scene. A man stares at the pulsating green mass, identifying it as the source of all evil, filled with rage and sorrow for lost friends. He and the other pioneers vow to kill every monster. In a damaged building, Lin Yi, the red-haired leader, and another pioneer observe the crisis. Yai insists they can't wait to die and need to help her cousin, knowing that the anomaly king's birth will demand the city as a sacrifice. Elsewhere, Su Qing uses her powers to heal a wounded pioneer, showing the desperate combat taking place. Lin Yi gathers the pioneers in the building, reminding them that the creatures holding back her cousin have harmed their families and friends. As she speaks, an idea sparks. She recalls the flower her cousin summoned, the one that devours swarms of bats. She realizes its power is similar to the desolation attribute of the phantom vine they had previously seen. This leads to a conclusion. Her cousin also possesses the desolation attribute. Lin Yi proposes a daring plan. She instructs everyone to transfer their spiritual power to Feng Yi's flower, strengthening it for the final battle. The pioneers agree and raise their hands, sending their combined energy heavenward. From the ground, the association's superior, noticing the blue energy flows, initially thinks it's a direct attack but soon comprehends. They're feeding Feng Yi's plant. Inspired, the superior declares support, unleashing a wave of blue energy into the sky. Across the city, the remaining pioneers focus their wills, sending their spiritual power, creating an immense wave of energy to aid the fight. While aiding a wounded pioneer, Suqing feels the sudden shift in power. She sees Feng Yi's spiritual flower glow with the pioneers' combined energy. Understanding it to be the last stand, she gathers her remaining power and sends it, joining the others. The flower, overflowing with power, unleashes a final, powerful blow against the Anomaly King's core. The monster lets out a scream of pain as it struck, and Feng Yi delivers a swift, decisive cut that pierces through it. After the immense battle, Feng Yi floats in the air, wiping blood from his face. His communicator alerts him. Swarms of bats outside the city are advancing towards him. They are tens of thousands of monsters, B, A, and S level, an unending wave of red and black. Unmoved, Feng Yi stares at the Anomaly King's pulsating green cocoon. No matter how many servants you send, I will destroy them all. He taunts, "Are you hiding out of fear?" Provoked, the Anomaly King finally emerges. A monstrous, dark, and greenish claw tears through the cocoon, revealing its full form. With his hand covered in golden flames, Feng Yi watches, grimly, his true enemy reveal itself. The Anomaly King, now complete, is a terrifying beast with a single, menacing green eye. It lets out a horrendous scream, ready for the decisive battle. It spins in the sky, creating a terrifying vortex of dark green energy and shadows, with a glowing orb of power at its center. Its immense power makes the entire city tremble. The ground cracks in a violent earthquake, shaking streets and sending the remaining pioneers running in despair, aware that the king can destroy them with its mere presence. Outside the city, Zhao Lan and her subordinate watch, grimly, placing all their hopes on Feng Yi. In the ruins, Suqing also looks to the sky, worry and hope mixed on her face, silently praying for victory. From atop a safe building, Ning Yi clenches her fists, fierce and determined, sharing the same desperate wish. Surrounded by an intense golden light, Feng Yi faces the monster, identifying it as the King of Shadow Anomalies, the cause of the city's suffering. With his spiritual flower burning with fiery energy, Feng Yi declares that he grew up and loves this city, making clear the reason for his fight. In response, the Anomaly King lets out a furious and deafening roar. With a final determined look in his flaming red eyes, Feng Yi delivers his ultimate message: "For the sake of my home, you must die." The two colossal forces collide in a massive explosion of red, green, and golden lights. A colossal confrontation between Feng Yi and the Anomaly King culminates in a dazzling explosion that illuminates the sky. When the light dissipates, Feng Yi floats in a strange dark void before the monster's single gigantic green eye. The creature stares at him, mocking in its mind who dares challenge it, a mere being from a star's spiritual creation realm. Before Feng Yi can react, the Anomaly King opens its enormous dark maw, creating a powerful vortex. Feng Yi senses the danger, but is unable to resist the force that pulls him in. As he's pulled in, Feng Yi realizes the Anomaly King's uniqueness. Even after an all-out attack, it still possesses the strength to devour him whole. He plummets into the monster's grotesque interior. Inside, a cavern of pink flesh and viscous purple liquids. Feng Yi knows that the liquid, besides being corrosive, carries immense dark attribute energy. An ordinary pioneer would be dissolved instantly. Feng Yi is puzzled by the failure of such an evolved creature, swallowing him alive. With a determined look, he sees the fatal error, questioning if the monster isn't afraid of an attack coming from within, its weakest point. To test his theory, Feng Yi gathers fire in his hand and punches the fleshy floor. The beast's inner walls burn and crackle. He notes that although the corrosive liquid weakens his powers, it still causes considerable damage. Deciding that as long as his attacks work, he can handle this, Feng Yi summons his Desolation Fire Spirit Flower. To his surprise, the King of Anomalies didn't just swallow him, it also pulled his Spirit Flower in. This is his luck, as the flower is supercharged, absorbing dark energy from the bat swarms and the spiritual power of the city's pioneers. However, as he holds the bright red flower, Feng Yi notices its hesitation. He asks what's wrong, wondering if it doesn't like the King of Anomalies' dark attribute. To his surprise, the Desolation Flower, which normally feeds on dark energy, is repelled by the king's unique power. Feng Yi hadn't expected this, as his plan was to drain the monster from within. Realizing the need to change strategy, he holds the flower in one hand and, with the other, punches the fleshy stomach walls again. Outside, the King of Anomalies form dissolves, but soon reforms in the sky, spinning in a colossal vortex as it calls back the remaining bat swarms. Lin Yi and the red-haired leader watch, confused and fearful. The leader asks what's happening, and Lin Yi simply replies that he doesn't know. Lin Yi's main concern is his cousin's whereabouts. Elsewhere, Su Qing bravely leads the country's evacuation, calling for order and promising the pioneers protection. Questioned about Feng Yi, she, in a panic, explains that he is still fighting the King of Anomalies inside the creature. Jifeng's army arrives with reinforcements. An officer reports random attacks from the swarms, and the King of Anomalies in the city, ordering a rapid evacuation to reduce casualties. Standing atop a military vehicle, Jifeng gives firm orders, but his eyes don't stray from the terrifying creature in the sky. The King of Anomalies begins to absorb all the swarms, pulling them into its spinning form, seeking to regain power. Inside the monster, Feng Yi is shocked, realizing the creature is far from defeated. As he is digested, a corrosive and powerful energy engulfs him. He feels his power and body being corroded, the dark energy fading. He closed his eyes. When he opened them, he was no longer inside the monster. Alone, Feng Yi appears in the ruins of a devastated city, amidst broken skyscrapers under an ominous sky, confused. A huge, red-eyed, dark beast glows and emerges from the darkness behind him. The beast charges with a powerful punch against Feng Yi. He focuses his senses, noticing with concern the disappearance of his spiritual power as another giant fist descends towards him. Feng Yi leaps with agility, narrowly dodging as the impact shatters the ground. Landing amidst rubble, he notices something crucial. Even without spiritual power, his body still pulses with strength. His training warns him it's an illusion from the King of Anomalies, trying to make him relive the past before he became a pioneer. The beast tries to crush him with a stomp, but Feng Yi leaps again, dodging. As he lands, he reaches a critical conclusion. The King of Anomalies doesn't have the power to truly eliminate his strength. Feng Yi understands that his abilities won't disappear, he just needs to break the mental block. He deduces that every illusion hides a flaw, a weak point that the King of Anomalies will unwittingly reveal. As he plans, the beast traps him in its enormous hand with blinding speed. The monster brings its furious face close and echoes, "Once here, the human can never leave." Trapped in the creature's hand, Feng Yi's situation seems hopeless, but a confident smile appears on his lips. He found the key to break the illusion. The false form of the King of Anomalies with a monstrous grin merges with him. The creature then opens its jaws, declaring the inevitable end of Feng Yi and humanity, aiming to break his spirit. It projects a horrendous vision, Jifeng, Su Qing, and the others, lying lifeless, reinforcing the idea that humans are mere food for its evolution. Feigning defeat, Feng Yi falls silent for an instant. He lifts his gaze with a small, defiant smile and calmly asks, "Is that truly what you believe?" At that moment, Feng Yi unleashes his true power. His body explodes in intense golden light. He declares, "You are nothing but a puppet. You don't understand the truth of your own existence." Golden forms of countless people emerge around him as Feng Yi reveals he was reborn with the sole purpose of protecting his home and everyone he loves. The golden light envelops the shadowy beast, exploding and shattering the illusion. A wave of fire sweeps through the mental space, his power reflected in a flaming eye. Free from the illusion and back in the real world, Feng Yi emerges transformed. With fiery hair and blue lightning, Feng Yi floats in the stormy sky, enveloped by a giant hand of golden energy, ready for the final confrontation. A system window appears, confirming the requirements for advancement, to progress to the 2-star spiritual creation realm. With his power fully ascending, Feng Yi accepts the advancement. He declares himself the King of Anomalies and explodes in golden energy, gaining a new understanding thanks to the King of Anomalies himself. Channeling immense power, Feng Yi delivers a devastating blow as his hair of golden flames and blue lightning crackles. He declares his birth as the chosen avenger, destined to change the world. In the real world, the King of Anomalies laughs, mocking him for being merely a 2-star cultivator. Undaunted, Feng Yi goes on the offensive, nimbly dodging a powerful blow from the shadowy creature. The Anomaly King rises, its shadowy form dominating the sky, declaring he won't escape and will be its meal. But the monster's expression shifts to confusion, not understanding what's happening. Feng Yi, in contrast, displays a confident smile, aware his plan is working. Suddenly, blue thunder energy explodes from within the Anomaly King. The monster writhes in pain, screaming with hatred at the stinking human, not understanding this strange body. With power at its peak, Feng Yi prepares his final blow, declaring he will seal the monster. He invokes the 9-dragon celestial fire to purge all evil. 9 enormous fire dragons emerge, converging on the Anomaly King's core. The creature screams, realizing the power is superior to that of a 1-star cultivator. The attack culminates in a colossal explosion of light that illuminates the city sky. On the ground, the pioneers watch in awe as Feng Yi eliminates the anomaly. The Anomaly King lets out a final cry of pain, its essence destroyed by Feng Yi's power. The last vestige of its power power, a vortex of purple energy completely dissipates in the sky, revealing a clear blue day. Back in his normal form, Feng Yi, still holding his flaming sword, watches the swirling purple energy condense into a sphere. He gazes at it with a calm, serious expression, his eyes glowing red. He then creates his boundless dark world, a vortex that absorbs the chaotic energy remaining from the battle. Pioneers and surviving soldiers gaze at the peaceful sky in disbelief. One questions if the nightmare is over, another confirms the battle's end. On top of a military vehicle, Xianlan is met with immense celebration from the survivors. They celebrate the city saved and their own survival. As dawn breaks, Lan's blonde subordinate asks if she will look for Feng Yi. Lan, with a gentle smile, watches the sunrise, explaining that now they have their own duties. Their job was to restore normalcy and rebuild the city. Survivors hugged, cried, and celebrated the morning's relief. The Spiritual Energy Association team celebrated, exultant. Relieved, they saw themselves freed from a nightmare. The Anomaly King stopped. By the window, they reflected. Feng Yi had appeared and defeated the king. They thought that without him, they would have carried the shame of the city's fall. Su Qing and her association superior watched paramedics carry injured pioneers. Su Ving asked about the injured pioneers. Her superior, comforting her, assured that the intact medical centers would allow for treatment. Su Qing knew that without Feng Yi, they wouldn't have had a chance to receive treatment. She wondered about Feng Yi's identity and incredible power, who always accomplished the impossible. Her superior nodded. What everyone had seen was undeniable. Feng Yi had reached the 2-star spiritual creation realm. Headquarters, he was sure, would act, and someone would try to contact him first. Su Qing reflected on Feng Yi's evolution. Before, she'd thought she could compete. Now, he'd completely surpassed her. A top-tier prodigy across the entire Xia nation, she concluded. The superior recalled the golden light and fire dragons that sealed the anomaly. An event witnessed by all, one that would spark widespread discussion and demand swift action. Confused, Su Qing asked what he meant. The superior suggested a new title for Feng Yi, the Sealer, a fitting name. After the great battle, Lin Yi and the red-haired leader rushed through the ruined streets. In a panic, Yi called out for her cousin, while the red-haired leader tried to calm her. Suddenly, Yi spotted something in the distance. With relief and tears in her eyes, she joyfully called out his name. She found Feng Yi, calm amidst the debris, holding his sword. Feng Yi asked why they were looking for him. Yi ran up to him, asking if he was okay. She said that after the fight, she knew he would need them. Feng Yi, exhausted, remained silent. Finally, he said he was fine and praised her effort. Then, he wrapped his arms around his cousin and the red-haired leader, leaning on them for support. Inside, he recalled the brutal fight, admitting he'd expended all the energy from his recent breakthrough on that final attack. He felt a little embarrassed by their concern. Suddenly, Yi realized something, exclaiming in shock. He progressed to the 2-star spiritual creation realm. Feng Yi's rapid advancement and incredible talent astonished her. The red-haired leader's jaw also dropped. The big guy had progressed again. Meanwhile, news of the battle spread. Online forums buzzed about the man who saved the city, the pioneer now known as the Sealer, the mysterious individual who had defeated the King of Anomalies with a single blow, something the Association and the army failed to do, was being called a god by the people. It was speculated that he was part of a hidden organization, or a secret weapon of the nation of Xia. Zhang Lu's red-haired friend pointed at the computer screen, convinced. The person in the video was the same one who had defeated Zhang Lu. Zhang Lu watched the images, fizzing with excitement. He declared himself honored to have lost to someone so powerful, and rising from his chair, announced he would seek out the man to ask to be his disciple. His friend, however, warned him against it, reminding him that many were already looking for him. In the grand capital of Xia, a secret, gloomy room housed hooded figures gathered around a luminous table. They discussed the recent events. A man, smoking casually, expressed disappointment at not having witnessed the army and the association mutually annihilating each other in a disaster. Another member suggested a pawn or assassin to deal with the new figure, but a mysterious woman with long, sharp nails dismissed the idea. Such a simple approach was not worthy of the supposed chosen one to save the world. She raised a photo of Feng Yi with disdain, noting his new title, the Sealer. With a quick motion, she pierced Feng Yi's neck in the image with a sharp nail, tearing it. Calmly, she declared there was no rush. The photo in her hand erupted in purple flames, and she promised that anyone who stood in her way would be destroyed. As she spoke, the purple flames took the form of menacing eyes. Tell me what you thought of this manhwa. I don't know what score to give it from 0 to 10. Comment your ratings and why.